Hey, what's up? It's Cute What If this side. Today we will be seeing What If Overpowered Deku got Harem. Now before we move ahead with the fic, leave a like and subscribe to the channel for future what ifs like this. Name Midoriya Izuku. Race demigod. Age 18. Quirk one for all. Titles Winter Child, Sir Knight, Winter King. The Promised One, The Sword of Mankind, Abomination, The End. Description cheerful and heroic. Izuku will never stand by if he sees someone in need of help. Though not unheard of, many would describe his actions to be bordering on recklessness. He's extremely protective of those he considers his own and won't hesitate to use force if he deems it necessary. May the gods have mercy on your soul if you harm Ochako, because he certainly won't. Pushed by destiny and puppeteered by greater powers, created to put fear in the minds of the outsiders who see gods as nothing more than snack bars, will he successfully save the world, or destroy it himself? Likes Ochako, Inko, Eri, the Chosen, rest of the Harem, heroes, reading, training, his extended family. Dislikes those who harmed his loved ones, outsiders, politics, necromancers, villains. Spark evoker, weapon, mantle, main Harem members. Name Ochako Uraraka, race Fae, age 18, quirk zero gravity. Titles Uravity, Princess of Summer Queen. The Anchor, the Beginning. Description bubbly and cheerful. Even as a kid, Ochako has resolved to not only help the innocents but the heroes as well. As she discovered her lineage, she managed to find a way to do just that. She's an excellent enchanter while also being a trained and talented knight who trained under one of, if not the best mortal swordsman in the realm. Likes Izuku, her parents, Eri, Starry Sky, The Chosen, Camelot, heroes, puzzle solving, studying and making constructs, sword training, knights. Dislikes villains, necromancers, traitors, politics, minda. Weapon Sekase. Spark enchanter. Name Ashido Mina. Race human. Age 18. Quirk acid. Titles Pinky, shipping queen, Mistress Mina, that one who makes reality her. Likes Izuku, her sisters, her best friend Ochako, Eri, life, the voices, scheming. Dislikes outsiders, necromancers, bullies, villains, minta. Weapon N.A. Spark N.A. Name Kendo Itsuka. Race werewolf. Age 18. Quirk big fist. Titles Battle Fist, Hunter, Sergeant. Likes Izuku, her friend Ochako, her sisters, Eri, heroes, black coffee, motorcycles. Dislikes traitors, outsiders, necromancers, villains, minta. Weapon poison darts and machete. Spark N.A. Name Yaoyorozu Momo. Race human. Age 18. Quirk creation. Titles Creati. Likes Izuku, her sisters, Eri, heroes, reading. Dislikes necromancers, outsiders, traitors, minta, villains. Weapon N.A. Spark N.A. Name Shimura Nana. Race human. Age 23. Quirk float. Titles Dark Flame, Dark Meteor. Likes Izuku, alcohol, Eri, fighting, paladins, heroes. Dislikes necromancers, traitors, villains, royalty. Weapon N.A. Spark evoker. Name Shizaki Ibara. Race human. Age 18. Quirk vines. Titles Vine, Priestess, Rope Bunny, Kitten. Likes Izuku, Shibari, Black Roses, Bread, Heroes, Truth. Dislikes sins, depravity, apostates, Toga Himiko, Monoma. Weapon N.A. Spark N.A. Name Toga Himiko. Race Dampier. Age 19. Quirk transform. Titles Toga, Church's Bane, The Last Vampire. Likes Izuku, Ochako, Eri. Dislikes church, Catholic priests, paladins. Hunters, Kendo Itsuka, heroes, Shizaki Ibara. Weapon harp. Spark N.A. Side Harem. Name Kiyama Nimuri. Race human. Age. Quirk somnambulist. Titles Midnight, The Last of the First. Likes Izuku, alcohol, heroes, roses. Dislikes outsiders, necromancers, traitors, villains. Weapon. Spark N.A. Name Hagakure Toru. Race human. Age 18. Quirk invisibility. Title Invisible Girl. Likes Izuku, Dakiri shows, caramels, heroes. Dislikes villains, minta. Name Komori Kinoko. Race human. Age 18. Quirk mushroom. Title She Mage. Likes Izuku, mushrooms, idols, heroes. Dislikes villains, Monoma. Name Gyro Kyoka. Race human. Age 18. Quirk earphone jack. Title Earphone Jack. Likes Izuku, rock songs, singing, heroes. Dislikes villains, minta. Name Hado Nejair. Race human. Age 20. Quirk wave motion. Title Nejair-chan. Likes Izuku, lilies, jasmine tea, heroes. Dislikes villains. I see a door. One that leads to a bedroom I've never seen before yet feels so familiar. There stood a woman with short auburn hair with short bangs. A perpetual pink blush on her cheeks, with large eyes and round eyelashes. Her ears were long and pointed. Yet despite her adorable appearance, an air of both mystery and power is ever present with the woman I love. It's done. She's dead. And with her, the last of the necromancers grown strong from the war, I said, with a deeper voice than I remember. You sound almost sad, my heart, the previous air that would take the breath out of even the most powerful and influential hero immediately dissolved, instead replaced with a face etched with worry. I'm a weapon. The sword of mankind. Forged for the final war. What does a weapon do, now that the war is over? I can think of a thing or two. An alluring smile found its way to her face as she lay on our bed invitingly. Oh, come to bed, husband, and let me show you. A tantalizing invitation as she traces her hands across her body, emphasizing her curves, a display exciting me to no end. If you insist, my lady, I say back, eagerly unequipping my plate armor. A lewd smile across my face. Third-person POV. I am her to wake you, I am her to wake you. The sound of the special edition all-night alarm clock DX 9001 woke up the 12-year-old Midoriya Izuku. He scowled at it as his dream was cut off right when it was getting to the good part. Then he sighed as he turned off the alarm. Normally he liked it more than enough not to toss it to the next city block or two. For now, what a strange dream, he says. It feels real. And who's that girl? She's cute but scary and she called me husband. While I don't believe in premonitions and dreams, it's said we see our dreams as our brain processes information we got during the day. Maybe she's just my imagination, and what's that armor, he mutters as he always does. Izuku, wake up or you'll be late for the first day of your middle school, a voice calls from behind the door, waking him back to reality. Oh, coming, Mom, Izuku says as he gets his clothes ready. His middle school uniform is tailor-made not because the Midoriyas are rich, but because they don't come with his size, being a 5'11" kid. He started eating breakfast prepared by his mother, Midoriya Izuku, a slim 5'3" tall woman who has dark green hair like her son, though hers is a darker shade. They started chatting as they ate breakfast. After cleaning up and putting on his uniform, his mother said, "Oh my, you're so handsome, Izuku. You remind me a lot of your father. Sigh, shame he's no longer here with us to see you all grown up." Her tone went from proud to slightly somber at the end. "It's all right, Mom. I'm sure wherever he is right now, he's watching us with a smile on his face," he says as he hugs his mom, missing someone he never knew. If not for him, then for his mother. Gods know she's still incredibly in love with the man. You're right. It just comes back to me sometimes, oh, what in the world am I doing dumping all of that to my son? It's okay, Mom. Burdens are meant to be shared among family. Okay, Guru Izuku. The mother and son both laughed. Izuku was raised alone by his mother and it's something he's incredibly thankful for. He's a clever boy and is aware of how hard it is to raise a kid alone, especially one out of wedlock. And while he can alleviate some of it by helping with the chores and not being a headache, there's only so much a preteen kid could do. So he made it a personal goal to make his mom smile or laugh when he could. Today, my mom. Tomorrow, Zawarudo. The boy got embarrassed as soon as he thought that. All he knew of what happened to his father was that his dad died due to a hunting accident whilst his mom was pregnant with him. He tried to learn more about his dad, but apparently, not even she knew the man's name. The only lead he has is the suspicion that the guy's a foreigner. I'm off. Take care. Izuku POV. I started walking to school. I still can't get that dream out of my mind. By all that is logical, I shouldn't get hung up on it. It may just be a simple lucid dream. Not the first time I had one, though even compared to those instances, it's still weirder. No use overanalyzing it, I guess. Speaking of analyzing, I haven't seen heroes or villains on the streets lately. I guess it's a good thing, but I'm gonna need some new info soon to fill my notebook. An ouch came from a soft voice. As I looked where she bumped on me, I saw a short girl of a relatively thin build on the floor, with honey brown hair curved inwards in a mushroom-shaped bob that reached just below her narrow shoulders. I'm sorry, I wasn't looking at where I'm going, I said as I reached out my hand to the girl. It's okay, Shroom. I'm in the same boat. I should have seen you as well, considering how large you are, Shroom, she said with a shy smile. As she grabs my hand, I can't help but feel how soft her hand is or how light she feels. What's wrong with me? By the way, I'm Midoriya Izuku, nice to meet you, MS. Komori Kinoko, Shroom. Komori-san, how what a cute name. Let's hang out together. Perhaps after class. Sure. She answered, a bit red on the face. Great, let's go meet up at the front gate. I wave at her as I go to my class. I never knew I had it in me. I'm pretty nervous myself. As I open the door, I'm greeted with the curious eyes of 19 other students. One of them was my childhood friend, Bakugo Katsuki, an ash-blonde guy with spiky hair, red eyes, and pretty average height. TCH. He set his tongue. What's his problem? Hey old man, you seem to be lost. The senior houses are right across the street, shouted one of the students. Laughter from everyone echoes across the room. Nah, I'm good. I'm Midoriya Izuku, by the way, I say with the biggest smile I can do. The student showed a confused look, wary if I was pulling the rug under them or not. Mono Manito. Monomekan. Hope we get along, I smile as I reach out my hand. Lunch break. During lunch break, I ate alone at the cafeteria. It's not like I didn't make any friends. Okay, there's Komori-san, Kakin. Anyway, I'm sure they're just intimidated because of my size. Yup, the gap between me and my classmates will surely be closed eventually. Is this seat available? Shroom, I hear someone call out from my left. Yep, feel free, Komori-san. Thanks. After a quick silence, I spoke. Man, it's so easy these first few days of school. How we just introduce ourselves and the rest are free time. Hey, true. I guess it's mostly for us to start making friends, Shroom. I even got a few friends already, Shroom. I got beat, huh? Hey, mind if I ask some questions, Shroom? Sure, go ahead. Why did you want to hang out with me, Shroom? She looks down. Why not? You seem kind, cute, and I just had a feeling it'll be fun to know more about you. Oui, she stutters. You okay? I ask, wondering if something happened to her. Maybe she's allergic to the food now. I'm getting worried. Twam fine, shroom, she half-shouted, gaining the attention of many other students, her face a little red. If you're sure. Yeah, shroom. Anyway, may I ask your quirk, shroom? Me, I have super strength. Not super special, but I can lift a car on one side with a hand. While it sounds impressive, it's par for the course for someone with a strength-enhancing quirk. That's awesome, shroom. I got mushroom. I can spread mushroom spores and have it fully grow upon contact, shroom. Hopefully, none are cordyceps. I think, kind of scared of the potential of her quirk. That's awesome, Commerce, and just imagine the type of things you could do with such a quirk. Really, you don't think it's creepy, shroom? Far from it. Well, it'll be scary to fight against, to be honest. But that just means that you'll be a great hero in the future. Thanks, shroom, she said, face red as a tomato. I kinda want to be an idol hero in the future, shroom. That's a nice dream. I'm sure you'll be adorable, singing and dancing on stage, I said, mentally taking note of this for later. Why yeah, shroom, she said, sipping on her juice. We continued talking about random things until the end of lunch. I returned to my classroom, greeted by Monoma. Hey, man, he said. Monoma said, with a Bekugo's fist-sized black eye. I'll need to talk to Kakin later on about this. Hello, Manomakan. How's lunch? I said. Life-changing. He joked, to which we laughed. Listen, I know I was a baitake. I was an ass to you earlier. I came here to apologize, he said, bowing. Hey, man. Water under the bridge. Friends, I say. Friends, he said. And just like that, I made my first second male friend at school. Yup, second. After school. As soon as the bell rings, I stood up and made my beeline to the front gates, waiting for Commerson. As I was waiting for her, I've seen some rather peculiar students and their quirks. One was a purple-haired girl with earphone jacks as her earlobe. Looks useful. A student that has a manga dialogue box as his head. How does he even breathe? One's a floating set of schoolgirl uniform. Could be a girl or a guy that just likes to cross-dress. I ain't judging. Not like I can tell without touching them. I see a few more of these students until I saw Commerson with two of her friends. One was an orange-haired girl with a side ponytail. Another is a dark-haired one with a very neutral expression. As Commerson saw me, she started running towards here and suddenly grabbed my hand. Hello there, Como. Let's go. Whoa, she dragged me outside. I know I wasn't ready for it, but she's surprisingly strong. We ran outside until the school's no longer visible to us. I had no problem keeping up with her since I'm actually extremely athletic thanks to my quirk. On the other hand, she got very winded due to this. Pant good. We got away, shruom. She'll really need to build up stamina if she wants to be an idol hero. Dancing while singing while going 100% on both are no joke, after all. Never mind the hero aspect of that. Got away, Commerson. Were they trying to bully you? If that's the case, then I'll go have a word with them. I say with as stern of a voice and face as I can to convey how serious this is. Granted, they don't look like it at all, but it's actually very easy to disguise bullying as harmless fun between friends. A little pulling the hair here, a little bump or tripping as they walk together there, or even social bullying. I will not let anyone, let alone a friend of mine, get bullied under my watch. What no? No tea they're not, shroom. So she says, but it could also be a case of the victim not even realizing that they're being bullied. But for now, I'll just take her word for it. I'll find it out sooner or later if we continue to hang out anyway. Then why are running away from them, I ask. Her face practically glowing red. Is she that winded from running? When I said that I'm meeting someone after school, they began asking questions, shroom. When they found out it's a guy, they starting saying I should let them meet my boyfriend, shroom. Her face getting redder by the second. Oh, is that all? I say as I use the vending machine to get her a mushroom-flavored juice. Haha, I didn't know you're the possessive type, Commerson. That's cute. I joke. She started chugging the juice as soon as I said that. Let's go, I say as I held her hand and we started walking. Where are we going, shroom? I'm kinda thinking we should head to a karaoke place I know. Since you said you want to be an idol hero, I've been looking forward to hearing your singing voice since lunch break. She sounded hesitant for a bit, but she eventually agreed. All right, she said. No shroom this time. The karaoke place I took her to is just a normal one. But I like it here since I know there won't be issues like the machines missing some songs or the machines downright being non-functioning. I'm also sure that the rooms aren't used by customers for that. Whatever that is. Oh, Izuku can welcome an old lady calls. Tenchusen. Good afternoon. I bow as I greet. It's usually her grandson who welcomes the customers, but it seems he has yet to return from school. Oh my, I see you brought company. Would you introduce your little friend to me? She's Commerson. Commerson, this is Tenchusen. She's the owner of this place. Hello, shroom. What a cute lady. It's nice to know that Izuku-kun is getting more friends. Such a helpful young fellow. I thought he wouldn't have the time to make friends. Tenchusen, I say. He'd always offer help. Even when he ran by us as he jogged yesterday, he offered to help move the new karaoke machines we got. The helpers were even lost on what to do. Hi. All right, Tenchusen. We'd like to rent one for an hour. I interject before she embarrasses me further. Go ahead, I'll even let you use the brand new ones. Got it, I got the key and ordered a few snacks and drinks. As we walked to the karaoke room, I started to notice that Kamarison is wearing a wide smile across her face. As long as she's happy, it's fine, I guess. We browsed the catalog for the songs and she decided on her first 3. We agreed that we'll take turns 3 songs each. The first one she picked is less of a song and more of a remix. I'm actually surprised they had it here. Her face turned to a determined look and, dare I say, a pretty one. What's wrong with me? I'm actually impressed how much she nailed it. And she said it's her warm-up song. Wow, I'm surprised how flawless you managed that. I say, clapping. Hey, I've been practicing, shroom. It definitely shows. I can already imagine you on stage. Okay, maybe not this song, but still. You're exaggerating, shroom. I still have 2 more songs, she says, but I can see a wide smile on her face. She's in her element here. She proceeded to enter the next song. I'm speechless at the display I'm seeing right now. It's not a perfect rendition, but I'm confident that if she started joining auditions, she'll very easily take at least a top 3 spot. More than possible, the winner. How was it, shroom, she asked, a little shy. How was it? I'm surprised you haven't been scouted yet. I tell her my honest impression of her singing. It's honestly that good. Thank you. You're sweet, you know that, shroom. Well, you make it easy, I say with a wink. It may have petrified her a bit. Was it too much? Hey. Thanks, shroom. Anyway, I'll sing the last one so I can hear your voice, shroom, she says as she's fanning her face with her hand. Can't disappoint now, can I? She entered the code for the next song. This one I'm very familiar with. She dances along with the song. I thought she lacked stamina for doing this, but she seems to have it down pat. How many times have I been surprised this day? Quite a few times, actually. I don't think this can be topped for a while. At the risk of sounding like a broken record, I'll still say that I'm astonished. Kamarison, look what you're doing. I'm running out of words to describe how amazing that was, I say with a bit of laughter. Thanks, shroom. Throughout the day, I've noticed how easily affected Kamarison is by compliments. While I can't say there isn't a market for that as an idol hero, it'll only make it difficult for her in the long run if someone complimented her while she's fighting someone and freezes up. So I decided to compliment her as much as possible, so that she'll get used to it. I make sure to be sincere with everyone though. Not that that's hard. Well, it's my turn now, prepare to swoon, I say with a smirk, to be greeted by a smile so bright, you'd think Helios is right in front of me. Well, I really can't disappoint her now, can I? 2 hours later, I was walking Kamarison home since it's getting dark. At first, she says that it'll be alright, but I wasn't raised by my mother to leave a lady alone walking in the dark. Also, I dunno. It just felt right. Thanks again for walking me back, shroom. It should be okay here now, shroom. Gotcha, see you tomorrow, Kamarison. She then walks forward to me and hugged me tight before running to her front door. See you tomorrow, Izuku-kun, shroom. And she enters her house. I started jogging to the train station while holding back the speed. If I really wanted, I could easily run as fast as a car on a highway, but that'll make it too obvious I'm using my quirk in public. I stop for a moment to make sure I'm going the right way. Pulling up my phone's GPS, I start memorizing the next few streets back to the train station despite coming from there a few minutes back. I then realize I went past the street I'm supposed to go and have to backtrack halfway. I'm not good with directions, okay. Then I saw a person right in front of me. Looks like a homeless man. They're not that common anymore, with many heroes providing help to the homeless. While it may not be much, I open my wallet so I can give him money except for my fare home to at least let him get a proper meal or two. As I approached, I could hear him muttering something. Izuku, haha, they are coming. Both gods and men would die, and the world will end in fire and ice. But first you must die. What, I asked. The of Arthur has continued. The end must never find the beginning. The sword that was lost must never be found. What are you talking about? The of Arthur has continued. The end must never find the beginning. The sword that was lost must never be found. Are you okay, man? While concerned, I still want to help if he needs one right now. I slowly position myself so I can get a better look at the man. He then pulled up a knife and lunged at me. It was crazy fast how quickly he closed the distance. Before I knew it, the tip of the blade is almost touching my eye. But then it's as if time stopped. Not only that, but the dark street looked clear as day and power is running through my veins. I looked at my hand and saw playing cards of all things. As if by instinct, I played the hand, 3 of a kind. Then a mysterious force hit the man and launched him across several streets. I was gonna go and check if he's alright, but I felt a strong pull to run away from here as soon as possible. So I did. I went to the train station and went straight to my house and to my room. Too shaken by what happened. What was that? I'm tempted to just shrug it off and just say it's part of my quirk. But it doesn't feel that way. Something tells me I'm wrong. I don't know what. Then the door opens and I saw my mom. Izuku, are you alright? Why won't you turn on the lights? Oh, right. I didn't. It's honestly hard to tell the difference. It's nothing, Mom. I'm practicing my stealth skills for when I get to be a hero, I said with a smile. Again, I have no idea what, but it doesn't feel like telling what happened to Mom is the right thing to do. Haha, silly boy. You're just like your father. Anyway, you've got to eat dinner now. I get that you're hanging out with a girl, but you can't forget your own health. How did she know it's a girl? I did say I'm hanging out with someone, but not a girl. It's called mother's intuition, Izuku. I just stared at her. I'm muttering, aren't I? Hey. Yes, you are. Come, go eat your dinner before it gets cold again. I just heated up. Okay, Mom. Third person POV. Him. It looks like he awakened way earlier than I thought. A woman with straight hair and a presence as dazzling as the sun said. I honestly thought it won't happen for another 10 years. She thought, it isn't that surprising, is it? It's the normal age an evoker awakens their power. A woman with dark purple long hair with bangs and golden irises said. Still, it feels early. He's still too weak to fight off a defiler, never mind the beings who see gods as nothing more than snack bars. Fujiyama, make it known that at least until he finds the beginning, he'll be under my protection. Yes, my liege, the woman called Fujiyama says. Now, I wonder what Father and Merlin plan to do this time, but I do hope you fulfill your destiny and survive to tell the tale. I would have liked to share a drink with you one day, little brother. The morning sun filtered through the classroom windows, casting a warm glow on the desks as the day began. I settled into my seat, the routine of the school day unfolding around me. As the class settled in, a few classmates approached with grateful smiles, breaking the monotony of my usual morning routine. Hey, Midoriya-kun, thanks for helping me out with that math problem yesterday. I finally get it, Yuki said, a genuine expression of gratitude on her face. I couldn't help but smile back, genuinely pleased to see my assistance making a difference. You're welcome. I'm glad I could help. The word spread, and soon, others joined in expressing their thanks for the support I had offered in various subjects. It was a humbling experience, knowing that my efforts to assist my classmates were having a positive impact. As the teacher began the day's lesson, I reflected on how different things were compared to the start of the school year. Back then, my height seemed to cast a shadow over my attempts to connect with my peers. Now, as I looked around the classroom, I saw friendly faces that had been absent before. The initial barrier of intimidation, caused by my towering height, had slowly crumbled as I found my place among my classmates. Helping others understand their lessons became a bridge that connected us, transcending the awkwardness of earlier months. With each thank you and smile, I couldn't help but feel a warmth in my. It wasn't just about dispelling the misunderstandings, it was about building connections and creating a positive environment where everyone felt comfortable to ask for help. As the morning unfolded, I carried that sense of camaraderie with me, grateful for the growth and acceptance that had marked the journey from being an intimidating figure to a helpful friend. The morning continued, and my thoughts drifted to my friend, Monoma. He was a guy often misunderstood due to his intense competitiveness. Despite his sometimes brash exterior, I knew him to be a good person, always willing to lend a hand or offer support when needed. However, there was one person in our circle who didn't share my sentiments. Komura-san, for some reason, harbored a deep-seated dislike for Monoma. I'd noticed the tension between them, the cold glances and pointed remarks exchanged whenever they were in the same vicinity. It puzzled me. I wondered if it was Monoma's competitive streak that irked her or if there was something else beneath the surface. Komura-san had never been one to openly express disdain, so the reasons behind her intense dislike remained a mystery. I found myself caught in the middle, trying to maintain my friendship with Monoma while navigating the strained atmosphere whenever Komura-san was around. It was a delicate balance, and I often wondered if there was a way to bridge the gap between them. Perhaps it was a clash of personalities or a misunderstanding waiting to be unraveled. Whatever the case, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to Komura-san's animosity than met the eye. As the day progressed, I pondered the dynamics of our little group, hoping that someday the tension between Komura-san and Monoma would ease, and they could see the good in each other that I saw. Amid the day's lessons and interactions, my thoughts inevitably turned to Komura-san. Over the past few months, we'd been hanging out more often, and I couldn't deny the joy her presence brought into my life. There was a unique comfort in our friendship, a sense of ease that made every moment together enjoyable. Whether it was sharing a laugh over a funny incident or discussing our favorite books during lunch, I found myself looking forward to our time together. Komura-san's shy yet genuine personality resonated with me, and the more I got to know her, the more I appreciated the warmth she brought into my life. Her classmates had picked up on the budding friendship, and the teasing began. Light-hearted comments, sly smiles, and playful nudges accompanied us whenever we were in each other's company. The camaraderie within our group extended to good-natured banter about the bond forming between Komura-san and me. At first, the teasing had caught me off guard, but as I spent more time with Komura-san, I realized the teasing was a testament to the strong connection we were building. Her classmates saw something between us, perhaps something we were only beginning to understand ourselves. Despite the good-natured ribbing, I couldn't help but appreciate the dynamics unfolding. Komura-san brought out a side of me that felt at ease, and in return, I saw her gradually opening up, her laughter becoming more frequent, her shyness giving way to moments of genuine joy. As the day progressed, I found myself anticipating the next opportunity to spend time with Komura-san. Whether it was the shared laughter, the quiet moments of understanding, or the light teasing from our classmates, the growing connection between us felt like a source of happiness in the midst of the school routine. As I lost myself in thoughts about Komura-san, she appeared at the class door, a warm smile lighting up her face. Hey, Izuku, I made you a bento today, shroom. Hope you like it, shroom. Nerd, your girlfriend's here, says Kaken. No, she's not my girlfriend. I didn't know you're the type to tease, Kaken. But you really should stop. You're making her uncomfortable. This earned a confused glare from Kaken and a defeated sigh from Komura-san. What did I do? I then grinned appreciatively, the regularity of her thoughtful gestures becoming a comforting routine. Thanks, Komura-san. I always look forward to your bentos. You're spoiling me. She chuckled softly, setting the neatly packed bento on the table. Well, it's the least I can do, shroom. At the cafeteria, I took a bite of Komura-san's bento, and the flavors exploded in my taste buds. Komura-san, this is exceptionally good. Your cooking skills are amazing. She blushed, a shy smile playing on her lips. Thank you, Izuku. My mother helped me with the recipe, shroom. She's a fantastic cook. Give her also my thanks for the wonderful meal, then. Oh, okay, shroom. Too will, she said, red in the cheeks. Geez, if I didn't know any better, I'd have mistaken you two for a newlywed couple, said Izuku, who was sitting beside me. A smirk plastered on her face as she ate her beefsteak. Won't the police arrest Midoriya if that's the case, said Kodason with a deadpan expression, eating the cafeteria's zanpan. Oh, right, I've also started hanging out with Komura-san's friends. There's the orange-haired styled with a side ponytail girl named Kendo Itsuka, and also a black-haired girl with a pixie cut named Kodai Yui. I was a bit wary of them at first because of what Komura-san mentioned on the first day, but I was able to make sure that they were, in fact, not bullying her. Our lunchtime gathering had become a familiar routine. Itsuka joined us, her vibrant energy complementing Komura-san's shy warmth. Yui's Yui, I guess. The three friends brought a lively dynamic to the table, and the teasing banter between them added a touch of laughter to our daily ritual. I couldn't help but shake my head at the absurdity of it all. People were treating our friendships like some sort of romantic subplot in an anime. Komura-san, with her shy demeanor, Itsuka and her energetic personality, and Yui, the silent yet wise presence. Your interactions were genuine, built on shared interests and understanding. My connection with Yui, silent and stoic, was straightforward, a platonic friendship built on shared moments and unspoken understanding. Yet, when thoughts turned to Itsuka, the waters grew murky, and the landscape of our relationship became a blend of friendship and something more. I couldn't deny the energy she brought into our group, the infectious laughter, shared jokes, and the effortless brightness she cast upon our moments. Itsuka was more than a friend, she was a vibrant presence, an integral part of our circle. Yet, as the unspoken tension lingered between us, the nature of my feelings remained elusive. Haha, I'm sure whoever gets to marry a cute girl like Komura-san is gonna be one hell of a lucky bastard, Kendo-san. I said. It honestly feels weird for her of all people to be saying these things. You say that, but if you two are getting married, it better be before you're 30, says Itsuka, with a slight hope found in her eyes. As if it's a deadline she set herself. What are you talking about, Kendo-san? Regardless of my and Komura-san's relationship, it's not uncommon for people nowadays to be married in their 30s. I told her. It's not unusual for people these days to prioritize their careers over marrying someone. Financial security is one of the reasons why. I guess, Itsuka said. A very sad look on her face, almost tearing up. It's like her final wish just got dashed and stomped on. Are you okay? I asked Itsuka. I'm fine too, will be fine. I was just being unreasonable, I guess. Don't worry. If you say that, I'm more likely to worry. But I'll take her word for it for now. It seems a very sensitive subject. Seeing her almost cry wasn't something I expected or wanted to happen. It almost makes me want to hug her. Tell her it'll be alright, but I have no idea what it is, so it's probably best not to assume things, especially when she doesn't seem to want to talk about it. While Kodason being quiet isn't that strange, Komura-san being quiet is. At least to this extent. I looked at her, and it seemed that she was frozen solid. Likely due to the topic of marriage being brought up. She'll need to build some resistance to that. I tapped her shoulder to stop her, to bring her back to reality. What had happened? She looked around, confused. Nothing much, but unfortunately, lunch break's almost over. We're gonna have to go back to class to return in time. I told her. Oh, we were still hanging out later, shroom, right? She asked with a hopeful face. Sorry, I can't. I have to run a few errands. Oh, she has a disappointed look on her face. I'll still walk with you partway. I just can't hang out more than that. Again, I'm sorry. I'll make it up to you later. I promise. It's okay, you don't have to apologize, nor do you have to make up for it, shroom. I'm just glad I get to spend time together with you, shroom. A smile as bright as a burst of sunshine made me feel warm inside. So do I. You sure it's okay? Get a room, you two, Itsuka teased, which made us both blush, embarrassed by the teasing. Anyway, I better go back to class. The teacher might ask me to do something as a class prez, you know, I said to them. Okay, see you later, shroom. After school, Kanoko POV. The final bell rang, and my heart skipped a beat. Today Izuku promised we'd walk home together. I sat at my desk, gathering my books, anticipation bubbling within me. Itsuka approached, excitement written all over her face. Hey, Kanoko, guess what? I saw Midoriya earlier. I told him I'd pick him up for you guys. I furrowed my brow, suspicion growing. It all seemed too convenient, and Izuku hadn't mentioned the change himself. I glanced around the classroom door for Izuku, but he was nowhere in sight. Why hadn't he let me know about this? Really, that's nice of you, Shroom, I replied, trying to sound appreciative. Itsuka pointed towards the door leading to Izuku's classroom, an unspoken message lingering in the air. Doubt crept into my thoughts, but I pushed it aside, trying to trust Itsuka's intentions. Thanks, Itsuka. I appreciate it, Shroom, I said, forcing a smile to mask my uncertainty. As Itsuka made her way towards the door, presumably to check on Izuku, I remained at my desk, a mix of anticipation and unease settling in. The classroom felt oddly quiet, and a nagging feeling lingered that something was shifting beneath the surface of our friendship triangle. I stood, took my bag, and made my way to the school gates, the agreed-upon meeting point. As I reached the familiar spot, I scanned the crowd, half expecting to see Izuku approaching. The minutes ticked by, and the unease I felt earlier began to grow into a knot of worry. Just as I was about to give in to the nagging feeling and dial Izuku's number, the familiar figures of Izuku and Itsuka emerged from the school building. They approached, but something was off. Izuku, usually neat and composed, looked strangely disheveled, his hair tousled and his uniform slightly askew. Itsuka, too, seemed out of sorts, her usually confident demeanor replaced by a nervous energy. Hey, Komura-san, Izuku greeted, a sheepish smile on his face. Sorry, we're late. We had a bit of a situation. I couldn't help but raise an eyebrow at the vague explanation. What happened, Shroom? Is everything okay, Shroom? Itsuka exchanged a quick glance with Izuku before responding. Yeah, everything's fine. We just ran into a little unexpected trouble. You know how it goes. The unease I felt earlier resurfaced, gnawing at the edges of my curiosity. Trouble, Shroom? What kind of trouble, Shroom? Izuku scratched the back of his head, a nervous habit of his. It's nothing, really. Just a small incident in my class. Itsuka here helped me out. That's all. The air was thick with unspoken words, and my suspicions deepened. They were hiding something, and the strange understanding between Izuku and Itsuka only fueled my growing unease. All right, I said, forcing a smile while deciding to let it go for the moment. Let's just head home, Shroom. As we walked together, the atmosphere remained tense. The unspoken secrets lingered, casting a shadow over what was supposed to be a simple walk home. As we walked, Izuku eventually broke away from our little trio. His house was in the opposite direction. I watched him disappear around a corner, the unease in my growing stronger. There was something about his disheveled appearance that didn't sit right with me. Left alone with Itsuka, the weight of my suspicions lingered. I mustered the courage to bring it up, but my shyness held me back. We walked in an awkward silence for a while before I finally mustered the courage to speak. Itsuka, about earlier, Shroom with Izuku, Shroom. What really happened, Shroom? Itsuka's eyes furrowed, a momentary hesitation before she grinned. Oh, that's just a little mishap. Nothing to worry about, Kinoko. I nodded, still feeling unconvinced. But he seemed really disheveled, Shroom. Are you sure everything's okay, Shroom? Itsuka chuckled, her tone reassuring. Honestly, it's fine. We sorted it out. Just some unexpected trouble, like I said. Despite her reassurances, a knot of doubt tightened in my stomach. The unspoken tension hung between us, and my shyness kept me from pressing further. I decided to change the subject, steering the conversation toward lighter topics as we continued our walk. As we approached my street, I couldn't shake the feeling that something significant had occurred, something Itsuka wasn't sharing. The weight of unspoken words lingered, leaving me to navigate the murky waters of doubt and unease alone. I heard my alarm as I started blinking away the residue of sleep. I found myself suspended between dreams and the waking world. A groan escaped my lips as I stretched, limbs protesting the intrusion of consciousness. Fragments of the previous night seeped into my consciousness, and with a start, I recalled the unexpected display of an unknown force. It was as if some dormant capability had awakened within me, leaving me both exhilarated and unsettled. As I sat on the edge of the bed, the memory of that unexplained power hung in the air like a question mark. The room felt different, charged with a subtle energy that whispered of possibilities beyond the ordinary. I ran a hand through my disheveled hair, grappling with the realization that something extraordinary had unfolded in the quiet hours of the night. The mystery of this newfound ability lingered, casting a shadow over the mundane routine of the day ahead. I made my bed, my mind still occupied, thinking of what it was. As I finished, I made my way to the hallway, to the dining area, and saw Mom already setting up the breakfast. Good morning, Mom, I say with a smile, trying to push the doubts of that power down my throat. Whatever it is, it's going to have to wait. Good morning, Izuku, how's your sleep? Mom asked with a smile as she served the meal. It's perfect, 8 full hours of serene sleep, just as any hero needs, I lied. Every 40 minutes or so, I found myself caught in a dance between wakefulness and a desire for slumber. The room, bathed in shadows, became a stage for this internal struggle. The clock's ticking marked each cycle, a reminder of a night defined by fragmented rest and fleeting attempts at tranquility. I don't like lying to my mom like this, but I wouldn't want her to worry. That is great to hear, hun, Mom said. I'm both amazed and grateful for my mom's accepting nature. Not like I make it a habit of hiding things from her, but I found her to always take things at face value. After this exchange, I then turned to our breakfast. It is a traditional one, with miso soup, grilled salmon, kuber and konbu tsukemono, and of course, the staple steamed rice. Finishing breakfast, I swiftly prepared for school, the familiar routine of gathering books and slipping them into my backpack. Sunlight bathed the room, a brief pause before venturing into the day's possibilities. With a final check, I stepped into the bustling world beyond, ready for whatever lay ahead. School. Arriving at the school gates, I coincidentally saw Komura-san. Approaching the school gates, I joined the stream of students, each step carrying me into the whirlwind of another day. Komura-san stood by the school gates, accompanied by 2 other female students. As our eyes met, Komura-san's face lit up with recognition. We exchanged greetings, and it is then I was introduced to Kenda-san and Kodi-san. As we strolled towards the school building, I couldn't help but notice Kenda-san's curious glances. Her eyes, filled with an inquisitive spark, periodically furred in my direction. It was as if the unspoken question lingered in the air, and I found myself wondering about the thoughts behind those searching looks. As we split up to go to our respective classes, she gave me one last curious look. The classes continued as normal, with nobody really talking to me except for Monomakon. After lunch but before going to the cafeteria, I walked to Kaken's desk. "Hey, Kaken, mind if we talk for a bit?" I asked, still curious about what happened between him and Monomakon. However, for some reason, everyone in our class was frozen stiff and looking at us worriedly, eyeing at us as if we're about to demolish the classroom any second now. He looks at me with his glare that I wouldn't be surprised if Mitsuki-san said he has since birth. He then let out an irritated sigh. "Fine, nerd. But not here," he shouts with a voice I wouldn't be surprised if it's heard even to the school gates. He started walking to the door and looked back and shouted, "You coming or not?" Sigh, I wish he'd try to control his voice not to be so loud. We walked up the stairs until we were at the school rooftop. Apparently, Kaken's got a key from a teacher when he asked for it yesterday. One of the mysteries of the world is how people bend over backwards just to please Kaken, for some reason. Soon, we found ourselves making our way to the center of the school roof, an unofficial sanctuary for private conversations. The distant hum of the city below provided a backdrop. "Hey, Kaken. What really happened to Monomakon yesterday after lunch? It's nice to know I got more friends, but why did he have a black eye? Why do you assume it's me?" "Because I know what the bruises look like whenever you use your quirk on your fists. And it just so happens that the bruising on Monomakon's eyes had the same pattern." "Fine, you caught me. It's because that extra's made fun of you, and since your quirk's almost the same as All Might's, it felt like he's being made fun of too, so I warned him that he better watch his mouth, and that you can rearrange his face with no issues." "Kaken, I appreciate. I didn't do it for you, nerd. I did it because it felt like Pettiface is making fun of All Might." "Pettiface. Fine, so afterward you punched him?" I asked, still confused, since based on what he said, the discussion should have ended there. "No, Pettiface said something that irritated me to the core, so I punched him," he says as he displays a proud look as if asking for praise. "Is it weird that I think he looked like a Pomeranian Pomerface? That he's not something to be proud of. Kaken, you seriously need to stop having fights. I get it's still early, but if UA runs a background check on you and finds out you injured multiple students during middle and high school, it might make them reconsider accepting you. You know, using compassion to convince Kaken is almost certain to fail, so I'll try this in a way that'll make him understand. And they might not accept you for being such a pushover, but you haven't seen me complaining to you now. Did I? I'll do things my way and you do yours your way," he says as he starts walking back down, possibly to the cafeteria. So much for using the approach that'll make him understand. I then sighed loudly as if expelling the frustration building up. At the school cafeteria. I walked to the cafeteria to see it more crowded than a train going through Tokyo. As if on instinct, I started to scan the area to see if I can find Komura-san. "Let's see, hair that looks like a mushroom hair, ah, there she is." And it looked like she saw me too, as she immediately stood up and started waving in my direction. "Izuku here, shroom," she calls. You wouldn't believe she's one of the shyest people I know. Cute. Not that the list is long anyway. Also, I am so glad she mentioned my name. Otherwise, I'd be hesitating to answer, afraid that the one she was calling was behind me. Has happened to me more times than I'd like to admit. I walked over to her to see she was with Kenda-san and Kodi-san as well and had reserved a seat for me. I looked at the end of the line for food before Komura-san grabbed my attention. There's no need to wait in line, shroom. My mom taught me how to make bento, so we've made a lot, shroom. I can't eat them all, so I thought I'd pack another one for you, shroom. She's covering her face with the cover, but I can tell from here that her face is so red. If I didn't know any better, I'd have thought her quirk's related to tomato instead of mushrooms. These look delicious. Are you sure it's okay for me to eat it? I asked, since it felt like a shame to eat this. It's as much of an art as it is a meal. Oh, of course you can, shroom. I'd love it if you let me know how it tastes, shroom. I then pick up my chopsticks to start eating. Savoring the bites of the thoughtfully prepared bento, I couldn't help but appreciate the flavors unfolding in my mouth. The homemade meal, a kind gesture from someone dear, brought a genuine smile to my face. Each mouthful carried a sense of warmth and gratitude, turning a simple lunch into a moment of connection and comfort. Wow, this is incredible, you've really outdone yourself with this bento. Every bite is a burst of deliciousness, I exclaimed, directing my praise to the person who had put so much care into creating this culinary delight. Ah, really, shroom? Absolutely really, I exclaimed. This caused her to go red, but I also see Kendasan looking at me with curious eyes. Is there something the matter, Kendasan? I asked, honestly a bit unsettled by the gaze. It wouldn't have been a problem if I wasn't still shaken up by last night's events. No, nothing. I'm just glad to know that Kinoko has someone who constantly makes her smile. I aim to please, and having such a cute smile certainly doesn't hurt, I say with a grin. Do be careful now though. It's always the quiet ones that are scary. You might get yourself kidnapped and tied to a chair for the rest of her life if you make her jealous. Her shouldn't it be mine? Right. Why, you two are just teasing me now, are you? Shroom Komurasan interjected, an unusual deadpan on her face. Did she and Kodasan fuse or something? Perhaps, I say with a grin. Moo shroom. Mushroom. After school. Komurasan, Kendasan, Kodasan, and I have decided to hang out after school, meeting at the school gates. We went back to the karaoke place run by Tenchusan. Oh my Izuku-kun. I never thought you'd be such a ladies' man, she says as she takes a look at the three girls behind me. This caused Komurasan to go beet red. Seriously, is her quirk related to tomatoes? After all, Kendasan had a very surprised look. Kodasan's just has a very deadpan, if there's such a thing. Don't say that, Tenchusan, we're just friends, and please stop implying that I tarnish my beloved's honor by going after other women when I'm in a relationship. Not like I'm faring much better than Komurasan, with my face being red as well. Alright. I always knew you weren't the type to become such a sleaze, but I'm glad to have it confirmed, Izuku-kun, she said with a warm smile. Thanks, I guess. We'd like to rent the room for 2 hours, please, I say, because this way, everyone would have a chance to participate. We made our way to the vibrant realm of the karaoke room. The neon lights flared as we entered, the anticipation of a musical escapade palpable in the air. With each friend selecting their favorite tunes, the room soon resonated with a medley of voices. As the music enveloped us, the barriers of everyday life melted away, replaced by the pure joy of singing with friends. In that shared space, our voices intertwined, creating a melody that echoed the bonds of friendship. It was around the 1 hour mark when Kendasan brought up the idea of having a little competition where the losers would have to sing a song the winners chose. I was paired up with Komurasan, which made me think it'll be an easy victory, assuming that we'll base the competition around the scores we get at the end of the songs. But apparently, we'll decide with rock, paper, and scissors. What the heck? Komurasan and I lost, with Kendasan picking a love song duet. She's having fun, huh? The two of us finished the song and got a score of 98. If I'm to guess, it could be because I got carried away and sang the last part with our faces 8 or so centimeters from each other. Chew'll go on powder my nose, Shroom Komurasan said as she went outside for a little bit. Didn't notice she's wearing makeup, I said. To which, HAHAHAHAHA2 can't haha, Kendasan laughed while holding her stomach. What's so funny? Haha, sorry, sir. But that comment about the makeup is just a side-splitter, she said. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying yourself. Wait, did you just call me sir? I asked, to which she replied. Yeah, I didn't realize it yesterday because we were too far away. But you're a mage, aren't you? Mage, my quirk's super strength, you know, I asked, confused as to what she was talking about. Wait, you really don't know? She asked, also looking confused. Face no longer joking around. I don't. What do you mean, I'm a mage? Could this be related to the power yesterday? She then took a good long look at me. You said that you got super strength, right? Yeah. Any other powers? Durability, speed. I mean, yeah. I have those too. Not absurdly so, but aren't those just simply byproducts of my super strength, I say, remembering how I once caught up to a speeding car as a challenge. Or that one time when I asked Kakin to blast me with full power, not even getting a scratch on me. Mom got mad because of the destroyed clothes though, and got really mad when I explained what happened. Well, it's not impossible that your quirk's related to those, giving you further boost, but your power, or at least part of it, didn't come from your quirk. It came from your spark, she told me. Spark? What's that? I thought is my entire worldview being turned upside down. It's written all over your face, so I'll just explain. Spark is part of your soul, your connection to magic and the divine. This connection varies from person to person, which differentiates their overall power, she explained to me. That I said. That she asked. That is awesome, oh my god. There are a lot of implications with just what you said. That would mean that souls exist. Also, divine and magic are concepts I didn't consider as truth before. What makes up a soul also? This spark seems very interesting. I'm feeling excited just thinking about the experiments that can be done and what we'll learn. Okay, stop, she shouted at me and continued. First of all, you'll have to keep this an absolute secret. There are mages that will not take kindly if the information spreads, mages who can wipe out the country before you even know it, and while I don't mind dying eventually, 12 is just too early. Can you promise that? Of course, I swear upon my honor, I said. If such beings exist, then there's not much we could do. I then asked further, you mentioned that there are types of what do you call it sparks, what are those and what do I have? There are basically 3 types, and sorting them based on rarity, you have a healer, an enchanter, and an evoker. Healers are self-explanatory. Enchanters create constructs. Evokers are the top off the line fighters. They use raw energy to beat enemies. You know those elements fire, lightning, ice, etc. I don't know much about evokers since they're rare enough as it is. Rare, how rare? I asked. Like 1 or 2 being born every generation or so around the world. Like, super rare. Gran said that there are times when hundreds of years go by without one being born, though it doesn't happen a lot. Depends on how much a god can keep it in their pants, she said. Cool. So what's yours, Kendasan? I asked, excited to learn more about this. You're asking mine first, she asked, surprised. I'm saving that mystery to last, I replied. So, really, what's yours? I don't have one. I'm a werewolf. We got the physicality to match an evoker and we can regenerate from any injury that won't instantly kill us. We don't have sparks though. That's still so cool. Okay, so for the reveal, what's mine? You're an evoker, Kodasan said, startling me a little bit. In case you're wondering, I'm a healer. What Kendo left out was the reason for your kind's rarity is that it usually takes several generations of enchanters breeding to get their most powerful in generations, and that individual laying with a god, or with something close enough in power to one. The difference doesn't even matter. The evoker born can technically sire another evoker if they slept with another one with a spark, but it depends on the child's or the god's power, and how many generations it goes. Twice or thrice if they're especially powerful, and, or their mates are also powerful, she said. I'm equally amazed at the information and how much Kodasan's speaking right now. Wait, first of all, how could you tell I'm an evoker? I asked. There are dozens of questions popping out of my mind right now just because of the revelation, but I think it's important to establish a base fact here first. We knew it based on your aura, Kendasan said. Yours is like all blazing, all-consuming fire that will engulf anything in its path. Nothing says evoker more than that. Wait, you can't tell, she continued. I can't, I said. I felt my senses improved as soon as I got my powers, but nothing enough that'll let me see the previously unseen. Well, wait a minute, my mom's never displayed any powers like what you're describing. If you're saying that it takes generations to have an evoker child, then you're the first generation in your line. In other words, you're a demigod. You're the first generation in your line. In other words, you're a demigod, Kendasan said. And the parent's not just any god too. One powerful enough to elevate your line from a normie straight up to an evoker. Likely a greater power, said Kodasan, using words I have no idea about. Normie greater power, I asked. I'm back, Shroom. It is then when Kamarasan went back from retouching her makeup. I gotta say, I can hardly tell the difference. She's cute the way she is. Welcome back, Kamarasan, I replied. Let's continue our discussion later, Kendasan whispered to me, which earned a raised eyebrow from Kamarasan. Her eyes kept alternating between me and Kendasan until she sighed, apparently going to let this go, though she made it a point to sit between the two of us. How adorable. Kendasan held an amused smile as she looked at her friend. We then continued our singing until the time ran out. The journey home was a delightful symphony of laughter and chatter, our footsteps syncing in a rhythm of shared experiences. Kamarasan, walking beside me, cast shy glances that spoke volumes, her occasional smiles revealing a hidden world of unspoken feelings. Kendasan, the embodiment of energy, led the way, her animated stories adding a lively tempo to our stroll. Yusin, the quiet observer, walked beside her, her serene presence a calming undertone to the lively banter. As we reached the crossroads, Kendasan assured me with a playful grin, "Don't worry, I'll make sure Kamarasan gets home safely. Take care on your way." The parting words echoed with the warmth of friendship, and with a nod, I ventured down my path, leaving behind the laughter of the day. The following months are spent with school, hanging out with my friends, and training with Kendasan, who agreed to do so when I proposed the idea, and she learned I have nobody to really learn from in Japan. I could have gone to a university in Scotland, but I'm both too young to do so, and I'm not comfortable leaving my mom all alone, who's still feeling the loss of her beloved. I also learned that it's very likely my dad's still alive somewhere, since no greater power was known to have died in the past 100 years or so. So unless I was conceived by the divine ghost or something, he's likely still there somewhere. Around a month in, I asked something from Kendasan. Wait, how could you tell I'm an evoker? I asked. There are dozens of questions popping out of my mind right now just because of the revelations, but I brought up something I should have way before. You're just asking that now. We knew it based on your aura, Kendasan said. Yours is like all blazing, all-consuming fire that will engulf anything in its path. Nothing says evoker more than that. Wait, you can't tell, she continued. I can't, I said. I felt my senses improved as soon as I got my powers, but nothing enough that let me see the previously unseen. Guess that's something you'll need to work out. You may be able to reduce a building to ashes in a single attack, but you'll still die if they sneak up on you and decapitate your head. Speaking of reducing buildings in a single attack, take these, she said. What are these? I asked, pretty sure she's not giving me this so I can just pawn it off and live a comfortable life. Those gems will let you cast more powerful spells. Always notice your attacks are unusually lacking the punch evokers are known for. Just put it inside your spark and you'll be able to use the gem spell. This set is for fire damage. Each gem will have a different amount of power required to use them, but they're exponentially more powerful than the last. I can only give you these ones since I don't have one for the other elements. I'll try to ask Gran if she has extras or something later. What do you mean? Put it in my spark, I can't see them. Remember, I asked, wondering what she was talking about. Just put them in your or whatever. Anyway, just try it. It's not like you'll lose anything, Kendawson said to me, pushing the gems into my hands. I did exactly what she said and felt them enter something. I then let out a full house to see it vaporize an abandoned car in less than half a second. Dang, that's a lot of power, Kendawson said. How much did you let out? She asked. I dunno, a full house, I guess, I answered, still in awe of how hot it must have been. So you see cards when you use magic? She asked. Yeah, why isn't it the same for everyone? No, from what I've been told, magic itself is chaotic, so it's just your mind's way of making sense of it all. Strange thing for a 12-year-old though, not like I'm judging. Anyway, let's go back to training, she said. She's a pretty demanding companion, but over the months, I've felt myself be exponentially more powerful than when I started. I've also earned money to help out Mom financially by sending anonymous letters containing tens of thousands of yen every now and then. Thankfully, I was able to buy the complete set of the gems, except for each of the true gems, the strongest gem tier. They're insanely expensive. Seriously, I've seen ones costing tens of millions, one in particular even costing billions of British pounds, since the seller lives there. Shudders. I look back at the memories I've created these past months. Sure, there are challenges and there are times when I almost died, but I found myself smiling whenever I look back at these adventures. On top of that, I've gotten closer than ever to Izuku, though for some reason, she made me promise only to call her that while we're alone. I guess it's fine. Over time, I've gotten to appreciate her gadgeter attitude. Some of them rubbed off on me. While I was with her, I enjoyed the feeling of letting go, only thinking about the now. The nature of our relationship has changed over time. I just don't know what it is. Love, it doesn't feel like one. But it's definitely not just simple friendship either. Best friend, I dunno. It's also different from what I feel about Kamura-san. It was then that I suddenly felt something weird. It was only as I walked further that I became aware of the profound silence surrounding me. The usual city symphony, with its cacophony of sounds, had slipped away unnoticed, leaving me in a world eerily devoid of the familiar background noise. The stillness wrapped around me, prompting a sudden realization that the vibrant life of the streets had inexplicably hushed. A shiver crawled up my spine as I stumbled upon an unsettling sight: a decaying dog carcass with eyes aglow in an eerie shade of purple. Its teeth, more menacing than any natural creature's, seemed to defy the laws of decay, gleaming in a way that made sharks' teeth appear dull in comparison. The chilling gaze of those amethyst eyes seemed to lock onto mine, casting an otherworldly pallor over the aunts of familiar surroundings. A hellhound, not the first one I've seen, but this is the first time I've seen one with glowing eyes. Usually, a hellhound's master is a necromancer who's just getting started on their way to becoming a serial killer, but whatever raised this dog's corpse wouldn't be a joke. The dog then moved with uncanny swiftness. I tried to hit it with lightning, but before I could let out the attack, its teeth sank into my arm. Sprayed in chaotic patterns as its razor-sharp teeth sank deeper into my hands, the crimson fluid a stark contrast against the lifeless pallor of the creature. In the nick of time, Izuku arrived with a swift and decisive blow, smashing into the undead dog and forcing it to release its grip. The resounding impact echoed through the air, a moment of salvation amid the chaos. "You okay?" she asked. Itsuka's face wore a mix of shock and worry, her features etched with concern, yet a determined focus in her eyes. With careful poise, she kept the undead dog within her sight, a readiness to confront the unnatural threat. "Yeah, it'll heal," I replied. While an evoker's healing factor doesn't normally hold a snuff to a werewolf's, what doesn't outright kill us, even near fatal wounds, will typically heal by the next morning. "Let's teach this undead mutt a lesson," I said, pissed off since regardless if it'll heal or not, it still hurt a lot. My mind for a second going to a dark route, making me imagine what I'll do to this oversized butt sniffer. I shook my head, reminding myself not to go there, not to lose myself. "It is too late, Winter Child. We have your scent. You cannot run from us," the undead mutt said. "It talks?" I asked, surprised. "They come. The gods have grown old and weak. Merlin's spawn cannot stop them. But first, Winter Child, you will die," it said as it lunges again, clearly targeting me. I didn't make the same mistake as last time. I immediately let out pure kinetic energy, given the corporeal form of a large fist to its snout, straight flush stunning it for a moment. The sound of the impact can be heard kilometers across. Izuku tried to slash it, with it avoided a fatal slice, only losing one of its limbs. It is then I let out a lightning attack. Bye-bye Pooch Royal Flush. This sent enough electricity to power Tokyo for a month straight to its body all at once. The carcass turned to ash, leaving behind an unsettling quiet that echoed the unnatural encounter. Itsuka's expression shifted from worry to relief. Then we heard the voice in the air. "You can run, but you cannot hide. We come for you, Winter Child. We come." "What, Winter Child? Seriously, Izuku, who are you?" "Really?" Izuku asked. "I am the adventure you didn't know you were looking for." I didn't know what to say, so I tried flirting instead. What's wrong with me? You're an adventure, all right, she told me. Her eyes lingered. She took a step forward. Then two, until we're only a few centimeters away from each other. She then looked into my eyes, then my lips, and back as if asking a question. It worked. Itsuka's face drew closer to mine. In that suspended moment, our lips hovered in proximity, the unspoken tension between us defying the physical distance. The surreal stillness surrounding us seemed to magnify the heartbeat that echoed the intensity of the encounter. But then she pulled back. Her back turned to me and her face now looking downwards. Haha, that encounter sure was a close one, she says with her overly perky voice. Even I can tell she's shaken up. Yeah, I guess so. Thanks for coming along when you did. You saved me, I said. Something's brewing up and I don't like how it sounds. From now on, you'll be with me as much as possible. What do you mean? You're clearly being targeted here and I don't like it one bit. Going to and from school together would be too suspicious and you're with Kanoko going to the cafeteria. Taking that from her would make me feel bad. That means I'll be with you to meet up with her at the gate. Give me a message when you're home. I'll also be with you during the weekends if you're going out. I'm quite shocked by what she's saying right now. So, you're the possessive type. I can work with that, I said, half-jokingly. This is serious, Izuku. I'll not let anything happen to you while I live, she said, her eyes mixed with both worry and determination. I sigh, knowing I'm not getting out of this one. All right, then. Good, I'll come with you till I can see your house. We then walked to my home. Her eyes darted from place to place, looking for any signs of enemies. By this point, the wound I got from the dog had healed completely without leaving scars. We said goodbye to each other. I ate dinner with Mom and went to bed soon after. Itsuka POV. I watch as Izuku gets inside the safety of his home. Honestly, I'm still thinking of watching him 24/7 to make sure nothing endangers him. But the sorceress told me he'll be safe inside that house. Throughout the months, I watched as he transformed from someone who can't tell left from right to a force to be reckoned with. And I found myself looking at him when he didn't notice like some lovesick puppy, often even fantasizing about him during the night. You can't, Itsuka. I told myself over and over. It'll only end in tragedy. It'll only hurt him greatly. After all, so long as he doesn't get himself stupid and killed by someone, he'll easily live for thousands of years. His power is growing exponentially. So much so that Gran even planned to have us have children to get a more powerful werewolf line. I can't let myself hurt him. After all, I'll be gray by 25, crippled by 28, 6 feet under by 30. Yet, despite it all, I still found myself dreaming of him. A dream that'll never come true. Time skipped to after school. Izuku POV. I was waiting for Itsuka to get to my class as we agreed. Waiting for your harem to fetch you, Monomakon said. Like I said, I'm not in a relationship with any of them, I told him. Keep telling yourself that. Seems like the only one not aware you're their boyfriend is you yourself, he kept teasing. Midoriya, let's go, I hear Itsuka call out to me. Monomakon's face then turned into something that says, see what I'm talking about. It was then, a smoke grenade got tossed into our classroom and I was tackled to the ground. I looked down to realize it's Itsuka. Confused, I tried to ask her what's going on, but then she yelled, to the window. She then jumped and crashed into the window. I followed her lead, not knowing what else to do. The drop wasn't bad. It's just a third-degree drop. Would have injured a normie, but not an evoker and definitely not a werewolf. We continued running until we were under a tree. What's going on, Itsuka? It's a vampire. What? I noticed too late, but to think a vampire sneaked up on me, she said, shocked and irritated. The first time I've seen her this way. Wait, we left my classmates there while a vampire's on the loose, I said, agitated as well, thinking of going back as soon as possible. Don't worry, she's after us. They'll be fine, she said. Half right. I'm only after you, someone above told us. I saw a blonde girl with a pretty face, eyes with thin slit-like irises, somewhat resembling those of a cat. Her hair is a pale, ash-blonde color and is styled into 2 messy buns, with numerous wild strands sticking out a straight fringe, and 2 chin-length side bangs framing her face. She then jumped down and landed right in front of us, eyeing Itsuka. She's walking out in the sun, I asked, perplexed with what I was looking at right now. Rather, there are more vampires. I thought they were wiped out. There likely aren't, she said. All because of you shit, she said, her enraged eyes pointed directly at Itsuka. But it would have been a pain to kill you while there are more witnesses, so the normies are getting their beauty sleep right now. She then turned to me. Evoker, this has nothing to do with you. I'm killing the werewolf. You're free to go, she said. Like hell I'm letting something happen to her while I'm here, I said. Vampire girl POV. How disappointing. The evoker's cute, but I can't let hormones get in the way of what I'm about to do. I was watching his fight with the Hellhound yesterday and I know that if I let my guard down, I'll likely be reduced to ashes. Or more likely, be his little dinner. I used Harp, the sickle sword used to cut off Medusa's head, and swung at the werewolf, but I was thrown off by raw energy to the side. This won't go well for me if I don't deal with the evoker. Sorry, but I'll have to avenge my family from these vermins. I charged at him, and he fired off another raw energy attack. Is he holding back, I thought, not sure if I should find it sweet or insulting. No, he's likely just worried about collateral damage. Since I saw it coming, I was able to dodge it and punched him in the, sending him flying. Seeing this, the jump towards me, partially transforming. A fist the size of a fridge comes at me. Heh. They won't win against me if she won't fully transform. I then backflipped out of the way and kicked her chin. I tried stabbing her in the face, only for her to block it with her forearms. I then twisted the sword, earning a scream. With this, I'll be able to decapitate her easily. It was then, flames hotter than the surface of the sun came flying at me. Panicked, I jumped back. I saw the S-owner is now in front of her, checking if she's alright. He then cancelled out the flame with a fast ice attack. Damn it, damnit, it's my best chance yet, and this guy made me lose it. He threw raw kinetic energy back at me. Back to holding back, I see. I transformed into a mist to be unaffected by all of that. I then reappeared right behind him. His and his face turned to panic as I let out my fangs and bit his neck. Izuku POV. I got bit in the neck by a vampire. Gods, am I going to turn into one? How am I going to explain this to mom? I'm following a new diet that's going around. Only going to be drinking for nutrients from now on. Like how that'll work? What about burning when touching sunlight? Wait, this vampire isn't burning, so maybe it'll be the same for me. Thought I was interrupted in my monologue by a sound behind me. I saw the vampire girl on the floor, arching her back forwards. She then screamed, "IHHHHHHHHHHHHHHHH." The sound, for some reason, made me excited. Is this a new form of attack? She then lay on the ground for a minute or two, drooling from her mouth. I then went to check on Izuku, whose face is red, but her wounds are healed. Thank the gods. The vampire then sits up straight. I got reminded of one of those wrestlers I watched with Izuku in her room after training. Her eyes, though, golden as it is, have heart symbols, before shaking her head. "We'll meet again, Evoker," she said, as she turned to mist and went away. I then turned to Izuku, face still red. I'm worried that something might have happened. Maybe there's a poison coated to the sword, or was she attacked first before me when the vampire went mist mode, or worse, maybe there's something inside the smoke bomb. Werewolf sense of smell is greater than humans, so I wouldn't be surprised if she breathed in more particles of the smoke bomb than most people there. Izuku then put her hands around my neck and ed me hard. She then came up for air. The said, I thought she went back to ing me and out of it again I'd lost you, as she put her tongue inside my mouth. She then broke and buried her face in my arms wrapped around my body. I won't be able to forgive myself if I did, she said. I can feel her wet tears. She must have truly been worried. I pulled her to a tight hug with my left arm, pat the back of her head with my right, and rested my head on hers. After a few minutes, we broke the hug. Crap, let's go. Kanoko's waiting at the gates, she said, Fox cheerful persona taking over again. This will need to be brought up later on, but for now, she's right. I don't want to keep Kamarison waiting. I then looked at the clock, a bit surprised that the entire ordeal didn't take longer than 14 minutes. After washing away we went to the gates and met up with Kamarison. I slowly wake from my slumber, looking at a different ceiling than I've grown accustomed to for most of my life. It's not an unfamiliar ceiling, however. Looking to my side, I see a beautiful young woman with white hair, sleeping beside me without any clothing on, clinging to my arm. I've been going out with my classmate, Yuki, for the past 8 months. I sighed. Though today marks the day when we'll have to finish it. I slowly went up and put my clothes back on, then went to the kitchen. While this may likely be the last time I'm going to see her, I'd rather make it a good memory for both of us than a sad one. First of all, a breakfast in bed to start the day. I made a traditional Japanese breakfast since she'll seldom be able to taste it after today. I carry the food back to our bedroom. Opening the door, I see that she's still deep asleep, her naked ass facing me. As if taunting me, the sun's rays shine reflect off of it invitingly. Any other times, I'd be overjoyed to jump to the bed and have fun with her all day. It sadly isn't gonna happen. Not anymore at least. With a hand on her shoulder and on her cheeks, I gently woke her up. Wake up, hun. You'll be late for your flight. I made you breakfast. As she slowly opened her eyes, I said, good morning. HNN thanks, Izuku, and morning to you too. Not sure if this can ever be a good one though, she said. A bit melancholic about what today is and what it meant to our relationship. She's going to move to Spain with her family because of her father's job with no news on how long it'll last. Despite strong objections on her side, she's still a minor so she had no choice but to follow her parents there. After a back-and-forth discussion between the two of us, we decided to end it on this day, instead of going for a long-distance relationship. As she was eating, she started tearing up. I know how she feels. I hate it as much as she does. Our relationship may have been short, but it's full of fun memories and rarely, if at all, I'm not smiling when I'm with her. But sometimes, life just has a way to give you the middle finger. I myself can feel almost tearing up because of what's happening, but made sure to hold it in. Get your act together, Izuku. You decided to make your last memories a happy one as well. You can't be crying right now. I approached her and hugged her until she calmed down, which thankfully didn't take more than a few minutes since she still had a flight she needed to catch. We traveled to the airport and I helped carry her luggage. When it was time for her to go, we shared one last before bidding each other farewell. I went home and cried myself to sleep. And that's how my first serious relationship ended. Izuku 17Y, OPOV. It's been years since I've awakened my powers as an evoker and learned the existence of magic. I've made sure to constantly train and learn more about magic than ever before. I've kept hanging out with my friends. I've grown over the past few years. I'm now 7'7" with a pretty muscular build, to the point I kept getting questions if I was a pro hero or not. I deny it and just tell them it's part of my quirk. Thankfully, unlike my time in middle school, once I started going to high school, I became very popular rather than the other way around. Though there was an initial awkwardness when I first started entering a few relationships, it's mostly gone now. Kinoko, especially, got hit hard by the news, but we've patched our friendship whole now. Though apparently, Monomekon tried to confess to her during those times, but it only made her hate him more. I'm no longer as naive as 5 years ago, or at the very least, I'd like to think so. I've been aware of her feelings for me for a while now, but there's a feeling that'll be a mistake that kept me from at least trying out what it'll become. It's only several months before the entrance exam at UA, so I'm at a crossroads right now whether I'd pursue being a hero or becoming a paladin. I'd asked if I could become both, but they said that becoming a hero would divide my loyalties between humanity and Japan. It's impossible. On the surface, it's a no-brainer to become a paladin, but on the other hand, since paladins aren't paid by anyone, I'd have to find a second job since it'll start becoming expensive once I take the costs of commissioning my gear out of pocket. Not like I want to be a hero for money either. I don't care much about that. I still want to save as many people with a smile on my face. But this and that are different. So well, I can think more about it later on. Ah, shit. Looks like I made a wrong turn again. As I kept backtracking down the tunnel going home, I heard something slimy behind me. I turned around only to find someone made out of sludge. Damn, someone lost the genetic lottery. Damn it, of all things, I've stumbled upon a hero. But oh well, I'd still take my chances against you than him, it said. You'll make for a great skin suit so I can escape him. PFFT nah, not into getting myself in that situation. How about a counter-proposal? You surrender without a fight, be a good little boy, and after you're released, I'll introduce you to some friends. I'm sure I can find one or two with that fetish somewhere by then, I said while chuckling. I didn't bother correcting him in the hero misunderstanding because, well, it's obvious, isn't it? You vulgar man, it said as it kept shooting its tendrils in my direction, which I effortlessly dodged. I have so many ways to defeat it, but based on what it said, it's already being chased by someone that's very likely a hero, so I opted to just buy time for that person to arrive rather than freezing him solid, risking being witnessed, and then going on a debate at the precinct that actually, I didn't use my quirk nonsense. Yeah, like that'll fly to people who don't know magic exists. I could resist, sure, but that's a stupid way to burn bridges and become a fugitive for no real reason. Clang, I then heard a manhole cover being blown away. A bulky man with blonde hair then showed up. Have no fear, citizen. Why, you ask? Because I am here, the man said, and it didn't take a second for me to realize that this man is All Might. Oh my gods. Oh gosh, it's taking a lot of willpower just to not fanboy around him. Also, I'm strangely happy to see someone around my height, for once, even though he's still shorter than me. The sludge villain put all his attention to All Might and sent a tendril to attack him, which he effortlessly dodged. As for me, I stepped to the side with my notebook out, ready to ask him for an autograph afterward. He stepped twice and pulled back his fist. A telegraphed attack, if I ever see one. Texas smash, he shouted, and the wind pressure from it was more than enough to offer the lack of a better description. Pop the sludge villain. Its remains are splattered in the area. All Might then pulled out 2 soda bottles from what I can guess was a convenience store bag. Ah, that explains him not being in costume. He then drank it both and started gathering the villain inside it. Would you like me to help? I asked, to which he replied, that would be great. Thank you, and handed me the other empty bottle. Man, he's so cool in person. After gathering the villain and handing him to All Might, I asked for a few autographs that I'd give to my friends at school, which he happily accepted. Well, I'll need to take this guy to the police, he says as he's tapping the villain bottle that's inside the pocket of his pants. While I know he knows what he's doing, it does make me worry how secure that is. All Might, don't take it the wrong way, but are you sure the bottles are secure there? I asked. It's all right, citizen. If anything, it shows that you care about bringing this villain to justice. Thank you for your concern though. I promise it's fine, he then said. All right, then. Have a great day, All Might, I said. He then jumped to the sky. Dang, I'm not short of tricks myself, but it would be cool if I could do that too. Or better yet, a dragon to give me rides. I thought these things almost certain that if Izuku knew about it, I'd be getting at least a 4-hour-long lecture about self-preservation. Speaking of Izuku, she became a part-time hunter when she turned 15. She said that she contemplated joining the military once she turns 18 from there, but since hero training will also give her a position in the military in less time, she'll be going to UA first instead. She's busy these days, so whenever she has time, we rarely spend it without our privates being reacquainted with each other. Also, the little werewolf is into pet play. Who knew? In case it isn't clear yet, what we have falls under the Friends with Benefits umbrella. I tried confessing to her shortly after our first but got rejected. She said that she's not opposed to a casual physical relationship, but won't commit to more than that. That was the day I knew why the feeling called heartbreak is called such. I then went home, did my homework, and ate dinner with Mom. At 11 p.m., I got a feeling of wanting to take a walk. Thinking what could go wrong, I sneakily went to the front door and went walking through the mostly dark neighborhood, until I saw something shine. There comes out a woman. A beautiful young woman with short auburn hair with short bangs. A perpetual pink blush on her cheeks, with large eyes and round eyelashes. Her ears were long and pointed. She's a short 5'half woman. She's covered in armor and is wielding a sword. "Run, it is coming," she said, with a voice mixed with panic and shock. "What is?" I ask. "You must flee." I close the gate, but that will not hold it for long. "If you are here when it emerges, it will kill you. Run." "Seriously, what is it that's chasing you?" I'm confident in my fighting skills, really. "It is too late." "It is here," she said. With a thunderous roar, a massive minotaur emerged from the swirling depths of a portal, its imposing form bathed in an otherworldly glow. Towering over the surroundings, the creature brandished a battle axe in each hand, the gleaming blades reflecting an ominous intent. Muscles rippled beneath its fur-covered frame as it surveyed the unfamiliar terrain, a formidable presence heralded by the resonating clash of its twin axes against the eerie silence of the portal's aftermath. A Minotaur Lord. Something. Enough to have a decent chance against All Might. Just great. It's usually hanging out on the other continent, so I never thought I'd find one here. For some reason, I remember the times when I got into a heated debate with Izuocha that they shouldn't be called Minotaurs since none of them is the one inside Minos, making it a misnomer. "Flee, you fool," the woman said. "Mom didn't raise me to run away from danger. And I ain't leaving a cute girl to be eaten by a reject from Dungeons and Dragons. It is too powerful for us to fight. Go, I will hold it as long as I can," she said, positioning herself between me and the dairyman. "Not happening. And you, buddy," I then turned to the Minotaur Lord. "I have nothing against you, but this will for you." "Deal cards," I shout to fire myself up. The chaos of magic gathers on my right hand, taking the shape of cards. 4 of a kind. I let down 3/8, a joker, and a 3 of diamond, and ice hit it squarely in the face. It barely did anything. "It seems it'll take way more than that." "Wait, you are an evoker, perhaps not all is lost. After all," the woman said. "I'm telling you that it's going to be fine," I said with a smile. "We're not going to get killed today. I will try to aid you." "Do you accept?" she asked. "Whatever you say, princess." "Do your thing," I said, concentrating on avoiding the attacks of the creature. "How did you? Never mind, it can wait." "Magic, I call thee." "Cast magic armor," she said just as the axe of the creature was about to hit me. "Perfect, keep on going," I said. As I directed another attack flush, I sent a flame thousands of degrees hot to its body, but it just swung its axe to dissipate it. The hell, that's the first time someone did that. I was so shocked that I almost didn't notice the axe blade aiming for my neck. I avoided it at the last moment, only to be met with a kick, sending me flying to a nearby wall, and cracking it. Thank the gods for that shield. I then grabbed the woman's hand and tried to gain distance. "If it's chasing her, then it'll come to us, this time on our terms. It is too strong for us. I am truly sorry, brave knight. I should not have gotten you involved in my troubles," she said with a regretful face. I'm nodding. "Done yet? Don't you have any more tricks?" I ask, hopeful for something. "Anything to help defeat this monstrosity. I am almost out of energy." "That monster has been stalking me since I left the court," she said. "You can do this, I believe in you," I told her. I don't know where this confidence and trust towards her came from, but I know that together, there is nothing that we can't take on. Nothing at all. "Very well. I shall try one last thing. But all I have left is a simple blessing. I fear it shall not be enough. Excalibur, aid me now." Cast bless. The magic worked. An incredible amount of power is coursing through me. My wounds got healed, and an awfully strong shield has been cast. And rage. Rage that's fiery enough to wrap this world in flames. "What is going on?" "That is not bless. I do not know what spell it is, but surely not what I cast," she said, confused. "Don't ask me. I just play poker. Whatever you did, worked like a charm." "I feel like I could arm wrestle Godzilla right now," I said, with a grin on my face. "Dairyman's gonna get milk tonight." We stopped in a rather open area. "A park. I'm ready for this." "Magic does not work like this," she said, clearly confused about what was happening. "We can worry about the metaphysics later, princess. I've got some bovine ass to kick," I told her, now seeing the creature approaching me. "Oh, you're approaching me. Instead of running away, you're coming right to me," I said, earning a look from the princess. The Minotaur Lord started walking towards me silently. "Oh ho, then come as you like," I said, approaching it. When we were in each other's reach, it swung its left axe. With the force it's putting in, it wouldn't lose against the Texas smash I just saw this afternoon. I ducked out of the way and saw its right one swinging from the opposite direction. I dealt the card and played 2 pairs. Force wrapped around my arm and I punched the axe, breaking it to pieces. The creature seemed to be surprised by this, but I ain't letting up. I then dealt the cards. Full house. I fired off flames hotter than I've ever released before. It then tried to dissipate the flames again like last time, only to not have any effect, and once it reached the creature, it instantly burned it alive. I stared a few moments at the corpse in front of me. "I'll have to call the hunters about this and have them clean this up." "We did it. You did it. You have my gratitude, brave knight," she said. With the rage now dissipated from the last attack, I then came back from my senses. "I can't believe we managed to kill that thing. I was sure we're goners there," I said. "My father will be mad with worry for me. I was due hours ago." "Forgive me, my knight, but I must leave you," she said. Then something came back at me. A memory of something. Is your name Ochako? I asked. And how would you know that, Sir Knight? She asked, starting to get wary. To think I dreamt of you. A memory from beyond waking, I said. Perhaps. The paths lead to strange places. Forgive me, Sir Knight, but I must reach the embassy before my father calls the hunt for me, she said, getting ready to leave. Goodbye, Ochako, I said. My love. She then left. Alone, I stood at the park, in front of a half-vaporized corpse. Who was that girl? It felt like I knew her. Our souls are meant together. Together. Together, I don't think there's anything we couldn't do, I said as if chanting a promise. I better call those guys to dispose of this, I said as I pulled up my phone and dialed the number for the hunter scheduled for today. I gave them my location and what the corpse was. They said I can go home and they'll take care of the rest, so I did. I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but for some reason, I have a feeling it's going to get more interesting from now on. I woke up in the morning while feeling something wet slide across my cheek. I tried to ignore it a few times until the feeling started getting enthusiastic. I opened my eyes to see Izuku with her tongue out, wearing the collar, leash, and dog ears I bought her a while back, her artificial tail wagging. I was surprised back then to learn that creatures don't grow ears and tails when they change. They just become bulkier and become far more aggressive. Woof, she barked. I looked at her and noticed she was fully clothed in her school uniform. Her skirt was pushed up from behind because of the tail, of course. Not going that far today, I see, I thought as I greeted her. Good morning, Itsuka. I scratched her behind the ear to hear her in bliss. Having a beautiful girl wake you up like that certainly does certain things to the body of a teenage male. But how she's dressed lets me know she's not up for doing something super raunchy this morning. I made a quick trip to the kitchen to make breakfast for her. I finished making a quick sandwich and set it down on the floor in front of her, to which she started eating on all fours like a dog would. I leave her be since dogs hate it when you disturb them as they're eating. As she did so, I made my way to the dining table to eat breakfast with my mom. Where's Itsuka-san? Izuku, she said. She'll be waking you up before going to your room, Mom said. I gave her something to eat for breakfast, I said. She prefers to be left alone in peace when eating, so I'll be getting her after eating, I replied to Mom. Oh, I see. Must have been problematic for her during lunch period, Mom says. You don't know the half of it, I said with a smirk, remembering some things we did during lunch period. Having finished my breakfast, I quietly made my way back to the room where Itsuka was staying. The soft morning light now filtered through the curtains, casting a gentle glow on the space. I saw her, breakfast finished, in the sitting position on the floor. She looked up, a smile playing on her lips, and with a silent understanding, I praised her good girl, while rubbing her belly. After a few minutes, I decided it had gone for long enough and we'd be late otherwise, so we ended the play, as per our usual tradition. I grabbed the leash and pulled it so she'd look up at me, and I started removing the ears and the tail attached to Yaonaware. I should give her more rewards one of these days. We made our way to UA to take the entrance exam. I decided to be a hero first for now instead of a paladin, since on the surface, it's practically the same. And I'm seriously not yet fully equipped to become a paladin. It would take me decades to even have enough money to buy the basic armor from the gnomes, and that will still take years to complete, if not decades. If I survive for long enough, I'll just use the next few decades as an opportunity to earn enough so I would be able to feed myself then. It's not like I can continue being a hero forever. Someone's gonna ask how come I don't age, eventually. Going back, to avoid any misunderstanding. Or in this case, just plain all understanding, we agreed that if we're departing from the same house we make sure that we don't walk too close to each other. I offered to let her go first, but she rejected it, saying being behind me lets her watch for any danger that targets me. I let it go because it's the one topic where I know I won't win in an argument against her, though not before giving a spank to her ass. With determination pulsating in my veins, I strode toward the towering gates of the prestigious school for heroes, the weight of anticipation hanging in the air. The morning sunlight illuminated the grand facade, and as I approached, a surge of nerves mingled with excitement. Beyond those gates lay the path to a destiny shaped by the upcoming entrance exam, a challenge that would test my mettle and determine the course of my journey toward becoming a hero. Lost in admiration of the prestigious surroundings, a light tap on my shoulder snapped me from my thoughts. Turning around, I found Komuro-san, my longtime friend, standing there with a shy smile. Her presence brought a familiar comfort, yet there was an unspoken tension beneath the surface, a yearning that lingered in her gaze, a desire that she hadn't found the courage to voice. I simply greeted her with genuine warmth. Mid-stride towards the school's entrance, an unexpected stumble sent me careening forward. Just as gravity threatened to claim its victory, a pair of hands reached out, steadying my fall. Startled, I looked up to find someone familiar, someone whom I met once 10 months ago. Are you all right, my knight? She said, wearing her beautiful smile which brightened my world. My apologies for using my quirk on you without your permission. But it would be nothing short of a bad premonition of bad luck should you fall. Right, she continued. It is also a pleasure to meet you once again, my knight. Yeah, it's great to finally meet you again. And yeah, that would have added a lot. Thanks for that, I said, as I could feel my face heat up. Come on, get your act together, Izuku. It's not like I had no experience with women before. No worries, Sir Knight. Compared to what you've done for me, that is hardly anything. Without you, it might have claimed my life, or worse, captured me, she said. Maybe we can have dinner on Friday in return, I said. That does sound interesting, she said. It's a date, then, I said. It certainly does seem like it, Sir Knight, she answered. Izuku. Just call me Izuku, Ochako, I said with as bright of a smile as I could manage. All right, Izuku then, she said. If she wondered why I had her call me by my first name despite only meeting once, she didn't mention it. Are you enrolling for a hero course as well? Yeah, I'm taking the entrance exam here. What about you? Yes, I am. Though I'm going to be enrolled as a recommendation student. So I do hope we meet each other in class, she said. You better bet it we will, my princess, I said with a smile, fully certain it would be so for some reason. This earned a chuckle from her. Well then, I better go for now before I cause you to be late for your exam, Izuku. I'll also need to finish the process of moving, she said. All right, just let me know if you need any help. It's no playing poker, but I'm confident I'll be happy to help regardless, I offered. It'll be all right. We have servants if need be. Goodbye for now and see you on Friday, my knight, she said, walking away. Holy crap, I've got a date. I can feel my face is becoming red. Calm down, me. I have no idea what it is, but there's something special about her. I felt someone staring at me, so I looked behind me and saw Komaru-san and Itsuka there. I totally forgot about them for a second there. Itsuka has a very defeated and timid look, so unlike her usual self, similar to the one she had when I scolded her during her training as a pup. Komori looks like she's on the verge of bursting into tears. Itsuka POV a few minutes ago. I took to make sure that Master was not getting into trouble by watching his back about 50 meters away from him. This way, it won't be weird why we're not walking together considering how close we are, and I'll still have more than enough time to react to anything attacking him. I'm such a good girl. I wonder if Master's gonna praise me. I wonder if he'll reward me. Preferably, inside. Dang it, Suka. Quit being horny for the resident demigod. Would you forget rewarding you? He'll just likely punish you instead. I thought for a moment. Maybe he'll pull on my leash, order me to get naked, and walk me outside in broad daylight while I'm on all fours. Maybe he'll me while others can only watch, letting them know whom I belong to. ARGGHH, stop it. It's a date, then, I hear him say. What, he's hitting on someone? It certainly does seem like it, Sir Knight, she answered. It didn't take much for me to realize who she was. It's the princess of King Arthur's great-granddaughter. What's the Fey princess doing here, of all places? After listening for a moment, I got my answer. She's going to be part of the hero course. That's unexpected, but that's not the one thing on my mind right now. In fact, neither is paying attention to Kinoko, who's wearing a very distraught face right now. As I look at Izuku and the princess, I can see how much in their own world they are. Her eyes convey admiration, curiosity, and infatuation. His eyes disregard the world around them, only seeing her. A gaze that says only her is worth looking at. Then it came back to me. The anxiety and the fear of losing him. Only, he's as safe as can be. Her presence alone inside these walls would likely mean top heroes are making sure nothing slips by. No, this isn't a fear for his life, but rather the reminder of what cannot be. I've been living the dream, trying to have as much carnal fun with Izuku these past few years. It allowed me to think that I was sparing him from getting hurt by allowing both of us to sleep with each other with no strings attached. Every time he touched me, my emotions were soothed. Every time he eased me, my heart sore. Every night together, I constantly wished tomorrow not to come. Not yet. I took the cake and ate it too. Yet here in front of me, Izuku gazing at the princess with eyes full of love. Eyes I never saw him make before. Not to his exes, not to Kinoko, and not even me. Of course, he won't. At the end of the day, we're just a single tiny blip in his long life, for me half so. Nobody likes Arthur, from what I've been told, yet no one can deny his fighting skills. Some even believed he used to be a god. If that is so, then even if her spark's not as pure as Izuku, she would still live for a long while. She's someone who can actually stand by his side. Tomorrow has come, huh? As the two finish their conversation, I can't find the will to do anything. I hate this feeling. I don't even feel jealous, I only feel despair. I see him comforting Kinoko, hugging her tight and reassuring that he'll still be there for us. She didn't seem like she got the nuance of what he just said and she just smiled. I did, and I hate it. He started patting my head and scratching behind my ears. It took everything I had to remind myself not to bark. It's unconventional, but he just knows how to make me feel better. Damn it, I'm down bad. We then walked to the exam building, finally ready to make my master proud. Izuku POV. After cheering up both Itsuka and Komaru-san, we headed to the exam building. There are all sorts of people here. I can see some people I used to go to school and middle school with, like that guy with the floating speech bubble for a head, and the walking school uniform. Also, I wasn't surprised when Kaken's also here, but I'm when I saw Monomakon here. We didn't go to the same high school, so I wasn't sure whether he'd like to be a hero or not. Lights started turning up and music started playing. For all you examinee listeners tuning in, welcome to my show today. A blonde man wearing all leather started saying in front of the podium. It's the voice hero, present mic, I said. Everybody say hey, he said. HEEYYY, I shouted. It seems like I was the only one who did. Oh well, they're less. Thank you, you big listener over there, he said. I'm going to quickly present to you the rundown of the practical exam. Are you ready? YAHH, I shouted again. You are beginning to be my favorite listener by far, he said as he pointed in my direction. He then continued, as it says in the application requirements, you listeners will be conducting 10-minute mock urban battles. After this you can bring whatever you want with you. After the presentation, you'll head to the specified battle center on your card. Okay, he says, this is the screen show the different designation letters will be sent to. We were given our designation earlier. Looks like none of us are going to be in the same exam area. I guess that makes sense considering they wouldn't want any particular pair of students to pair up and have an unfair advantage compared to others. Looks like we're going to different places, after all. I'm on B, I said to the two of them. Right, Shroom. I'm feeling nervous, Shroom. Commerson said. I then pat her head to calm her down. You're going to do great there, Commerson. There are hardly any people I know more amazing than you are. So grab a hold of your dream and crush this exam. Show them the Commerson I've admired for the past 6 years, I told her, which in turn made her make a face of determination. Atta girl. Though her face is red. He's right, Kinoko. Don't you worry about it and just give it your best, Itsuka said. Right, thanks you too, she said. President Mike then proceeded to explain that there would be 3 types of fox villains that will be fighting inside the battle center, each with a different number of points associated with them once you take them down. Then a blue-haired guy stood up and wanted to ask a question, which President Mike allowed. On the printout, there are 4 types of villains. If that is a misprint, then UA, the most prominent school in Japan, should be ashamed of that foolish mistake, he said. Isn't that too much also? It literally says on the same page he's brandishing it's worth 0 points. Obviously, it's not a misprint. We examinees are here in this place because we wish to be molded into exemplary heroes, he said. In addition, you there with the curly hair, he pointed at me. I then looked behind me if there were any others with curly hair since I hadn't done anything to him. Yes, you've been flirting around girls ever since I saw you at the gate. It's disgusting. If you're here for a pleasure trip, then you should leave immediately, he continued. Okay, first of all, I said while flipping him off with both hands. I'm encouraging a fellow examinee, another future hero, so she can take this exam with ease. It's something someone aspiring to be a hero would do. If it disgusts you so much, then you should be the one leaving, the future villain. Go before I put some dirt in your eye, I said while giving him a death stare. I've been dealing with monsters way above Thisham for years. I won't stand to be insulted by him, though I'm impressed by his will. He's tearing up in fear, yet still standing straight. Either that, or he's too paralyzed to even change how he stood. Oh, look at our little future villain JR. What's the matter? Gonna cry, I taunted. I'm not a future villain, he managed to squeeze out with his willpower. Okay, how about we break it up? I know you listeners are tense because of the exam. But on the plus side, you'll be able to release all that aggression at the robots rather than each other. President Mike intervenes. He's right. No use committing other examinees here. Okay, think happy thoughts, Izuku. Think of the date for Friday. Think that you'll be seeing Ochako every weekday. While I first attempted this as an internal joke to myself, surprisingly, the anger I felt disappeared as if it evaporated into thin air. Neat. After that, President Mike explained that the last robot is a 0-pointer and more of an obstacle we should avoid, and there's no point destroying it, pun intended. I then said my goodbyes to both Commerson and Itsuka as we moved to the buses going to our respective battle arena. After getting off the bus, I stand outside a gate with some impressive size. Just the gate is roughly 4 stories tall. Damn, was all I could think about. I took a look at some of the people taking the exam as well and found nobody that stood out. Unless any of them is a mage, which I'm shit at detecting, I don't think I'll have a problem competing against these people. Oh, right. The blue-haired guy is here as well. As long as he doesn't get in my way, I have no reason to instigate anything here. The exam is more important. Okay, start, President Mike says, and I then ran inside the fake city while the gate's still being partially opened. Talk about having an unlimited budget. This city's well made. Having this city be partially destroyed by hundreds of students in each sector makes me shudder at the thought of how much this school's annual budget must be. Are they being sponsored by a power or someone like that? As I was thinking about these, several robots gathered around me. A 3-pointer, 4 2-pointers, and 3 1-pointer. Saves me the trouble of finding them, I guess. Deal cards, I said. I concentrated a 1 pair's amount of pure force around my arm and grabbed a 3-pointer which I used to smash the other robots to pieces. That's 14 points. Not bad, but I'll need way more to make sure I'll pass. I then continued around the area, trying to find clusters of robots to make this more efficient, and this continued until there were only 2 minutes left on the clock. I'm still at 87 points. I don't know how scores others are going to get, so I'm trying to get as many as I can. Thankfully, while the downside of not being with your friends as you take the practical exam is not being able to work together, the upside is that I have 0 reasons why I had to hold back so long. I don't endanger my fellow examinees or out my actual power, I guess. Unfortunately, I can barely find any robots, cluster or not, so I'm stuck on the 82nd score. I got lucky during that first 20 seconds. Meanwhile, in the observation room, third-person POV. In the dark room, there are several individuals, pro-heroes to beings out of this world. In this practical exam, the examinees have not been informed of the number of villains or their locations. They have a limited amount of time in a vast area. They have to gather the villains from there, a mouse, a dog, a bear, or something said. Information gathering ability to understand the situation before anyone else. It continued as the screen show a student with web-like arms. Mobility that can be used in many different circumstances. It said as a boy wearing glasses with blue hair is displayed as he runs around the city. Discernment to be able to stay calm in any situation. This time showing a blonde boy with lasers coming out of his belly. And pure combat ability. It then cuts to both Bakugo Katsuki and Midoriya Izuku. These basic abilities needed to keep the peace in the streets are turned into points in this test. Doesn't this year's group look promising? A woman with a long, thick, spiky, dark purple hair said. Well, we can't know for sure yet. Their true test is still to come, says another person, a guy who then flipped the safety of a button saying Yaruki switch. Back at the battle center, Izuku POV. As I scanned the surroundings, the ground beneath me began to tremble, sending shockwaves of confusion through the air. My attention snapped to a colossal robot emerging from the horizon, its towering 7-story frame casting a shadow over the landscape. The mechanical giant loomed ominously, a sudden and unexpected presence that shifted the atmosphere from anticipation to a tense realization that the entrance exam was about to take an unexpected turn. Everyone else in the area started running away in the opposite direction. I'm just standing here, wondering what the heck is the point of that giant robot. It obviously isn't meant to be defeated, considering if someone can consistently beat a robot like that, they wouldn't have much use for the school. The time spent in it could have just been used to train their quirks, and having a pro license doesn't necessarily require getting one. Sure, you don't automatically get one after uni like if you actually attended UA or other hero schools, but so long as you pass their exam, you'll be recognized as a hero all the same. Ouch. The chaos unfolded as debris crashed down from the colossal robot's wake, trapping someone underneath. I looked at the person and realized it was the walking uniform. Her desperate cries for help echoed in the disarray. Without a second thought, adrenaline coursing through my veins, I rushed towards the wreckage. Time hung suspended as I worked quickly to free her, each moment crucial as her safety depended on my prompt actions. The urgency of the situation intensified, turning the entrance exam into an unforeseen test of courage and heroism. So that's its purpose, I think for a moment before removing the final piece trapping the girl. Can you walk? I asked her, the robot coming closer and closer. Sorry, I can't. Her ankles ed up. It's okay, you don't have to apologize. I'll bring you somewhere safe, I said, but realized that there was more and more wreckage being brought upon by the giant robot. And there's no guarantee no one got hit in the head and lost consciousness, still being trapped as we speak. The only way we can search for them is if the robot stops first. I carried the girl in bridal style as I ran as fast as I could to a safe distance from the robot. I then gently laid her down on the floor to make sure and started going back. Wait, where are you going? You'll get hurt, she said. Don't worry, I'll be okay, I reassured her. I'm not sure how much that worked since I started running towards the robot again. Deal cards, I said, playing the hand I was given. Full house, I said as pure force launched the robot in the air for dozens of meters. I then looked at the next set of cards I had and laughed a bit, unsure if I'm lucky or not, but I had not much choice. Royal flush, I yell, as the flames that are equal to multiple times the core of a planet in temperature shoot out of my hands. The searing heat engulfed the colossal robot, disintegrating its metallic form into nothing. Glass shattered, and concrete melted in the wake of the radiated heat, a display of power that surpassed any expectations. I ran back to the other examinees. I'll still need to look up if any people got trapped in that. I'm shit at detecting presence, so the only way to make sure is to brute force this with sheer number. Meanwhile, in the observation room, third-person POV. Would you look at that, a very promising student. He didn't just end it after vaporizing the robot, he's even leading his classmates to search and make sure no other examinees were trapped, the chimer-looking thing said. So that's what they're yammering about, said a man 6'8" tall, with red long hair and a red beard and mustache. Rat, I'll go ahead and have this one on my class, he said. Sure, but you'll have to take another one, the rat said. So I have to uproot all my clients on the other side of the globe. Just this kid, that brute, said a woman, with blonde hair and blue eyes. Careful now, you might bite more than you can chew, with that one, you cam whore, the redhead said and walked away. Damned bruisers. Relics of the past, still thinking the word hero still revolves around them. The blonde muttered under her breath. By the way, I've tallied up the score of our little evoker here, and as such, I've got the names who'd be in your class, the rat said, handing her a short list of students. She's unused to having such a small class, but then what else could she expect from a backwater like Japan? She then scanned the names, with one of them brought a smile to her face. Things will get interesting, she thought. Elsewhere, this is the magical world equivalent of LOM. Monsters, demons, and gods spend most of their time here. The geography of elsewhere matches our Earth's about 50 or so thousands of years ago. People go through and from it using magical portals or stone circles like Stonehenge. This is where Izuku was training most of the time, if he can't use the Itsuka's dojo. Spark the connection from the soul to the divine. It is how mages use their magic and determines not only the type but also their personality. A person's spark usually also indicates the power they have in their line, with evokers being born from generations of enchanters mixed with the gods. A mixture of a mundane and a god usually won't result in an evoker child. Spark types. Evoker rarest of the three and born from lines of the most powerful. Evokers' sparks are considered to be the closest to the divine and to magic itself. They are known as monster slayers, dragon slayers, and all. On top of being able to channel raw energy, they have supernatural physical capabilities, regenerative powers, high resistance to the elements and poison, and complete immunity to diseases. Though extremely powerful, this also often results in their early deaths, as they are described as reckless and would fight battles with odds heavily stacked against them. Despite there being no theoretical limit to an evoker's lifespan, it is rare to find one older than 30, much less one older than 100 due to this tendency of theirs. Evoker's oath: I am the evoker. Fire burns before me. Death walks behind me. In the center, there's only me. Evokers are swords of mankind. Enchanters provide the steel. Sorcerers the guile. But, when things with teeth and claws come out of elsewhere, evokers hold the line. Eindridi. Enchanter. Though without the evoker's natural abilities, enchanters can use their magic to enhance their physical abilities along with their weapons. This is the reason why they're usually trained with either the sword or the spear. On top of that, they're able to use magic circles to do most things, like creating a construct or simply overloading one to act as a bomb. They are often methodical and are tempered with patience an evoker wouldn't usually have, planning and executing one spanning for hundreds of years. This has led to the saying, never leave an angry enchanter behind you. Healer. While lacking in power that the other two types have, a healer boasts outstanding magical senses. Their abilities rely less on power and more on their knowledge and senses. Usually stay in the rear, but extremely rare healers who specialize in healing their allies during a fight are known to appear. They are dubbed battle healers. These are exceptional and are commonly seen with many legendary parties in history. A person cannot and will not have two of these at the same time. Generally, the more powerful the spark is, the worse its senses become, though it can be corrected with experience. Non-power, power, and mantles. Non-power. A mage who has yet to cross the threshold and what the vast majority of mages are. They are mages who are still limited to the magic their flesh can hold. Power. An individual who has crossed the threshold and can use the full power of their own spark. This, however, doesn't necessarily mean that a power would be more powerful than a non-power counterpart. A healer power would usually fall short of what a fledgling evoker can do, for instance. It is still a bad idea to make a power angry since it usually means wisdom from experience and connections over long years of life can still be used against the individual. One huge disadvantage of being a power is that once they cross the threshold, they should stop telling lies immediately. As their spark is no longer being veiled by the flesh, every lie they utter will negatively affect their spark and soul and weaken them. Whenever they use magic, it flows out of their bodies, and the easiest way to tell is through their eyes. Mantles. Mantles are one of the most obvious thing that separates a god from a mortal mage, even compared to a regular power. It is a piece of reality itself where one fits and draws the power from. On top of that, a mantle has an aspect that affects its wielder. Depending on what it is known that gods, when using their mantles, could ignore some rules of magic. The mantle varies in size and power, but all are substantial compared to their own spark. All gods are powers, but not all powers are gods. Gods and chosen. The chosen are servants of their gods. In exchange for lifelong servitude and dedication, a link with the chosen will be established so they can channel power from their god, greatly enhancing whatever capabilities they may have, be it from extreme physical boost to rewriting reality itself. The chosen ceremony is conducted by two willing participants exchanging bodily fluids inside a specific type of magic circle. The restrictions of this are that it will not work with someone who already has a spark since the connection occupies the same part of the soul as the spark does and it cannot be broken from either side. The only known workaround to this is for a chosen to consciously stop drawing power, and let the years immediately catch up to them to die of old age. Having a chosen is a big decision since they constantly drain power 24/7. As such, most gods who fight on the front lines, or those who value personal power more, tend to just never have one. God's powers equipped with a mantle. Although saying that to their face would likely get you a divine retribution, they generally have far more reserve than any other mages. There is also a disparity between their powers depending on their domain, with war gods being one of the most powerful kind. War gods are another name for evokers who became gods. Firstborns, the gods born from the mother and the hunter. They are the god kings, queens of the pantheons. These include Zeus, Odin, Jupiter, Amaterasu, Omikami, etc. They are the most powerful gods alive, and anyone who heard about them only ever utters their names in respect. Other human magics. Sorcery, the youngest branch of magic that only appeared in the past 2,000 years. Most have zero idea where sorcery came from. The power is usually described as hearing voices, telling them what to do. Those with more power can directly affect probability, and some even use it to subconsciously alter reality. They are also almost impossible to scry, for reasons no one was able to explain. Seeing seers can use their sight to look into many things, including seeing the past, present, or future. On top of this, they can see through patterns and any irregularity. They are also able to create a veil to hide themselves and others from other seers trying to spy on them. Should another seer try to pierce the veil being actively maintained by another seer, a battle of will shall happen and the losing side will have their brain vaporized. Ceremonial magic, one of the oldest branch of magic. Mages who strip dance in front of magical monstrosities to gain donations from them. Gained the nickname, magical camhors recently by other mages due to its nature. They are heavily looked down upon by those with sparks. They are particularly hated by the evokers, and this feeling is mutual. Necromancy thinks ceremonial magic, but instead of a horny monster on the other side giving donations, it's corpses whom they siphon power from. They then use this power to raise the dead. One of their most deadly creation is a lick, which is the raised corpse of someone who used to have a spark. Necromancers are extremely hard to permanently kill as they'd usually have a backup body their soul will go to when killed, giving them conditional immortality. Esoteric mages, those with magic that doesn't fall under anything from above. Though like the first two human magics, it usually centers around the senses, with examples of hearing the books, knowing the combination of any locks, etc. Were creatures basically, there are other were creatures in this verse. We've already met Izuku, who's a werewolf. Later on, we'll be seeing werebears, werelynxes, and weretigers. All of them have superhuman physical abilities, with weretigers being the most powerful type. Izuku's POV brought up one downside of being one of these creatures: a significantly shorter lifespan. They don't age the same way or rate though. Izuku already mentioned how it is for werewolves. Weretigers, they're physically at their peak up till they're 22, but their bodies start shutting down from there, which usually kills them by 23. Werebears can live up to their 30 seconds. Werelynx would turn gray by 40 but will have 45 more years before life claims them. Hunters, specialized units by the government that hunt critters from elsewhere that manage to find themselves in our world. Paladins, evokers not associated with any factions of the elsewhere, or the mundane world. They do not answer to any god or monarchs. Their only concern is the preservation of humanity and life. Izuku abilities. Izuku's magical manifestations, his cards, are because of his mind making sense of the chaotic nature of magic. Like Izuku said, it differs from person to person. What hand he'll get can be random. These are the rankings. Royal flush, straight flush, 4 of a kind, full house flush, straight, 3 of a kind, 2 pair, 1 pair. On top of that, Izuku can channel magic through the gems that Izuku gave him and most other he bought. What these gems do is take his magic and help him manifest the attack to his opponent, and each higher tier gem needs more power to use them. These correspond to different suits of cards he has. A talented enchanter can maybe use a tier 1 or 2 gemstone, but is unlikely to be able to use a tier 4 gem no matter what. Evokers' magics are highly inefficient, but they generally don't care. He doesn't have true flawless gems yet, which are tier 9, and it will be useful when we start riding the power curve way up. Right now, he's still on the lower end of the totem pole in LOM verse, but could pretty much take on top heroes without issues, with All Might being the exception. As of right now, he can use lightning, fire, ice, poison, force, and shields. He can also use rage gems, which significantly increase his power output, at the cost of mental stability, but he's still not in the right mindset to use them. I messed up, I kept thinking as I was walking to the gate for the battle area. My official quirk registration has super strength in it, no way that letting out fire would be part of it. Maybe if I say I punched so hard the air lit on fire, no. That's stupid. I really need to know how to fix this. The last thing I'd want to happen is an angry power knocking on our door and blowing me up into a million pieces before I even knew it. I've been having these thoughts for a while, and before I knew it, I was already at the school gate with Izuku and Kamarison waiting for me. I waved at them to let them know I was here and they waved back. Izuku, Kamarison shouted as she ran up and jumped to hug me, and I caught her as she was falling since I didn't want her to get hurt. Feeling her soft light body on mine is a bonus. No use denying that. Ah, be careful, Kamarison. Though I guess if you're this lively, the practical exam went smoothly on your end, I asked her. MMH, she nodded. How cute. By my count, I should have 26 points, shroom. Izuku said it's more than enough to pass, shroom, she continued. It really seems a little low, but then again, considering that even finding those robots seems a challenge by itself, I wouldn't be surprised if the rest of the examinees had way lower scores. Either way, no need to rain on her parade. That's great to hear, Kamarison. Told you do perfectly, didn't I told her while patting her head. We should celebrate this, Izuku said with a big smile. Maybe Midoriya will buy us something as a reward. There's no need for that, shroom, though I'd be happy to spend some time together, shroom, she said. The last part is almost a whisper. Yeah, sure. Maybe we can go to this ice cream shop in Shizuoka. I heard they serve some interesting flavors there, I said. Almost curious what wasabi ice cream would taste like. I'm in, Izuku said. I'd like to go too, shroom, Kamarison agreed. Let's go. We then traveled to an ice cream place called La Palette, with Izuku and Komurasan mostly being the ones who were in charge of which directions to go, and enjoyed various desserts, mostly ice cream for obvious reasons. Once it became dark, we walked Komurasan to her home. As I was saying goodbye to her, I felt a tug on my shirt. I looked back to see Komurasan holding it and looking at me with a very pronounced blush on her face. About the reward, Shroom, she started. Oh, yeah, do you want me to buy you something so long as it's not too expensive? I'll be more than happy, I said. But got interrupted. 3 don't need you to buy me anything, Shroom. I want to ask you to do something instead, Shroom, she said, which made me curious. Sure, what is it? I answered without hesitation. I want you, she then breathed deeply, as if gathering her courage. To call me by my first name, she said. I guess I'm not surprised. We've known each other for 6 years and she started calling me Izuku the same day we met. Honestly, I've been asked a few times why I kept calling her by her last name by other people. I tried a few times but it always resulted in her fainting, so I refrained from doing so. Sure, Kanoko, I said, which gave her a wide smile across her face. Are you sure you don't want anything else? Honestly speaking, I'd have called you that had you asked sooner, I said. No, I want to earn the right, Shroom. I've known you and Izuku address each other by your first name but never said anything. She then turned to Izuku. I won't lose, she said as she gave me a light peck on the lips before entering her home. I stood there, stunned at what happened. The girl who could barely ask me to call her by her first name not only declared war on Izuku but also ed me. They escalated quickly. She must have felt like she's seriously losing her chance, Izuku said. What do you mean? I asked her. You're not that dense, Izuku. You know what I'm talking about. You had relationships before, but never have I seen you completely ignore both of us like that. Heck, it's like you completely ignored the world itself. Perhaps. Both of you are special to me and I'll move mountains for either of you, but I'm drawn to her like no other. It's seriously hard to explain. HMMM, she hummed. At least don't go ignoring Kanoko like that. The poor girl looked like you killed her puppy in front of her. Yeah, I'll try. Izuku and I started walking in the direction of my place. Apparently, she's not convinced I'll get home without getting lost in Hokkaido. That was one time, I tell you anyway, as we're almost at my house. I brought up the subject I was pretty much dreading the entire time. Hey, about the entrance exam, I start. What about it? She asked. I may have done goofed. I accidentally used fire, I replied. She looked back at me with a "Are you serious?" face and I tried my best to avoid eye contact. Did the other examinees see you? She asked. I guess you could say that the rest in the battle arena saw it. Yeah, haha, I tried to laugh it off. So I figured it'll happen sooner or later, not gonna lie. You should just update your quirk registry to energy manipulation or something like that. It'll cover your initial super strength while still convincingly explaining what you did, she said. I looked at her like she grew a second head. Thankfully she can't read minds or she'd start lecturing me. She's no Orthrus. I then proceeded to her and carry her in bridal style as we ran towards my room. I'm gonna reward this little wolf all night long. Time skip to Friday. I stand in front of the restaurant where I agree to meet with Achako. I found a letter, which I had no idea where it came from, in my pocket the next day saying where we should meet. It's a restaurant called Chajiya in Chome District. It's a traditional Japanese restaurant with lots of historical and cultural significance. As I entered the restaurant, my eyes were immediately drawn to Achako, who awaited me at our table. She wore a stunning black dress that gracefully complemented her figure, and a delicate flower tiara adorned her hair, adding a touch of enchantment to her ensemble. Stunned by her beauty, I couldn't help but pause, momentarily captivated by the vision before me. Achako's smile lit up the room as our eyes met, and the air seemed to shimmer with the promise of a delightful evening ahead. Greetings, my dear knight, she said with a smile brighter than the sun. You are more beautiful than the stars on the clearest of night sky. Thank you for joining me for dinner, I said. Why thank you. We should probably have a seat, she said. Awesome, I've never been to this place before, I said. It's good to hear that we'll get to share our first experience of the place, then, she said with a smile. We then each ordered food for tonight. As for the drink, we both ordered green teas. So, while we wait for our food, how about we get to know each other, I suggested. What do you have in mind, Sir Knight? Simple, really. We ask each other a question. The other person will share as much as they're comfortable with. I'll start with something I never would have guessed about you. Alright. Well, you could say that I haven't always been this blessed in terms of resources. I was initially raised by my uncle and aunt to live a simple life. As a young child, I always used to look up to heroes and want to be someone who not only saves the civilians but the heroes as well. I remember people cheering up heroes after having a bad day and how much people's cheers make them happy. Thanks to my current position, I'm now able to, at least partially, be that person, she said with a happy smile on her face. I stared wide-eyed at her. Just how amazing can one person be? Wow, I gotta say I'm thoroughly impressed. I've never looked at the interactions between the fans and the heroes that way, I said. Thank you. I haven't really been all that familiar with this side of the world since I discovered my heritage. Tell me, as someone who balances the life of a hero in training Tobe and an evoker, how do you find both worlds? I've just gotten used to it that they blended, I guess. Of course, I don't have to worry about quirk usage law as an evoker, and the creatures from elsewhere are generally much tougher, but I also find them wonderful. Of course, I can't ever forget that there's this gorgeous sword-wielding girl I met several months ago, I replied. Oh, there are more of us around, should I feel jealous, she teased. No, never. There's something about you. As if we are bound together, beyond time and space, I said. Most men, I believe, Sir Knight, would wait at least their second date to declare their undying love, she said. Yeah, it's just. Go on. When you jumped out of that portal, I felt like I got the other half of my soul back. Like my entire life, I had been missing something, and at that moment, I found it, I said. And deep inside, I know you felt it too. And I don't know why I know that. I just do. Oh, our food has arrived. Let us eat, Sir Knight, she said. Of course, to good food and great company. Amidst the ambient hum of the restaurant, Izuku and I savored the last bites of our meal, engaging in small talk that wove a comfortable thread between us. Laughter punctuated the conversation, creating an atmosphere of shared enjoyment. With each passing moment, the restaurant became a backdrop to the delightful exchange, the plates now empty but the connection between us rich with the promise of more shared moments to come. That was nice. Thank you, Izuku, she said as she put down the cutlery. That was amazing. I guess it feels totally different eating in such a significant place. And the company made the meal even tastier. Thank you for agreeing to come. It is my first date. I should at least enjoy it. Thank you, Izuku, she said, which stunned me. Wait, you've never been on a date before? Like never, I asked. No, I was betrothed once. But that doesn't really count, she said. Oh, where's your fiancé now? I asked. She then wore a really severe expression on her face. Dead, she answered. Oh gods, I'm so very sorry, Izuku, I said. Do not be. It's a political engagement, and unlikely to ever be anything more even if we eventually got married, she said. Why? Because I could never love someone as shallow or self-centered as him, and I doubt he could ever love anyone but himself. Or are you asking about the political marriage? That one, yes. Royals do not marry for love, we marry for the court. My father hoped to tie some powerful clan closer to the throne by marrying me. I expect he still does, she said. What happened to the other guy? I asked. He was found in bed with another man's wife, she said. That is, I can forgive the infidelity as there were no emotional strings between us. But I cannot forgive stupidity in my future consort, and trying to cuckold a council battle mage was not a great sign of intelligence, she said. I guess not. The next day, they met at noon at the tourney field. Afterward, the keepers spent the rest of the day trying to pick up the pieces of my ex-betrothed scattered in a wide area, she said. Ouch. Which brings me here. Shipped off to study in the old world. Out of sight and out of mind. Let the Dryan people pretend to forget before my father pawns me off on some other noble to prop up his throne, she said. Well, at least something good came out of it. Are there no nobles worth marrying? I asked, curious. Ours is a society in decline, Izuku. We live long, which hides it, but we are not what we once were. Half the council seats at the round table stand empty, and none are willing to, or even capable of, filling them, she said with a sad smile. Couldn't you find someone from this side of the world? What about me? I asked, hopeful. Hey haha. Oh, Izuku. That would be nice. But unless you're an incognito king from some distant realm, I fear it cannot be. Whom I marry to is not up to me, and in this, I must serve the needs of the realm. Well, you never know. I could be, right. The long-lost prince of Mustafu, she asked. Yeah, I guess not. So if you've never been on a date, does that mean you've never ate? I ask. My betrothed had me on the cheek if that counts, she answered. Nope, it definitely doesn't. Would you like to try it now? It's the kind of thing people do on a date. My, are you not brazen? But I fear the rules of the court are different from this world. I must remain until my marriage bed, and so seal the alliance in. We're talking about a here, Izuku. Not a night of crazed, I retort. Though I'm not against doing the latter either. Perhaps, but not on a first date, she replied. Well, there's only one solution to that, then, I told her. Oh, she let out, intrigued by what I was about to say. We must go on another date, I declared. Perhaps we must. I have enjoyed this, she said. And next time, I can get I ask. We shall see. Let us pay and go, she said. Here, let me, I said as I brought out 6,000 yen to pay for our food. You are aware that my family's not exactly poor, at least not anymore. Yeah, but the rules of my world are different than the court's. Just because you're rich and I'm poor doesn't mean I'm not paying for dinner when I invite you to a date, I declared. Well, I guess I should be the one to invite you next time to balance out the scales, she said, which made me extremely happy. I would enjoy that, I said. Let us go, she said. Should I walk you home? I offered. Thank you for the offer, but I shall be fine. Will you be safe alone? Izuku, I have been trained as a warrior since I could walk. I both can and will take care of myself, despite the dress, she said. I guess there's that. I love the dress. You look gorgeous in it, I said. I noticed how she twirled a little to let me see what she looked like behind. This girl. Well, then at least it has served its purpose. Thank you for this, Izuku. I cannot remember the last time I enjoyed myself like this. Anytime. See you soon, Izuku, I said. I'm gonna have to have a cold shower back home. Ouch, I screamed, as Itsuka's tending to my wounds after my training today. Haha, stop complaining, Izuku, she said as she slapped at the dressing she just finished over my burned skin. You only have yourself to blame here, she continued, this time with a very stern look. Seriously, I looked at her in disbelief at what she was doing. I accidentally ran into a Minotaur Lord by myself and got locked into combat with it. Unfortunately, there's also a high-level fire elemental in the area which then took advantage of the fight and released a fire that even burned me, an evoker. It shouldn't really be a big deal, overall. Just some third-degree burns across my arms and torso. It'll heal by tomorrow morning, but in the meantime, it'll also hurt every time it bumps into something or gods forbid my clothing sticks to it, so I opted to get it treated. But still, it's crazy that you're able to take on a Minotaur Lord by yourself, she said. Yeah, it's a brutal fight. Don't get me wrong, and I'm honestly not sure I'd be able to win that encounter. In some way, I guess it's lucky the elemental was there because I managed to run away, I told her. Yup, I ran away from them. Still, if I had a nickel every time I saw a Minotaur in this part of the world, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird it happened twice. I looked at Izuku and noticed her expression. Oh, I'm gonna get lectured, aren't I? Welp, thanks for this, Izuku. I better go home since I might get the acceptance letter from UA anytime now, I told her, wanting to escape here as soon as possible. You sure you don't want to spend the night, she asked, with a lewd expression. Nope, not falling for that one again. It's not the first time she used this trick on me to get me to stay and listen to her lecturing me all night. And no, it's not the fun kind of lecture. Not today, sorry. I'll do it next time, I said as I booked it back to my home. These 2 weeks, I've been in contact with Ochako and we went on a date just last Friday. Looks like Friday dates will become a tradition if these 2 dates are anything to go by. I also made sure to spend more time with Kanoko and Itsuka, with us hanging out almost every day like we used to. Heck, Yui's even joining us every now and then. Walking to my house, I grabbed the knob and opened the door. I'm home, I said. Midoriya residence. Welcome back, Izuku, Mom said as she greeted me in our hallway. She then looked at the wrappings around my body and said, what happened to you? Sorry to scare you, Mom. It honestly looks way worse than it is. This is just so it won't stick with my clothing than anything, I reassured her. You sure? She asked, tearing up. I feel so guilty seeing Mom like this. Yeah, you can ask Itsuka if you don't believe me, I told her. Don't say that, son. I believe you, but suddenly seeing you like that. It's honestly fine, Mom. You have nothing to worry about, I, again, reassured her. All right, but if it worsens, I'm dragging you to the hospital. Don't think just because you're a giant now, I can't do that to you, young man. Okay, Mom. We have a deal, I told her. Oh, yeah. I just remembered that we received a letter from UA. It must be the results for your exam, she said as she handed me the letter from the table. Great, I'll just go and open this up in my room, I told her as I took the letter. As I entered my room, I then got hit by a sudden wave of fatigue. That bovine really knocked the wind out of me. Thankfully, it's much closer now than when I fought one with Ochako almost a year ago. I'd still have likely lose if it continued, or if not, be why enough that I'd still be in mortal danger. I need to get stronger, I thought as I opened up the letter. A device the size of a large coin fell out as I did this and projected an image of All Might wearing a yellow suit with blue necktie on. I am here as a projection. Wait, this is from UA, right? You may be wondering why I appeared in this letter. I am now proud to announce that I came to this city to work at UA. I guess that makes sense. I have come here to announce that you, Midoriya Izuku, passed the written exam with flying colors. On top of that, you managed to score 87 villain points during the practical exam, making it the highest we've had in years. Oh, that's a relief then. That must mean I passed. And that's not all. There's more. The entrance exam the other day was not graded only on villain point. This is a job that requires risking one's life to put lip service into practice, so we have rescue points given by a panel of judges. It's another basic ability. We at UA look at Midoriya Izuku 60 points, totaling your points to 147 points, one of the highest in UA history. All Might then reached out his hand and said, "Here is your Hero Academia." I didn't realize up until now how much I was looking forward to being a hero, nor how much I may have taken after my mom with the waterworks. Either those or All Might is just that great at tugging at heartstrings. He then proceeded to explain to me that the students were expected to live in a dormitory building being overseen by midnight. Does that mean I'll get to see Ochako every day? Then I thought with a smile on my face. Also, since the staff at UA also knew about me being an evoker, they had me attend 2 extra classes a week. One on Mondays and another on Thursdays. I told Mom that I passed and both shared a hug. Then she pulled up some fancy meal, saying it was to celebrate my passing, though she already expected it. During the meal, I let her know that I'll be moving to the dorms and asked if she was okay living alone. I guess it'll be quite lonely without you around, but don't worry about me and follow your dreams, Izuku, she said while teary-eyed. Thank you, Mom. I'll make sure to visit as much as possible, I said. I'd like that, she replied. We finished our meal, washed the dishes, and went to sleep. After I went to bed and got some shut-eye, I woke to some kind of beach. No, it's near a lake or something. I found myself resting on the lap of Ochako. What's going on? I thought. I tried to speak, but I couldn't. Then Ochako started speaking. I declined. Once, and once again, I was left watching the person I loved with all my heart disappear before my eyes. I will not let it become thrice. We will be together, my Tomcat, in this world, and in eternity, she said. What are you talking about? Ochako, I looked around and found my body was on fire. What in the world is going on? Then take me back into your arms, if you my love would win. I'll hold you tight, and fear you not, you'll be my gentleman, she said. I found myself speaking yet not. At the very least, I couldn't understand the words that were supposedly coming out of my mouth. But first you'll change, all in my arms into a wild wolf. I'll hold you tight and fear you not, you are my own true love. The flame furs back and forth in less than a second between temperature rivaling the core of the sun and absolute zero. Both extremes try to cancel each one's effects. And then you'll change, all in my arms into a wild bear. I'll hold you tight and fear you not, you are my husband dear. Then I found the fire enveloping my body intensify to something I'd never seen before. Its flame burnt the trees charcoal black and superheated the air itself. And then you'll change, all in my arms into a lion bold. I'll hold you tight and fear you not, and you will love your child. The flame is winning. I watched it as it approached her. Her face shows extreme pain, and she makes sure she's still smiling until the end. And then you changed, all in my arms into a naked man. I wrapped you in my coat so warm and I have brought you home. Beside the tranquil lake, the all-encompassing flames continue to fur, enveloping me, Achako, the universe itself, and beyond. Amid this cosmic conflagration, a profound stillness marked the solemn moment as the flames, once confined, now consumed everything in a quiet, all-enveloping embrace. Then everything turns black. I heard voices coming from everywhere and nowhere at once. The sun shall wash away the father's sins banging and fire the toll long postponed. The light of the black sun shall cleanse the world. What? Thrice paid. Once in loyalty, once in service, once in love, thrice paid before the return. I am her to wake you, I am her to wake you. I found myself jumping as I woke up, confused as to what was happening. I found myself back in my room. I'm covered in more sweat than I've been in years. I then took a moment to calm down. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breath out, wax on, wax off. After calming down, I made sure to take a shower as soon as possible and remove the bandages around my body. I then thought back about that dream. What was that all about, I asked myself. Time skipped to 1 week later, first day of UA. Days passed and I'm still nowhere near a clue on what that dream was about. Not one about the things Achako said, not even one about a black sun. At first, I thought it was connected to a solar eclipse, but only found a dead end on that path. Though who my father is may give a clue on at least something. I found myself walking in the hallway of UA, finding the room labeled 1A. As I reached out for the door, I heard someone arguing. Don't put your feet on the desk, one person said. Looking at the guy, it's the one with blue hair and wearing glasses. Of all the people. How, the other said. Looking at him, I instantly recognized Kaken. Don't you think that's rude to the UA upperclassmen and the people who made the desk? I don't. What middle school did you go to? You side character, Kaken asked the guy. He had a shocked expression but regained his nerves, then replied, I attended Sumi Private Academy, Ada Tenya. Sumi, so you're a damn elite. Looks like I'll have fun crushing you. Crushing, you're horrible. Are you really aiming to be a hero, he asked, which Kaken only scoffed. It's too early for this, I thought. It was at this moment that I had enough and proceeded to an empty seat just behind Kaken. Good morning, I am from Sumi Private Academy. My name is Ada Tenya. He then walked over to my desk. So I heard. Midoriya Izuku, by the way, I told him, disinterested. Midoriya-kun, you realized there was something more to the practical exams, didn't you? I had no idea. I underestimated you. I hate to admit it, but you're better than me, he said. I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. Ada, I told him. If you're thinking about what I did to the zero-pointer, it's nothing more than me trying to save someone. I had to take down the robot since I had no idea whether someone's in the similar position as her without us knowing. I told him as I pointedly looked at the invisible girl. Is that so? I still respect you for doing what you did, even more so now. Also, I'd want to apologize for my rude words toward you and your friend back then, he said as he bowed in a perfect 90 degrees. I may have been on edge because of the exam, but what I said is still unbecoming of me. Please accept my apologies. Apology accepted, I told him. He looks funny and we may have started on the wrong foot, so I'll give him another chance. I simply got pissed off when he called me cheering up Kanoko disgusting. Then I saw Achako walk into the classroom. For some odd reason, I expected her to arrive in her armor, but she's not. She's wearing the UA uniform like the rest of the girls. I gotta say, she looks cute in that outfit. Greetings, my knight, she said. Hello to you too, Achako. Told you we'd be in the same class. Indeed you did, Izuku. I am looking forward to spending this time with you, she said. And I wouldn't miss a single moment of it for the world. Oh my god, are you too? A pink-skinned girl said as she excitedly jumped up and down from where she stood, but she got interrupted in the middle. No, she doesn't have very light skin tone we usually mean by pink skin, but it's literally pink. The same shade you'll see on a pink lotus. Go somewhere else if you want to play at being friends, a caterpillar-like guy said as he is standing around the classroom door. Geez, someone didn't wake up on the right side of the bed last night. First Kaken, and now him. They're making the guy standing on the wall with a bird-shaped head over there look like bursts of sunshine and rainbows in comparison. It then started getting out of the sleeping bag and I'm surprised when it turns out to be a person. Oh, so it's a person. Here I thought some caterpillar creature from elsewhere escaped and was about to freeze him. I've seen some weird things over there. Okay. I'm your homeroom teacher, Aizawa Shota, he said. Nice to meet you. It's kind of sudden, but put this on and go out onto the field, he said as he pulled out a uniform out of the bag. At the UA field, quirk apprehension test most students, including me, said. What about the entrance ceremony? The orientation, a girl with frog-like features said. She has a wide mouth that dips down the middle and a rather large set of hands. If you're going to become a hero, you don't have time for such leisurely activities, Izuocha said. UA's selling point is how unrestricted its school traditions are. That's also how the teachers run their classes, he continued. You'd done these before, hadn't you? He then looked at us and brought up his phone to show us the screen. It shows the names of 8 different exercises. These are throwing, standing long jump, 50 meters run, endurance running, grip strength, repeated side steps, sit-ups, seated toe touch, physical fitness tests where you weren't allowed to use your quirks. The country still uses averages taken from results from students not using their quirks. It's not rational. Well, the Ministry of Education is procrastinating. Midoriya, you finished at the top of the practical exam, right, in high school. What was your best result for the soft throw? 84 meters, I answered. I can throw it way more without the use of quirk because really I don't have any. But it would raise eyebrows if I didn't hold back to something more in line with the average person. Then, try doing it with your quirk, he said as he handed me the and I walked inside the encircled area. You can do whatever you want as long as you stay in the circle. Give it your all, he continued. I then manifested the cards and used force as the effect. While playing a straight flush, I wound up and released it with all my might. The sphere sailed through the air, tracing an arc against the backdrop of the open sky. The force behind the throw carried a momentary weightlessness, a fleeting connection with the kinetic energy propelling thee into the distance. As it soared, the world seemed to pause, capturing the intensity of the moment when potential energy transformed into a kinetic dance through the air. It took a while before Izuocha's phone beeped and showed the results to the class 12,877.44 meters, which surprised the rest of the class except for Ochako and Kaken. Almost 13 kilometers. For real, a blonde guy with black streaks on his hair said. What's this? It looks fun, the earlier girl with pink-colored skin said. We can use our quirks as much as we want as expected with the hero course, the dark-haired guy with the big, round elbow said. It looks fun, Izuocha said. You only have 4 years to become a hero. Will you have an attitude like that the whole time? Alright, whoever comes in last place in all 8 tests will be judged to have no potential and will be punished with expulsion, he continued. The entire class was shocked by what he said. Don't get me wrong, I'm confident I'll at least not come last. But seriously, downright smashing the student's life like that. We're free to do what we want about the circumstances of our students. Welcome to UAS Hero Course, he said. Last place will be expelled, but it's the first day of school. No, even if it wasn't the first day of school. This is still too unfair, Ochako said. I was going to say it, but she beat me to the punch. Natural disasters, big accidents, and selfish villains. Calamities whose time or place can't be predicted. Japan is covered with unfairness. Heroes are the ones who reverse those situations. If you want to just talk with your friends at the local fast food store, then too bad for you. For the next 4 years, UA will do all it can to give you one hardship after another. Go beyond, plus ultra. That was a long-winded way of saying you're too lazy, Ochako retorted. Is it not your job to help guide the students so long as they're willing to learn, or are you so eager to laze in your sleeping bag that the first thing you do after arriving at class late is to find an excuse to have fewer students, she said. You are correct that none of the things you listed there are fair. But is it not the point of us attending UA in the first place for us to have the guidance to learn how to deal with those said unfairness once we are out on the fields and no potential? Need I say more about how imbecilic that sounds, she continued. Damn, she laid it on him. Izuocha's eyes are bulging and the rest of the class are looking at her like she grew a head or something, afraid that he'll expel her. I simply chuckled at the exchange. I know he won't. You should stop now, girl, or he started. Or what I said. I'm not a fan of this guy since he appeared, and if he threatens Ochako, he'll be on my permanent blacklist. Ochako then held my arm, as if to silently say she's got this. No, I won't, Izuocha. For what kind of hero would I become if I turned a blind eye to this injustice, she said to him. Sigh, alright, you made your point. There won't be any expulsions happening, he said, which relieved the rest of the class. I still think he's an asshole. After that incident, we were finally able to do the quirk apprehension test. Throwing. Ochako managed to score the highest with a score of infinity. A girl named Yaoyorozu came in second, surpassing me, by creating helium moons to float them up. It eventually popped, netting her a score of around 14k. That's interesting. Standing long jump. A test where it only counts if you can clear it, which quite a few of us were able to do. 50 meters run. With my already huge physical advantage on top of using my quirk to propel myself forward, I was able to clear the runway in 0.042 seconds. Ochako was able to clear it within 1.02 seconds. Third was Ada, who got 3.02 seconds. Endurance running. Since it's been going on for so long, Yaoyorozu and I are mark tied for this since she created a diesel-powered bike. Except for us two, Achako's result is far better than the rest of the class. Grip strength. Achako, Yaoyorozu, and I broke our measuring tools, with Yaoyorozu creating some kind of pulley system to grip hers. Next to her is a guy named Mizo who was able to measure 540 kilograms. Repeated side steps. I was able to place first. The guy named Mina made a pretty interesting usage of his quirk. The Yaoyorozu girl took inspiration from this and created wheeled shoes and put bouncy ass on each side of herself. It's nowhere near as effective as the Mina guys, but talk about a versatile quirk. Achako still placed further than her though. Sit-ups. I took first place with Achako taking the second. I expected the Yaoyorozu girl to come up with something, but she didn't. Did she run out of resources? Seated toe touch. Like with the sit-ups, Achako and I bagged second and first place, respectively. Surprisingly, Yaoyorozu was able to create something. She created a glove-like material that lets her touch her toe, barely bending her body at all. She came up in 5th place. Okay, I'll quickly tell you the results. The total is simply the marks you got for each test. It's a waste of time to explain so I'll show you the results all at once, Izuocha-sensei said. 1. Midoriya Izuku. 2. Achako Pendragon. 3. Yaoyorozu Momo. 4. Todoroki Shoto. 5. Bakugo Katsuki. 6. Ida Tenya. 7. Takoyami Fumikage. 8. Shoji Mizo. 9. Ajiro Mishiro. 10. Kirishima Ijiro. 11. Ashido Mina. 12. Koda Koji. 13. Sato Rikido. 14. Asui Tsuyu. 15. Aoyama Yuga. 16. Shiro Hanta. 17. Kaminari Denki. 18. Jiro Kyoka. 19. Hagakure Toru. 20. Maita Minoru. Lastly, Ashido, Midoriya, and Pendragon. You three are called to the principal's office. With that, we're done here. There are handouts with the curriculum and such in the classroom, so when you get back, look over them, he said. I am included, Ashido said. Let's just get it over with and go there. I doubt it'll take long, I told them as we went to the principal's office. As I opened the door, I saw a mouse, a dog, a bear, whatever before it spoke. Good afternoon to you three. Am I a mouse, a dog, a bear? My real identity is principal. Good afternoon, the three of us said at the same time. Glad to see that the three of you are here, he said, looking at the three of us. Now, for the reason why I want the three of you here is that on top of the hero courses you're supposed to attend, I want the three of you specifically to attend a few more classes to further hone your talents. I believe we've already provided you this information when you got your acceptance letters, he continued. That is correct, I answered for the three of us. Then Ashido-san raised her hand timidly. Yes, Ashido-kun, he said. Sir, I thank you for providing more guidance for us. I appreciate it, but I don't know why I'm included. Going by the quirk apprehension test, these two are beyond amazing. But I have no idea why I'm grouped with them, she said. Oh, that is because you are aware of the hidden side of the world, just like these two, and the world of magic, he said. It's not that surprising to find someone who knows about magic in the top hero ranks. It's almost impossible to find ones who knew them below that. Never mind a hero in training. I didn't sense any power from her the whole test. This could only mean that she knows someone from elsewhere or she's an esoteric mage. At the very least, I don't feel any spark inside her. Looking at Achako, she appears to have the same thought as I am. Ashido-san, are you a mage? I asked her directly. There's no point in beating around the bush. In a matter of speaking, I guess. Wait, are you two mages? She asked. Yeah, I'm an evoker. Achako's an enchanter, I told her. Oh, she said. Nervousness obvious from her body language. I'm, I guess, a ceremonial mage. At least I was taught by my mom, she said. Shocked at the revelations. Ceremonial mages and evokers famously do not get along. Most ceremonial mages I encountered are insufferably smug about being able to siphon powers from vile and perverse creatures from elsewhere. Not to mention their very vocal stance of evokers being relics from bygone eras. I felt irritated at the knowledge, but I managed to calm myself down. I then addressed the principal. I see. So what are these classes we're taking? The three of you, along with another student, will be attending a ceremonial mage class, he said. Please tell me you're kidding, I asked him. No, I'm not. You'll also be attending an evoker class along with the other students. Ashido-kun, you are allowed to take dancing classes, if you want. Princess Pendragon, you'll be enrolled in a few enchanter classes. I'm sure you'll like the advancement of magic we've made, he said. Wait, Princess Ashido-san looked at Achako. It is nice to meet you, Ashido-san. I am Achako Pendragon, Princess of, heiress to the throne of Camelot founded by Merlin and the late King Arthur Pendragon, my great-grandfather, she said, which prompted Ashido-san to do a curtsy bow to her, a confused look on her face. Holy crap, I'm classmates with a real princess, she rejoiced after snapping out of it. Okay, if she stays like this, she might not be all that bad. Would she be the first ceremonial mage I won't want to drop in a pool of acid? It was then that I heard the door open and was greeted by a woman with blue eyes and blonde hair. Her hair was long and braided at the side. I would call her above average in height, if not for the heels she's got, which makes it confusing. She's wearing a dark gray button-up dress with no other accessory except for the choker on her neck. Her name tag says she's Professor Sarah Rainier. Honestly, she's kinda hot. but she's also likely older than electricity. Good afternoon, students. I'll be the one who will educate you for ceremonial magic. And originally, it's supposed to be Professor Booker who'd assist the evokers, but due to an emergency, someone else was sent in for the temporary position, she said. What happened? I asked. What usually happens if you're found on top of Calton Hill wearing steel armor during a thunderstorm, she answered. Ouch, Ashidasan said, empathizing with the evoker professor. I'm liking her more and more. Not a big deal or anything, but certainly liking her more than other ceremonial mages. Why evokers, you lot will be the death of me. Anyway, the infirmary says he'll likely pull through, though he's still prone to uncontrolled muscle spasms, so there's that, she said. Which surprised me. Evokers are always far easier to kill than to be put out of commission for more than a day. It still won't be easy to kill one, sure, but a whole lot easier. So who's teaching us? I asked. We were fortunate enough that another evoker was found and sent, the principal said. While his academic background might be a little unconventional, comes with strong recommendations from several alumni, she said. I can kinda understand. Finding an evoker over 35 is damned hard. We're rare enough as is, but most of us bite off more than we can chew at far younger ages. An older evoker that can teach, on top of that, yeah, they're lucky, all right. You'll meet him soon enough next week on Thursday, the principal said. Anyway, that's all I need for you three. Have a great rest of the day, he continued. After getting the handouts from the classroom, we made our way to the dorms, named the Heights Alliance. Finally, you've arrived. Midnight's not here, so I'll be the one who'll inform you lot about the dorms. Each class will have its own building. The building's separated with girls on the right and boys on the left. But the first floor is the common area. Food, baths, and laundry are on this floor. These are the keys to your rooms, he said as he gave us our keys. Curfew's at 10 p.m. If you people want, there's a bar just across the street outside the university gate run by Midnight, he continued and walked outside, though without reminding us one time about the curfew and that we'll be responsible for our actions in case there would be an incident in it. We went to our respective rooms to change our clothes and relax. After a while, I got curious about the bar Izuocha-sensei said, so I went there for a drink or two. What greeted me was a tall, curvaceous woman. She had long, thick, spiky dark purple hair, which was made up of layers of varying lengths, and eyes glowing permanently. Yup, it's Midnight. Welcome to the world-famous Leicester Crowley pub. Walk in, Kroll out the finest pub in Mustafu, she pitched. It seems kind of empty for a world-famous bar, I said to her. Very funny. I'm just getting started, she said sarcastically, clearly unamused with what I said. It looks kinda old, I observed the bar. It looks serviceable enough. It has all it would need for a bar, but certainly won't fool anyone into thinking it's recently built. It's been lovingly restored to its original condition, an immaculately preserved fragment of a bygone era. Why job? It was too, she said, still trying to pitch for the place. What was wrong with it? I asked. Except for being old. I kept that thought to myself. Well, first of all, as I said, pain in the ass to get it off the wood, and forget about the cushions, then the claw marks, but I think I covered those up quite well, she said with an exasperated tone. Wait, is it safe now? I asked, looking around the place. Now that I see it, there are signs of that everywhere. Safe is such a relative term. It's totally safe compared to some parts of the world, she said. Should you really be running a pub in a place like this? I asked. Oh yeah, and I've gotten in touch with some additional security to help prevent any future mishaps. Should be here any moment now, she said. Like a bouncer? I asked. Sorta. Yeah, let's go with bouncer. Sounds normy enough, she replied. Then a glimmer in her eyes like she realized something. You're in Ko's boy. Huh, you look older than I expected. Beaut eyes, I can see the resemblance to your father, she said, her tone as if she found the last missing piece of a puzzle that she'd been trying to solve for centuries. Wait, what did she say? Did you know my dad? I frantically asked her. I need to know who my father is. Oh, very much. In a most biblical way, she said. What are you talking about? I asked the question I'm going to regret years down the line, but didn't know yet as of this moment. We used to like bunnies. Your father, and Co, and I, in that huge bed back on the ranch. Good times, she replied. Gods, why did I have to ask that? Also, I realized something. Her glowing eyes indicate she's actually a mage of some sort. So my mommy's she also a mage like you? Gods, no. And Ko's the least magely person I've met, though she had her own magic, of course. Those gorgeous eyes, that body, and she could like the air intake on a jumbo jet, she recounted to me. Need mind bleach. How about my dad? I asked. Maybe I can finally have some answers to these mysteries. Oh, he was magical all right. Not a mage, thought his kind. Magic is as easy as breathing, she tells me. Can you tell me anything about him? I asked. Not right now. Also, I need a bouncer for my bar and you're it. I'm not expecting you here 24/7, but I need you to be on call if I need someone exterminating, she said. Wait, why do I have to do this? Because, dearie, you and I both know that this is the only way forward. The answers to your questions, to protect those you consider yours, can only be found by doing this, she countered. I hate to admit it, but she's correct. She knows more than she lets on, and it's too important to pass it up. The only way to protect those important to me, most especially Ochako, is going through with this. Knowledge is power, after all. To sweeten the deal, I'll even let you use one of the rooms we got for whatever you need so long as the building's not damaged in the aftermath. For now, you don't have to be here, but you're welcome to try the drinks, she said, gesturing at the bottles on her bar, which I did. Unfortunately, none has the kick strong enough to make me feel anything. Evoker metabolism isn't all that's cracked up to be, and I went to sleep sober after downing bottles of strong alcohol. Katsuki POV. As I lay down on my bed, directly looking at the ceiling, I replayed what that happened in today's class in my head. How everyone used their quirks to not only get impressive results but to dominate. I recall Izuku in every test. I know he can use his quirk in more interesting ways. He's a quirk nerd, after all. But the thing is, he didn't even see the need to. As if saying we're so far below him, he didn't even need to try. And he's right, aside from just one event, he crushed all of us without even trying. Heck, he crushed us even there except for 2 other people. I've been watching all that time. He hasn't even broken a single drop of sweat. What is he? Some parts of me wished he was assigned to a different class. Maybe, perhaps, my pride wouldn't be as shattered the way it is right now. Fat chance it'll do anything. If anything, whatever pride I'd retain would be shattered to a million pieces the second he bulldozed everyone, including myself, at the sports festival. Letting out a deep sigh, I lay on my side as I recall my life up to now. Growing up, I've always looked up to All Might. I thought that heroes were those that would be victorious, no matter how much trouble they found themselves in. No matter the overwhelming number of enemies, no matter how many traps are laid before them. As I discovered my quirk, hearing everyone say how amazing it was, I deluded myself into thinking that I was going to be the next All Might. Izuku and I were praised the same way. Though I was never a fan of sharing the spotlight, I thought it was fine. Maybe he can be my sidekick. His quirk wasn't as strong then. As a boy, he could lift an adult. Impressive in general, maybe, but far from extraordinary from someone with super strength. I can still keep up, I thought like a fool. Then we started growing older, and his powers increased. I saw him from when he struggled to lift a car to throwing it around and catching it as it fell like nothing. Before I knew it, I was caught in his shadow and there was no way out. As days went on, I quickly realized that the next All Might wouldn't be me. Even so, I tried my best. I swear to God, I did. I trained to the point my hands started to bleed from the explosions. Because even if I can't be the #1 hero, I'll still work into becoming someone who can stand tall beside the #1 hero. At some point, I admittedly got caught up in my training. I wasn't able to know how powerful he'd become. We went to different schools, and after that, good luck knowing how strong he is. Today, I did, and I saw the shadow that I was caught up in has now become a black hole where nothing escapes. How I laughed at the thought of it. I'm so pathetic I can't even feel frustrated about this. In fact, I don't feel like doing anything anymore, was my last thought as I went to sleep. The early morning light pierced through my usually heavy curtains, rudely interrupting my affinity for late mornings. Seriously, what kind of ungodly being possessed anyone at this school to think it's okay to have a class as early as 7 a.m.? Grumbling, I dragged myself out of bed, the promise of a new day hardly enough to shake off the remnants of sleep. I'm expecting everyone to still be asleep as I walk down to the common area to get some needed breakfast and have a quick shower before going to evoker class. As I groggily stumbled towards the door, the sound of a sword meeting the air caught my attention. Blinking away the haze of sleep, I opened the door to find Ochako, already immersed in a focused sword practice. Her dedication clashed with my usual morning lethargy, an unexpected but compelling sight that injected a dose of energy into the reluctant start of my day. She then turned to me and said, "Good morning, Sir Knight." "Good morning, Ochako," I replied. After having a look at my groggy state, she gave me a little sympathetic smile, and said, "I take it you are not a morning person?" she asked. "Not really. Waking up every day at this hour would have been torture for me." "Great thing those classes only happen twice a week, otherwise, I'd go crazy," I said. "What about you? I take it waking up early is the norm for you instead." "It is. I usually start my day by 5 a.m. to have my breakfast and have it digested before I do my warm-ups, and start my sword training at around 6 a.m. It would be bad if I become rusty during my stay on this side. After all," she said, "before you go, would it be presumptuous to ask where you were last night?" "It's okay, Ochako. I went to check out the bar across the street that Izuocha-sensei mentioned. Midnight gave me a job there as a bouncer," I told her. "A bouncer that is certainly unorthodox. I imagine having an evoker as one is a tad bit overkill." "And did you agree?" she asked. "Yeah, there's no reason to decline another source of income," I told her. Never mind getting to the truth regarding my father and these visions. "That's understandable." "All right, I won't keep you from your studies then," she said as she. "No good luck for me," I said as I turned on my charming smile. She thought for a moment before pecking me on the cheek. "That will have to suffice, Sir Knight. If you want another one, then that will have to happen on our date," she said with a smile. "Tomorrow afternoon?" I asked. "That does seem like a good idea," she said as she walked through the door. "Hate to see you go, but love to watch you leave." After the brief exchange with Ochako, the morning air still carrying the echoes of swordplay, I set out on the path to the early class. The world, slowly awakening, painted the campus in muted hues of dawn. Spotting someone unfamiliar, my curiosity piqued. A woman with dark, straight hair, shoulder-length, and a distinctive clump of short bangs framed her forehead. The half-a-faff-down bun added a touch of individuality to her style. As our eyes briefly met, the mystery of her presence in this familiar place lingered in the air, a silent question unanswered in the quiet corridors of the early morning. You must be Izuku, she said. How do you know my name, I asked. Never mind using my first name already. Well, obviously you're the other evoker. Ain't nobody else with that kinda aura, she replied. Right. I'm pretty used to being barely able to see them that I'm surprised that someone was able to figure it out. You know I am the evoker. Fire burns before me. Death walks behind me. In the center, there's only me, she said as she recited the evoker oath. Yeah, I know about it. I'm just surprised because you're the first one I've seen since I know my power. Though I can only describe it as playing poker, I told her. So you play with cards, huh? Right. What about yours? Do you promise not to laugh, she asked. Of course I won't, I said. I see them as gems that I kinda match, she said. So you play match 3, that's kinda weird to associate with fighting and magic, I told her. And poker isn't fecking dweeb, she said, rather indignantly. It seems she really took offense to that. Point taken, I told her, my arms raised in a way that convey I meant no harm. Oh, the name's Shamira Nana, by the way. No need to be too formal, just call me Nana, she told me. Oh, alright then. I was going to say you can just call me Izuku, but you already do, I answered, and we both laughed a bit about this. We started walking to the classroom. It helps that someone both interesting and hot is walking with me, or I'd still be cursing this class schedule with all my might. As we entered the class, which looked no different than the others, I then saw someone waiting for the both of us. He's a 6'8" tall man with red hair and a red beard and mustache. He's got the air of power radiating with him, instincts immediately telling me it isn't wise to get on his bad side. Not a single time have I felt this way in the past half a decade. Not even to All Might. So, Izuku, Nana, interesting to meet you. You both can call me Eindridi, he said. Thank you, Professor Eindridi, I said. Just Eindridi, Izuku. This is a temporary side thing, he replied. So you're not planning to become a full-time teacher, I asked. No, this is just a favor for an old friend, he said, then turned to Nana. It's good to finally put a face to the name. Do you two know each other? I do have a connection to the Shamira line, though it's some time in the past. I knew your father well, Nana, and your gran of course, he said. Knew, I asked. He was lost and elsewhere 10 years ago fighting a dragon, alone. A good man, and a good death, he said in a tone like regaling a tale, not bothering to realize how insensitive he's being right now in front of the orphaned daughter. I don't think there's such a thing as a good death, I told him. Cattle die, kinsmen die. You yourself will also die. I know that which never dies, the judgment of every death. That's kinda bleak, isn't it? Where's it from, I ask. Oh, just something my father used to say. All will pass, in the end, until your deeds and reputation remain, he answered. Evokers are the swords of mankind, Izuku. Enchanters provide the steel, sorcerers the guile, but when things with teeth and claws come out of elsewhere, evokers hold the line. Like that Minotaur lord you ended up encountering almost a year ago, he continued. How did you know that? A little bird told me, he said. I guess you're not answering that, huh, I muttered. Wait, Izuku. You fought a Minotaur lord in Japan, Nana asked. Yeah, I guess. Big bovine thingy with 2 axes, I said. That's so cool, and here I thought this city is going to be boring as shit. Only notable I've seen was a sludge villain taking some kid hostage, she said. Sludge villain. Was it also more or less a year ago, I asked. Yeah, that's about right, she replied. Dang, I'm itching to fight a Minotaur lord sometime soon, she continued. A Minotaur lord is perhaps a bit ambitious for someone so young. It's a creature of deep elsewhere, not something you'd normally find wandering the streets of the city, he told us. There was something weird that happened to Achako's spell. Was that you? I asked him. No, I didn't know until much later. And anyway, I don't do blessings, I do lightning bolts. Whatever it was someone else. Or something else, I guess, he told me. Whatever happened then? No idea. Considering Princess Pendragon's lineage, no shortage of powers might be meddling. Either way, the goal of this class is to ensure the next time you meet something like that, you're properly prepared, or at least it'll be useful preparing you, unlike the Cam Wars classes, he told me. So what's the course like, I asked. Let's see. Sarah mentioned I should give you some paper thingy. Here it is, he said as he handed Nana and me the handout for the class. And we'll still get exams for midterm and finals. Damn, that sounds like real work. Feel like I'm back to some kind of high school or some shit, Nana said. There's something about project work in here, I said. Yes, 2 group projects, 1 for each semester. I guess the group's just you two. We'll chat more about it next Thursday morning, Eindridi said. Some kind of paper to write, I asked. Don't be silly, Izuku. It's gonna be about evoker stuff, Nana said. So we'll be blowing stuff up, I asked. Blowing things up, hopefully, Nana answered as she wrapped her arm around me. Travel to many worlds. Meet interesting things. Kill them before they kill you, she continued. Sounds like a plan, I said. Anyway, I'll leave you here for now. I've got stuff to do off campus, and all this dusty stuff has built up a wee bit of thirst. I'll see you Thursday morning, Eindridi said before exiting the room. Okay, the old geezer's gone. I think there's a reception and an open bar out there in the green, Nana said. Isn't it a bit too early? It's barely 8 a.m., I told her. Sun's over the yardarm somewhere, and all this dusty stuff has, she said. Built up a bit of thirst, I continued her thoughts. Yeah, I guess I can have a beer or something, I told her. Free flow booze, man. Uni's all about the fun, she said. Though I still have a class in a few hours, I told her. Not a matter, she said as we walked to the open field and into some bar. Well, at least we got one cool teacher, she said. Was it me or was he weird as heck? I asked her. Seems totally normal to me. Reminds me a bit of Dad, actually, she said. I'm sorry, I didn't know, I told her. It's been 10 years. I miss him, but Andretti's right. He died well. That's all you could ask, she said. You're all crazy. And you're not. How about the Minotaur Lord he's talking about? What about it? That's not something so young should be tangling with. So why did you? I wasn't raised to let a monster attack a girl without helping, I told her. So that's how you knew the princess. Figures, she scoffed specifically when she says the princess part. And did you think it might kill you? She asked. No, but that's not bravery on my part. That's stupidity, I admitted. You're an evoker, all right. No doubt about it. You should probably look at getting some life insurance, she said. Probably. Someone's been on my tail about being more careful, I told her. We started drinking for a bit and noticed she'd been drinking nonstop. I guess she's enjoying the benefit of our metabolism. After a couple more bottles of drinks, she told me, come train with me. Ma family owns a gym by Shizuoka Station. Called Clan Territory. We can hit some bags together. Do some work. Sounds good. I'd love rolling around on the floor with you, I told her. In your dreams, mate, she said. We all need those. I'm there most of the time. Though I guess I need to show up for lectures at some point. You don't strike me as a lecture type of person, I told her. Omni, but I got an order to attend these lectures. And Andretti seemed intriguing, she said. He reminded me a lot of a Yakuza I met when I was trying to get some easy money for some gems, I told her. That's a good thing, she asked. Not really, no. He feels like one drink away from smashing some poor through a table to the floor. Possibly to the basement underneath as well. Anger issues. But who hasn't got one of those? I don't. Never fight angry, I told her. Anger is life. When you fight, you feel the fire burning. If you lose, you die. It's the ultimate high, she said. Not like I don't get you. There are times when the beast calls and you let loose. I sighed at the times when I've broken my own rule. Haha, well, good to know you ain't some poncy book person. Maybe we'll have some competition, all friendly and clean, she said. I guess a competition needs a prize, right? What a booze for the winner, she suggested. I'm thinking something more fun, I told her. You wanna see me tits, is it? She said as she raises one of her brow. It'll do. For starters, I told her with a cheeky grin on my face. You're a why little, ain't ya? She told me. Always. So is it a deal? I asked. Aye, why not best of 3 rounds? When I win, you owe me a decent bottle of sake. If you win, I'll show you my tits, she answered. The red on her face made me question if it was because of the alcohol or something else. It's a deal. Awesome. Let's get another drink to celebrate, she told me as she brought out the 16th bottle we'd been having since the 2 hours. You sure you want to drink more? I know we heal fast, but still, I told her, not exactly sure what to think about her drinking habit. Meh, it'll be fine. Have you heard about Booker, the one that Andretti temporarily replacing? I asked her, unsure of what to feel about the situation myself. Aye, sounds like he came about ing distance from the light at the end of the tunnel. He'll be fine. Eventually, she told me. You seem pretty blasé about this, I told her. Look, Izuku, if you wanted a normal life, this ain't it. Perhaps you could still walk away as a quirkless person or something. Evokers live fast, love hard, and die young. It's who we are, she tells me. I get that, though I reckon Itsuka would have words for her if she heard her tell me that. No, it feels right. Weird, but right, I told her. See, we'll meet again in Valhalla, can't I? She said. Are we now mixing Norse with Japan? I asked her with a grin. Aye, long traditions of interbreeding. Some of it is even consensual. Hell, most of it even human, she said as if she found the irony of what she was talking about. So, you're saying you're a grandmother? Aye, well, most recently, at the very least. The Chimera have been using magic ever since Rome built the wall, she told me. Damn, talk about the history of her. She continued. Who, exactly? Hadrian. And the Romans. Nobunaga and shit. But most especially Arthur. And his goddamned court. All of them. Walking around, all high and mighty as if their shit didn't stink, she told me. Hey, Ochako's nice. I like her, I told her. You just wanna get in her pants. Which I can respect. I've seen her a couple of times from afar. She ain't bad on the eyes, she said with a grin and turned into a look of disgust and disdain. But she's still a Aang royal, she continued, and then she scoffs to the side as if saying the word royal is as disgusting as bathing in manure. From what I've heard, her dad's no saint, at least, I told her as I remembered Ochako's words about her being in an arranged marriage. Aye, be careful with that one though. He famously does not like outsiders, and from how you're talking about his daughter, she seems to like you way too much. I'm not starting any trouble. But if he pushes, I'm pushing back. Hard, I told her. You'd be better off trying to punch a dragon. Understand me, Izuku. He's dangerous. He is a power. People still swear by the king in exile. You canna fight what's basically a full god, she told me. Ochako doesn't feel like a god. She's a bairn, no older than you. Her father's been studying magic since before quirks were a thing. Merlin crafted that line to rule Camelot. Or so they claim, the assholes. Whether you'll win that fight, well, we'll tell. It ain't no accident. Your being here, studying this course, is because your da has set in motion some plan, she told me. So you think he's the one who had Principal Nezu create these weird classes for me? Likely not the only one. Neither Eindridi nor Sarah sounds like a Japanese name, does it? Is it them specifically being here required on your da's plan? Or is it a coincidence? Wait, so me being in a hero course and the grandson of King Arthur would hate my gut because his daughter likes me is due to my dad setting this whole thing up? I'm flabbergasted. I know there is some force pulling things behind the scenes, but to think it's possible it's this much or it's my own father's doing. I'm not sure what to think, honestly. I pick the biggest in the pub and try to kick him in the ass. Now you're thinking like an evoker, she cheered. I need another drink, I told her. Here you go. Just remember what I told you, which is, live fast, die young, she started. And leave a ying mountain of corpses when you finally check out. Kampai, I finished it. Kampai is said. We drank our 34th bottle in the last 3 hours. Anyway, great to finally meet another evoker around, but I really need to go since I'll still need to attend my hero course lessons, I said to her. I'm also starting to feel it. Ha, lightweight, she teased. Just you wait, I'll be drinking you under the table one of these days, I declare. After exchanging a quick farewell with the new acquaintance, I turned away, retracing my steps towards the dorms. The day, now in full swing, beckoned me to take a shower and brush my teeth again for the next class. The morning air held the promise of a routine yet to unfold, and as I walked away, the memory of the unfamiliar woman lingered, adding a touch of intrigue to the rhythm of the day. I hurriedly walked to the dorms, having enough time to have a thorough shower and brush of teeth to wash off any odor the alcohol may have left on my body. A little cologne here and there wouldn't hurt either, so I did use a little. As I walked out of the bathroom, I noticed Ochako and Yaoyorozu talking about something that looked serious. I guess it wouldn't be strange if the Yaoyorozus got contact with Pendragons, I thought. As I entered my room, I got a text from Kanoko and Itsuka that they wanted to hang out with me, so I told them that we could hang out for a bit after school, to which they both agreed. As I walk down to the common room, I can see everyone's already getting ready to go our classes, especially since there's a rumor going around that All Might is the one teaching us. Welcome back, Sir Knight, Ochako called out to me, which caused the rest of the class to look at us. Well, I'm not sure about the invisible girl, who's apparently named Hagakure Toru based on the quirk apprehension test, since I can't see her face. Hey there, I was going to say hi earlier, but it seemed you were busy, I told her. You must mean when I'm talking to Yaoyorozu-san. It's nothing much, just some girl talk, she said as we started walking toward the school building. So, how's your first evoker lesson, she asked. I'm not sure I can really call that a lesson. It's closer to an orientation than anything, I told her. We introduce ourselves, set up expectations, and that kind of stuff. What about you? Didn't Principal Nezu also mention about you having your extra classes as well? Yeah, but those are scheduled after homeroom and heroics classes, she told me. Wish mine as well, I jokingly told her. What's this, you guys have extra classes or something? The blonde lightning bolt guy asked us. I think his name's Kaminari Denki. Yeah, something like that, I told him, refusing to elaborate further. Man, that must have ed, he told us. Other than the schedule, I can't really complain about the opportunity to grow, I said. That is certainly an admirable way of viewing things, my knight, Ochako told me, which made me happy. Dude, you're so lucky you're getting along with an elf girl like her, he whispered to me. I'd be in heaven if I bag a hottie like that, he continued while looking at her, which irritated me. While I won't deny she's hot, I'd advise you to keep your eyes and hands to yourself if you know what's best for you, I told him in an icy tone, which made him back off instantly. What were you two whispering about? She asked us. Nothing, just guy talk, I told her, which she thankfully let go. The conversation continued until we reached our classroom, where we sat on our assigned seats as we waited for whoever was going to be our teacher in our classes. In our English 101 class, we had Present Mike as the teacher. For Physics 101, it's Cementos. Culture 101 was Midnight, who gave me a strange smirk as she walked into the class. Damn it, I got reminded by what she said about Mom. I internally shouted as a full-blown crisis was happening in my mind about getting a mind bleach. After eating a quick lunch, I decided to go to what seemed to be an abandoned location in school. Before the next lesson starts, I'd like to train my senses a bit. It's, by far, my worst ability. Someone like Ochako would have known every person entering and exiting a building she's in without leaving her room. Someone like Yui could walk inside a hospital and know all the medical history of everyone in there, including the staff, before even arriving at the reception. Both of those, of course, assume no one's using a magical veil on themselves, but still. On the other hand, I require someone in front of me already using magic for my magical senses to even register a single one of them. My senses are sharper than a normie, sure, but far from ideal. In the distance, I saw Yaoyorozu talking to a strange person. A girl with a ripped jeans. She doesn't look like a student. At least, she moves wrong. I've been around Itsuka enough to at least be able to realize when something's not human. This seems to be a good opportunity. Maybe I can try seeing through the veil. I tried focusing magic on my eyes. Not a large amount, just a one pair. I played the card and realized my mistake immediately. The amount of magic is way larger than I expected, and rather than seeing through it, I broke the veil itself. Shit. Something burned through my glamour. Harem-sama, an assassin, get behind me and be ready to run. It's an evoker the girl Yaoyorozu's speaking with, which turned out to be a three-tailed kitsune said. Well, not actually. 2 of her tails have turned silver and grown completely. The remaining red one's still developing. She must be around a century and a half old. Hi, I said. I don't think that will be necessary, Kitsune-kun. He is my classmate, Midoriya-san, Yaoyorozu sternly said to her companion. Sorry to scare you girls. I was just trying to train my sight, I told them. This is my associate, Hako no Kitsune. I apologized for her temper as well. Kitsune-kun, this is my classmate, Midoriya Izuku, she told me. Nice to meet you. So, what brings you here today? I asked the fox. To kill things, she said while narrowing her eyes on me. I see, I muttered, readying a card that would let me cast shield in case things get ugly. Shield, then nuke her with a royal flush. No chances. Stop joking like that, Kitsune-kun, she admonishes her bodyguard before turning to me. She is my bodyguard. Sadly, the world of magic can be a dangerous one, she said. Don't worry about her, Midoriya-san, she told me. She then stared at me for a long time, as if in a state of daze, but she was all there, her luminous eyes trying to truly see me. Is there something I can help you with, Yaoyorozu-san? I asked. No, it's nothing. Merely ghost of a dream, half remembered at dawn. My apologies, Midoriya Dono. None required. It's a pleasure seeing you too, even though we started on the wrong foot, I told them. As it has for me. I'll see you in the classroom, she said before heading back to the school building, the fox still glaring at me and barely whispering to herself, abomination, before jumping to the roof and disappearing somewhere. Well, that happened, I said, not particularly to anyone. I better go before I become late. As I arrived last to the class, I went straight to my seat, and it was at that moment I heard a voice. I am, a loud voice said just outside the doors. Coming though the door like a normal person. All Might said as he struck a pose at the doorway. There are so many layers to this that I started chuckling. Leave it to All Might to always make things entertaining, I thought. The rest of the class started getting excited at the arrival of the number 1 hero. It's All Might, Kaminari said. Wow, he really is a teacher, another guy said. He has a spiky red hair. I learned his name was Kirishima Ijiro. That's a costume from the Silver Age, isn't it? Yesterday's frog-like girl said. If I remember correctly, her name's Asui Tsuyu. Looks like I'm not the only hero nerd in this class, I thought. Its style is so different, it's giving me goosebumps, a blonde guy with that tail said. Not sure what else to describe him as. Unfortunately, his name escapes me. I teach hero basic training. It is a subject where you train in different ways to learn the basics of being a hero. All Might said. You'll take the most units of this subject. Let's get right into it. Our agenda for today, as he continued, then brought out a flashcard that says battle in stylized letters. Battle trial, he said. The class got excited at the prospect of being able to use their powers in combat. And to go with that are these, he said as he pointed to the left wall of the classroom. Quirks made based on your quirk registrations and requests you sent before school started, he continued. After you change, gather in ground beta. Yes, sir, we all said to him. At ground beta third-person POV. The students started walking in through the entrance donning their hero costumes, with All Might looking at them, impressed. They say clothes make the man, young men and ladies. Be fully aware, from now on you are heroes, All Might declared. The students started walking in their costumes. Some are dressed in spandex, while others are more practical than style. Achako was wearing a genuine Schwarzwolf plate armor, the same one she had when she fought the Minotaur Lord with Izuku, while Izuku's wearing a regular military camo uniform. That's great, everyone. You all look so cool now. Shall we begin, you zygotes? Izuku POV. Now, it's time for battle trial. Sensei, the robot-like guy beside me, said as he raised his hand. Oh, that was Ida. This is a battle center from the entrance exam, so will we be conducting urban battles again? Ada said. No, we're going to move 2 steps ahead most of the time. Fighting villains takes place outside. But if you look at the total numbers, atrocious villains appear indoors at a higher rate, All Might said. Imprisonment, house arrest, backroom deals in this society filled with heroes. Truly intelligent villains hide in the shadows, he continued. For this class, you'll be split into villains and heroes and fight 2-on-2 indoor battles. Without basic training, Asuasan said, her finger on her chin. This is a real battle to understand those basics, however. The key this time is that there's no robot you can just beat up. How will wins and losses be determined? Yaoyorozu asked. Can we beat them up anyway? Kaken said. I can't say I'm surprised to hear him say that. Will there be a punishment intended like the expulsion threat with Izuocha? Achako asked. How shall we be split up? Ida asked. Doesn't this cape just look amazing on me? Another blonde guy said, fluttering his cape. Aoyama, I think is his name. What made me remember him was the constant tummy ache he got from the quirk test. I've been thinking all this time, Butyret, there are too many blondes in this class considering we're in Japan, you know, a place where people have predominantly black hair. I guess it's a little hypocritical of me to think that considering I have green hair, but still. I'll answer all you questions, All Might said while looking a little overwhelmed by the questions. He then pulled out what seemed to be a script and read off of it. A script. The situation is that the villains have hidden a nuclear weapon somewhere in their hideout. The heroes are trying to dispose of that, he said. The heroes need to catch the villains or get the nuclear weapon back in the allotted time. The villains need to protect the nuclear weapon for the whole time or catch the heroes, he continued. He then produced a yellow box that is labeled lots in it. It's being decided haphazardly. Ada questions. Pros often have to create makeshift teams with heroes from other agencies, so that's like the reason for it, I told him. I see. The discernment to look ahead. Please excuse my rudeness, he said. It's fine. Let's go ahead and do this. Team A Midoriya Izuku and Ochako Pendragon. Team B Shoji Mizo and Ida Tenya. Team C Maita Minoru and Yair Azumomo. Team D Bakugo Katsuki and Todoroki Shoto. Team E Ashido Mina and Aoyama Yuga. Team F Kota Koji and Sato Rakido. Team G Kaminari Denki and Jiro Kyoka. Team H Takoyami Fumikage and Asui Tsuyu. Team I Ajiro Mishiro and Hagakure Toru. Team J Siro Hanta and Kirishima Ijiro. Ah, so his name's Ajiro, I thought. Also, isn't Team A simply overpowered? Seems like destiny that we are matched today, my knight, Ochako told me. Indeed it is. Honestly, I'm feeling pretty bad for whoever's gonna get matched against us in this, I told her. While it's true that I'll have to hold back most of my attacks so I won't turn our classmates to ash, ice cubes, or smears on the wall, there isn't much they could do to actually damage either of us. Based on what I've seen so far, none of them have enough power to damage my skin. And while Ochako isn't especially durable the way evokers are by default, she can enhance her body with magic and use shields on top of that. With her senses being leagues better than mine, I'd say she'll be harder to handle between the two of us from their perspective because the element of surprise simply won't work against her. Maybe Yaoyorozu can use a veil to make themselves invisible to both of us if they're heroes, then they can touch the bomb without us knowing, and even as villains, she'll be able to veil the bomb as well. Hagakure would be a problem if I'm alone and in the villain team. But Ochako's senses would have outed her the second she's in front of the building. Well, thankfully, Yaoyorozu wouldn't be able to use magic in front of everyone considering how mismatched being invisible is to her own quirk. To be perfectly honest with you, the only one I can see would pose a challenge here would be if Yaoyorozu's team veiled themselves. Unlikely that she will do so. Otherwise, we got this in the bag, I told her. That is a brilliant, Izuku. And I agree she'll be a challenge to deal with. Due to the nature of the trial, the enemies don't need to fight either of us at all to win, she told me with a smile as she rested her head on, well, I want to say my shoulder, but her head doesn't reach nearly that high, so she settled my side. The first teams to fight will be, he said as he raised the lettered S. These guys, he continued as the S showed DNA. Team D will be the heroes and Team A will be the villains. Everyone else, please proceed to the observation room, he told everyone. Yes, through the rest of the class affirmed. Villain team, go in first and set up in 5 minutes. The hero team will break in, and the battle will start. As we enter the building, All Might talk to us, young Midoriya, young Pendragon. Learn to think from the perspective of the villains. This is pretty close to a real battle. Don't be afraid to get hurt and go all out. Yes, sir, both of us answered him. If things get out of hand, I'll step in. Yes, sir. Katsuki POV. This S. I thought this upon seeing the team were matching up with the side. I have absolutely no idea about Round Face over there, but Izuku's always been impervious to my explosions ever since day one. Sure, it's become more powerful since then. But seeing what he can do yesterday made me question what kind of chances I'll have against the nerd if we were to fight, and I didn't like the answer I arrived at. Even so, I'll still do anything I can to win. I started running around and doing push-ups, trying to sweat as much as I could. I have 5 minutes to store as much sweat in order to use my special equipment. If this doesn't do anything to him, nothing I have will. Round Face doesn't look like easy pickings either despite her looks, but I sure as hell would stand more chance against her than All Might 2.0 over there. What the heck's their relationship anyway, Sir Knight this? Why Knight that? It's irritating me whenever I hear them talk as if everything's a joke to them, playing make-believe in front of everyone and looking down on us. And great a hero students they are. I'll have to win. Don't worry, we'll just win this without issue. Scarface over there spouting bull crap while knowing nothing. Oh, yeah, so what's this brilliant plan of yours, Prince Zuko? I asked him. Who's that? Whatever. You don't have to do anything. After the time starts, I'll freeze the whole building and we can touch the bomb then uncontested, he told me. Won't work. Not sure about the girl, but Izuku would just break out of the ice without a problem. That's even assuming he'll get caught in it, I told him. How would he even do that? 5 minutes is up. Hero team may now enter. As we entered the building, the idiot froze it entirely. You idiot. I won't be able to use my quirk if you do that. What's the problem when all we have to do is touch the bomb? You idiot. I then heard the sound of footsteps that sent a chill down my spine. It's not particularly fast nor is it slow. A normal walking speed, as if saying there's no need to hurry against us as its victory is as certain as the sun rising to the east tomorrow. I then looked at Izuku showing up at the end of the hallway without his top on. The heck's he doing? Observation deck, third person POV. The sight of Izuku walking down the hallway without his top on certainly got noticed by the rest of his classmates, particularly the girls, and strangely enough mine to Minoru. As for the reason why he's without a top on, the answer's clear once they look at Ochako, who's trying to warm up outside the building. She's wearing his top for extra warmth and is hugging herself. She wasn't incapacitated by the attack or anything. But it's clear it's not nothing for her either. You making fun of us by walking around half-naked or what Bakugo screams would be heard even without the monitors. Ha nah, it's just not a temperature that affects me or anything, so I left it to Ochako so she can warm up, and for me to win this so we can get out of here fast. There's no path to win, Kaken. Surrender now, Izuku said with a confident smile. For him, defeat against these two is inconceivable. They can split up, but he'll catch up to them, and if Ochako re-entered the building, she'll be a hard opponent to beat as well despite her current condition. Katsuki POV. Damn it, he's right. But I won't go down without a fight. Thankfully, I was able to charge my gauntlet before entering the building, and having my chemical romance member over here rendered my quirk practically useless. I lifted my left arm and aimed my sights at Izuku and removed the pin. Boom FWOOSH. What surprised me is that rather than trying to dodge the attack or taking cover, the nerd started sprinting closer, ignoring the explosion directly hitting his naked skin. As he got close enough, he swung his fist to my stomach so fast I wasn't even able to see most of it. I'm already lying on the floor before I realized it and found myself unable to move even a finger. I started losing consciousness before hearing another impact. Shoto POV. What the heck was that? Bakugo let out a large explosion that caused the building to shake, and not only this Midoriya survived a direct hit, but shrugged it off like nothing. What kind of monster is he? No time to think. I sent ice spikes to directly hit him, but much like in Bakugo's case, he simply stood there and the attack hit him. I was surprised when the ice shattered upon contact with his skin. If trying to wound him won't work, then I used all the ice my body could handle and froze the hallway solid. I looked at it and confirmed that he's trapped solid in there. That's what you get for being why. Haha, I thought this as I noticed most of my body was covered in ice now. No worries, I'll just need to melt them. Crack, crack, crack. It was then that the ice prison I created started shaking. Cracks forming everywhere, and along with it, the building itself to a greater degree than when Bakugo let out his explosion. Everything turned black and the last thing I saw was a fist going to my face. Izuku POV. Villain team wins. We were able to win after knocking out both Kaken and a guy named Todoroki. I wonder if he's related to the number 2 hero. I met up with Ochako outside the building. She seemed to still be feeling a little cold, so I hugged her. Thank you, Sir Knight, she said. Anything for my princess, I told her, which earned a chuckle. Let's go back with the others. Go put your top on first. I don't particularly enjoy the thought of other girls leering at your body, she told me as she squeezed the top around her before giving it back to me. I do as she says and put it on as we walk back to the observation room and notice some of their faces are red. I guess it's as expected when they suddenly saw a half-naked man. If it was the me from 6 years ago, I'd be thinking that they should get used to it because they'll eventually see more in this line of job. But I'd be a hypocrite now because if any of the girls did what I did, I'd be replaying the memory for a while. Alright, before we proceed, does anyone know who the MVP of this battle is? Yaoyorozu-san raised her hand. It's without a doubt Midoriya-kun. He was not only able to intercept the hero team before they entered too deeply into the lair, but upon the hero's first attack of freezing the building, he was able to prioritize his ally's condition and on top of getting her to safety, the position selected is behind the hero team, making it the perfect spot for her to ambush Bakugo-kun. And Todoroki-kun should the need arise, she said. Well done, that is correct. Ochako POV. After the review, the next team took their place in the field. It was then that Yaoyorozu closed the distance and whispered to me. Princess, forgive me for the transgression, but there is something I'd like to confirm with you, she said. Sure. Does it require to be a private conversation, I asked. If that is so, I am unsure why she is bringing it up here, of all places, where people can overhear it so easily. Not exactly. Just something I'm wondering about, she said. Wasn't the armor you don a Schwarzkopf plate? Yes, it is, I replied, unsure where she was going with this line of inquiry. My armor is a family heirloom, the armor worn by the late Queen Guinevere herself, gifted by King Arthur. Then doesn't it protect yourself from temperature changes of that degree, she asked. Sard. She figured it out. The look of Izuku as he overheard this is one of shock. Then a grin. While he often gets lost in himself, I love how expressive his face is to the point it is easy to read what he is thinking. His handsome, expressive face is so different from the guarded expression of the court where each emotion shown is viewed as a sign of weakness, a moment to take advantage of. Be that as it may, if he do not develop a poker face soon, then he'll have trouble with politics in the future. I also would guess that he would not let me live this down. After the lessons. The class is now over, so we are gathered near the exit of ground beta. Good work, everyone. We didn't have any major injuries either. You guys took this seriously. You all did a good job for your first training. To have such a proper class after Izuocha-sensei's class, it's kinda anticlimactic, Sue said. That is certainly true. I was unsure of how these classes would proceed, but I am pleasantly surprised of how smoothly this class went. We're free to have proper classes, as well. Well then, I must review the results with young Bakugo and young Todoroki. Go change and return to the classroom, he said the last part as he sprinted away from us. All Might POV. I sprinted to the nearest staff room and immediately closed the door. I transformed back to my true form, a thin, asthmatic-looking guy barely able to catch his breath, and looking like someone about to collapse. This isn't that sustainable anymore. I really need to find my successor and train them while I still can. There are individuals with lots of potential just looking at my students. I shook my head and sat down. This isn't something I should offer just anyone, but maybe I'll try to talk things through with Night Eye and see the successor he got for me. Yay, we got to meet Foxy. The assassin, bodyguard, is in contract with the Yaoyorozu family. Momo's initial events would likely be happening earlier than Akane's because they're classmates in this fic rather than two people who met each other by coincidence. Also, I like the sneaky Ochako for what she attempted in this chapter. Too bad Momo unintentionally outed her. For anyone wondering, yes, Izuku's Kamo suit is a temporary thing. He doesn't have his plate armor yet. I went with the traditional pairing of the two most powerful and 1A canon at this moment, and just had Izuku fight them without using magic, and they lasted shorter than I expected, to be honest. Izuku being Y with his body's resistance is very much an evoker thing to do. Itsuka would still be very mad if she heard about it though. Yaoyorozu would have been a tough challenge if she wasn't paired up with Minta, who would have ruined everything. Or if she's actually allowed to use her magic. The rest of the teams would get stampeded all the same. After the battle trial, I went back to the classroom to finish homeroom. I'm now on my way to meet up with Itsuka and Kanoko at the gates. Ochako has extra classes regarding synthesizing the magical gems, I heard. Sounds very interesting, to be honest, rather than the ceremonial mage classes we're supposed to take. I'm still unsure why I'm in that class, considering I do not need to siphon magic from the disgusting dregs from elsewhere, nor would they pay to see my body. I guess the upside is at least my classmates, for that's pretty cool to okay. I just hope neither Nana nor Ochako starts fighting each other the second they meet. While Nana's hostile to the royal family, I have a feeling Ochako won't just sit down and look down when she's around. Sigh. I heard footsteps behind me. Tap 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 tap. Then the sound of a spray. Psst. Afterward, I felt someone's relatively small hands cover my eyes. Gee, guess who? Shroom. Someone as cute as they sound, I answered. WATH. Haha, you make it so easy, Kanoko, I told her. I turned around to see her standing on one of her mushrooms to reach my height. Geez, don't tease me, Shroom, she replied. Well, I'm not. You are pretty cute, I told her plainly, which surprised her. Anyway, any news from our tardy friend, I asked her, since Itsuka's nowhere near to be found. I think she's still finishing things up over there, Shroom. Monoma's pretty persistent since we entered UA, Shroom, she said while having the tip of her finger touch her chin, in a thinking pose. Persistent how, I asked, raising an eyebrow on what she meant. He's been suggesting for us as a class to have a showdown with 1A to show our class superiority. Or so he says, Shroom, she said with half-open eyes, like she's also been getting tired of the things Monomakun's pulling. She became the de facto big sis of the class, so it fell on her to curb his antics. Shroom, she continued. I see. Yeah, I can see her as the big sis type. Well, while we're waiting for her, why don't we talk more about ourselves? How have you been finding it at UA so far, I asked. It's fun, Shroom. Everyone's so friendly everywhere, Shroom, she said, her eyes gleaming with excitement. Though our homeroom teacher sounds a lot like Monoma, to be honest, so there's that. Shroom, she continued with a sigh. That sounds both fun and an absolute headache. Haha, I told her. For me, my classmates and I get along mostly. We had a quirk apprehension test yesterday, and almost had one of us kicked out, I continued. Yeah. Not sure if it's just because of the homeroom teacher being lazy like Ochako said, or something else, but he threatened to expel the student placing last place. Thankfully, Ochako talked some sense into him, I told her. Ochako, Shroom, she asked. You know, the girl I talked to a bit on the morning of the entrance exam, that's her. You should meet her, you'll get along just fine, I told her. I don't think that's a good idea right now, Shroom, she said, then with a worried-looking expression asked, is she your girlfriend? We've gone for a few dates but nothing official yet. I'd like to change that eventually, but for now, the answer's no, I answered. Oh, she said, feeling down. Don't get yourself down. We can still hang out, just like always, I told her. She then looked me in the eye, then as if gathering all her courage said, Izuku. Sorry for being late, Itsuka said, which surprised both of us. That's fine. Just means you owe both of us drinks, I told Itsuka, then turned to Kanoko, and with a gesture for her to continue, I said, what were you saying again, Kanoko? I can't help but think she timed it there specifically. No, it's nothing, Shroom, she said, her hands covering her red face. Issy. Honestly, I'm not too sure how I'd respond if she did confess to me right now. She's, by no means, bad looking, and I've known about that for years, but my heart belongs to someone else now. Neither of them is like Itsuka, who could accept a casual physical-only relationship. As much as I'd hate it as well, I'll likely end up rejecting Kanoko. Well then, let's go, I told them. I decided to let it go for now. Considering the limited options for evening activities, I racked my brain for a place that would cater to both of their interests, or at least allow enough time for each of them to enjoy themselves. Leading the way through the bustling streets, I guided Izuku and Kanoko to a quaint little park nestled within the heart of the city. The park was known for its serene atmosphere and diverse array of activities. Upon arriving, I suggested we start with a stroll through the botanical gardens for Kanoko, while Izuku and I planned to explore the martial arts dojo together afterward. "It's so beautiful here, Shroom," Kanoko remarked, her eyes sparkling as she plucked a mushroom and examined it closely. "I bet I can find some really interesting ones, Shroom." "I'm glad you like it," I replied, smiling at her enthusiasm. "I'm sure we'll find some fascinating specimens." As we walked, Kanoko shared stories of her love for nature and music, her voice filling the air with warmth and melody. "I've always loved coming to places like this, Shroom," she confessed, a hint of shyness creeping into her voice. "It's like stepping into a whole new world, Shroom." "It really is," I agreed, enjoying her company. "You've got a real talent for finding beauty in the world, Kanoko." Kanoko blushed as she heard the words. Meanwhile, Izuku and I engaged in conversation about our shared interests, and martial arts and vehicles. "You know, I've been brushing up on my martial arts skills lately," I mentioned, scratching the back of my head sheepishly. "I've still got a lot to learn compared to you, Izuku, but I'm getting there." Izuku grinned, a playful glint in her eye. "Well, if you ever want to spar sometime, just let me know. I could use a worthy opponent." As we are having our conversation, I suddenly have a feeling that training fighting with swords would be a good idea. After our botanical adventure, we reconvened and headed to the martial arts dojo. Izuku eagerly immersed herself in her private lesson while I watched from the sidelines, occasionally offering pointers and encouragement. While it's true, being a werewolf, that if she really wanted to, nothing would stop her from wiping the floor with everyone, including the sensei, general martial arts skill would let her use her already strong body to its fullest. As Izuku performed her moves with grace and skill, I couldn't help but feel a swell of pride. "You're doing great, Izuku," I called out, offering her a thumbs up of encouragement. Beside me, Kanoko watched with witty-eyed fascination, her cheeks flushed with excitement. Once Itsuka's lesson concluded, I suggested we all grab a bite to eat at a nearby cafe within the park. "This was such a great idea, Izuku," Itsuka said, taking a sip of her drink. "I had a blast tonight." "I'm really glad you enjoyed it," I replied, feeling a warm sense of satisfaction. "You're both such great friends, and I wanted to make sure we had a memorable evening together." As we sat beneath a canopy of twinkling fairy lights, the conversation flowed easily between us. "Izuku, do you remember that time we all went camping and you tried to cook mushrooms over the campfire?" Shroom Kanoko laughed, recalling the memory fondly. I chuckled, a faint blush creeping into my cheeks. "Yeah, I remember. Let's just say it didn't quite go as planned." Itsuka grinned mischievously. "Hey, at least you tried. It's the thought that counts, right?" At one point, Kanoko glanced at me shyly from beneath her lashes. "Izuku, thank you for tonight, Shroom. It means a lot to me, Shroom." I smiled warmly at her. "Of course, Kanoko. I'm just happy to spend time with both of you." As the evening drew to a close and the stars began to twinkle overhead, I couldn't help but feel a sense of gratitude for the bond we shared. Tonight had been a resounding success, filled with laughter, friendship, and shared experiences. As we bid farewell to the park and made our way to the gates together, I knew that this evening would be one we would cherish for years to come. But still, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was weighing on my mind, something I needed to address before the night was over. "There's somewhere I need to go first," I explained, trying to keep my tone casual despite the nervous flutter in my. Curiosity furred in Itsuka's eyes, but she nodded in understanding. "Sure, Izuku. Lead the way." "Nah, you girls go ahead. I'll be fine from here," I told them, which made Itsuka give me a look. I tried to communicate using my eyes that it's not normie business and I'll be fine. She sighed, before convincing Kanoko to return with her to the dorms. Thank goodness Kanoko's here because Itsuka would insist otherwise. With a sense of determination, I made my way to the empty bar situated right in front of the school gate. The neon sign flickered faintly in the dimming light, casting an eerie glow over the deserted street. This bar was run by our teacher, Midnight, and it was known as a place where students could go to unwind after a long day of training. Pushing open the door, I was greeted by the familiar scent of alcohol and the sound of soft jazz music drifting through the air. Midnight looked up from behind the bar, her glowing eyes glinting mischievously as she spotted me. Well, what do we have here?" she purred, her voice dripping with amusement. "Midoriya Izuku, gracing us with his presence. To what do I owe the pleasure?" I steeled myself for what I was about to ask. "Midnight-sensei, I need to talk to you about something important. It's about my father." "I'd love to help you, Izuku, but I'm swamped," she told me as she started sorting out the bottles of her bar, trying to act as busy as possible. "The bar's empty, Midnight-sensei. It's empty in the morning, evening, and night," I told her while gesturing at the bar without a single customer. "Well, yes, we need to fix that. People are still suffering from irrational worries from that unfortunate incident," she told me, still trying to avoid the question. My father, please. I can't really help you, Izuku. You want answers I don't have, she said. Can you at least give me his name, I asked. No idea, she simply answered. You slept with a man, and you didn't even ask his name, I asked incredulously. Oh, yes, quite a few times, actually, she told me. You're making my head hurt, Midnight-sensei. I could make you a Why Merry Wonderful hangover cure, that one. Let me see, I've got the ingredients here somewhere, she said as she started rummaging through drawers below the shelves. Stop stalling, Midnight, I told her without the honorifics to signify I was done joking around. Midnight's expression softened, and she motioned for me to take a seat at the bar. Of course, Izuku. I'm all ears. What's on your mind? Taking a deep breath, I launched into the story of my mysterious father, recounting everything I knew, or rather, everything I didn't know about him. Midnight listened attentively, her gaze never wavering as I spoke. When I finally finished, there was a moment of silence as Midnight processed my words. Then, she leaned forward, her expression serious. Why don't you ask Inko? She'd know, she told me. No, she wouldn't. You're a mage, right? What an enchanter. You don't feel like an evoker, I asked her. She doesn't feel like any of those. Not even like a ceremonial mage. Shit as my senses are. Hi. A mere 2 days at the university, and you're already busy trying to divide the ineffable into neat little boxes. There's no one teaching my kind about how to use our gifts. Not at UA. Not anywhere. Not that they haven't tried. Why? Because sorcerers are impossible to teach, hard to con, and tend to walk off with the silverware when they discovered you tried. So, after a while, they just gave up. Eindridi said that sorcerers provide the guile, I said, recalling what he said earlier. He would say that. It's not quite like that. We just know. Snippets, knowledge or ideas or things that we're not supposed to have, she told me. Sounds useful, I told her, plainly. It's a why pain in the ass. Have you ever found yourself hauling an eldritch recoilless anti-tank rifle down the paths, knowing it's critically important that you get somewhere, but have all of an idea why it's important, she told, agitated. So, it's like a message from the gods. Not from any of the ones I've asked, no. They think it's something uniquely human. In some ways, evokers and sorcerers form the two extremes of magic. Evokers are, by far, the closest to elsewhere, the least human, she says while pointedly looking at me. Sorcerers don't share much, if anything, with the creatures beyond. Ours is purely human magic. But I've seen you use real magic, like whatever one you're casting right now, causing your eyes to glow like a powers, I told her while looking at her eyes. I haven't met any powers, thankfully, in the short time I've been part of this world. But her glowing eyes are a clear sign of magic beyond the flesh are capable of conducting, being constantly drawn and used, leaking to the outside world. Magic can be begged, borrowed, or stolen. Sorcerers know things, find things. It's easy enough to find some spare power, or a gem of feline transform someone carelessly left lying around, she told me as she purred. Wait, she can turn into a literal catgirl. No, relax, Izuku. She's just trying to distract you again. And how is this relevant to you, my mom, and my dad? I asked her. Izuku, I'm a city girl. Why on earth would I find myself in a threesome with a wholesome and a creature from another dimension in Shirakawago, of all places? Yaoknu. Indeed. It was a nudge so strong I was already aboard the bullet train before I realized it. A few hours later, I was sitting in a dive bar, smoking weed with this gorgeous green-haired girl, when your father walked in. Did you know he wasn't human? Instantly. He hit it well, but was like a passing black hole, so powerful that you couldn't help but be dragged along. We all piled into his car and drove out to a farm he said he owned. Then hid like bunnies throughout the night. And the morning, he was gone, I asked, thinking about the cliché ending to such a scenario. You'd think so. That's how it usually goes. But your father was strange, even by elsewhere standards. We stayed in that place for a month, screwing, talking, and learning. I learned more about magic that month than anything before or after. And in all this, you never asked his name. Oh, I did. And he gave me a name. Dub means black. I knew it was fake, he knew I knew. But the powers don't hand out their true names easily. The name is Celtic, possibly one of the Tuatha De Danann, or he gave me that name just to with me. Greater powers have an odd sense of humor. So he's something called a greater power. What does that even mean? I know about powers, but most of us, stumbling around the chessboard of life, are pawns. Some, a very few, are officers. Bishops and rooks and knights. Those are the powers. And above them are the king and queen. Those are the greater powers. No, a king is just a king. More important than a peasant perhaps, but still just a piece in the game. The greater powers are the players, she told me. And my father Itsuka and Yui told me might have been a greater power. That he's still alive. I don't know who or what he was. Could have been. I've asked about him many times. With people or gods that should know. Some don't know. Most avoid it. Which could mean anything. He's not one of the powers who interact with the people a lot. That much is certain. And afterward, then, one day, he was gone. We decided to leave the farm before whoever actually owned it came looking. Inko was pregnant with you. I could sense your raging wildfire spark, even then. indisputably an evoker. So I stole her weed, got her a train ticket back to her parents, wished her good luck, and jumped on the first flight outside the country. And that's all. That's all until I got a terrible headache and you entered the premises not half a minute later. Is all of this the Crowley you being here? Is that something else you knew? Sometimes the knowing is a geez, like a compulsion. But sometimes I wonder if there are knowings so strong, and yet so subtle, that they carry you through life without you ever noticing. Well shit. And where do we go from here? Work hard. Become strong. Become wise. Make strong allies. Whatever happens, it will happen soon. Don't waste your time. I know this. I will. Thank you, Midnight Sensei, I told her as I walked back out of the bar, trying to digest all the information I was given. Third-person POV. As Izuku returned to his dorm room, the familiar comfort of his bed beckoned him, promising respite from the events of the evening. With a heavy sigh, he sank into the soft mattress, his eyelids growing heavy with exhaustion. The events of the day played over in my mind like a film reel, each moment etched into his memory with startling clarity. He drifted into a state of blissful oblivion, the weight of his worries momentarily lifted from his shoulders. Unbeknownst to him, however, someone was watching from the shadows, their gaze fixed upon him with an intensity that would send shivers down anyone's spine. Midnight stood silently in the corner of the room, her form barely visible in the dim moonlight filtering through the curtains. Her eyes gleamed with an otherworldly luminescence as she observed me with a mixture of curiosity and concern. Despite the eerie sensation of being watched, Izuku remained blissfully unaware, lost in the depths of his dreams. But even in the realm of sleep, Izuku couldn't shake the feeling of unease that lingered in the air, a silent reminder of the mysteries that surrounded him. Sweet dreams, Izuku. You've got a great destiny to find. Or die trying. Midnight said those ominous words and disappeared out of his room. I woke up from the sound of my alarm, turned it off, and got ready for today's lesson. After bathing and dressing up for school, I went down to the common area to see almost nobody there. I greeted everyone and started making my breakfast. I've been kinda craving a traditional Japanese breakfast like Mom always used to make back home, but there isn't enough time to make one, so I settled for buttered toast. I wonder if she's okay, I thought. I know she can take care of herself, but as her son, I still worry. Beep, the toaster let out a sound, letting out the bread as I tried eating it. Won't you get burned doing that? Midoriya asked Kirishima-kun as he watched quickly eat the food like nothing. Nah, I'm partially resistant to hot and cold temperatures, so it doesn't really bother me, I told him. Damn, that's so cool, he told me with a big grin on his face. Thanks, yours is cool too, I sincerely told him. We then heard the sound of the front door being opened to see a sweaty Ochako emerge from it. Looks like she just finished her sword training and is about to get ready for school. This slightly messy look suits her. Good morning, Izuku. You were up earlier today, she greeted me, her smile warm and inviting. Hey, Ochako. Yeah, for some reason, I wasn't able to get much sleep last night. I figured getting up instead. By the way, want some? I told her as I offered some of the bread to eat. Thanks, Sir Knight. This is delicious, she said as she grabbed a slice and started eating and heading to her room to get ready for the day. After around half an hour, Ochako finished getting ready and we headed to the school building together. Together, we set off from the dorms, the early morning air crisp and refreshing against my skin. As we walked, Ochako regaled me with tales of her latest training sessions, her enthusiasm contagious as she recounted her victories and setbacks with equal fervor. I listened intently, hanging on her every word as we made our way through the familiar streets leading to the school. Despite the hustle and bustle of the morning commute, it felt as though we were in our own little world, cocooned in a bubble of warmth and camaraderie. Despite the hustle and bustle of the school grounds, there was a sense of peace and contentment that settled over me when I was with Ochako. She was my anchor in the storm, the steady presence that grounded me even in the most turbulent of times. As we approached the main school building, I couldn't help but steal a glance at Ochako, marveling at the way the morning sunlight danced in her hair and lit up her eyes. At that moment, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude for her presence in my life. As Ochako and I neared the main school building, our conversation tapered off as we both noticed a sudden influx of activity near the school gate. My brows furrowed in confusion as I caught sight of a throng of reporters and cameras gathered at the entrance, their presence an unusual and unexpected sight. Ochako's gaze mirrored my own as we exchanged a puzzled glance, curiosity sparking in her eyes. It was clear that something out of the ordinary was happening, and we couldn't help but wonder what could have drawn such a crowd to our school on an ordinary day. Despite the flurry of questions swirling in our minds, Ochako and I resisted the urge to investigate further, choosing instead to focus on our classes for the day. However, the presence of the press near the school gate lingered in the back of our minds like an unresolved puzzle, tugging at our curiosity with each passing hour. During breaks between classes, Ochako and I exchanged speculative whispers, speculating on the possible reasons for the media presence outside the school gate. Was it a celebrity visit, a school event, or something entirely unexpected? Good work on yesterday's battle trial. I saw the video and results, Izuocha-sensei said in his usual deadpan delivery. Bakugo, good work on getting your support item ready to be used at any time before even entering the building. It shows that you are not underestimating your opponent, and won't go into the situation halved. It's just a bad matchup for you and Todoroki, he continued as he spared a glance in my direction while telling Kaken this. Same goes for you, Todoroki. TCH, Kaken said his tongue after hearing it, clearly pissed off that he lost. I glance at Todoroki and I can see the anguish in his face, as if his world is crumbling to dust. Midoriya, Izuocha then turned to me. Don't always underestimate your opponents. Just because you know you can take an attack doesn't mean you disregard it completely. I know you're tough, but you aren't invincible. You can still be injured and be taken out of the fight. Also, if you'd used your fire, you'd have been able to neutralize the initial attack, he continued, surprising me with his advice. It's, by no means, a profound analysis, but it still demonstrates he at least understood what happened more than just at the surface level. I guess he's got the teaching position for a reason, I thought, intrigued about the other teacher's insights because other than him, All Might, and Eindridi, I rarely see them in the context of teaching hero stuff. Now, let's get to homeroom business. Sorry for the late notice, but today, I'll have you, he said with a dramatic pause. Take another test was likely what's going through all our minds right now. Decide on a class representative, he continued, with a totally serious face, as if pretending to be unaware of what he was doing. I want to be class rep, pick me, Kirishima-kun said while standing up and raising both of his arms. Me too, Kaminari-kun said while raising just one of his hands. At least he's more in control. I want to do it, too, a girl with earphone jacks as her earlobe. Apparently, her name's Jiro Kyoyuka. It's a job for him. Aoyama-kun was gesturing to himself with his right hand while raising his left but got interrupted by Ashida-san. I'll be the leader, she said while standing up, smiles that reached both her ears and waving both of her hands. Even Kaken was raising his hands while shouting, let me do it, me. How about we put it on the vote, Ochako spoke up, which immediately stopped everyone. Her natural charisma took over the room the second she spoke up. That way, we shall get to choose our class rep with no ill feelings. Every word she said carries a weight to it that none of our classmates fail to notice. Holy crap, not even Kaken can utter a single word right now. We all agreed to go along with it and got to vote with Izuocha-sensei going for a nap while we did so, which resulted in Ochako having an overwhelming victory. She got 11 votes. I got 6. The rest, I assume, voted for either themselves or each other. Kaken looked irritated but will accept the results. Sometimes, I forget the girl I'm dating is primed to be a future queen, with me getting to see her lovely side most of the time. Not much time later, Izuocha-sensei started waking up from his nap. Looking at the board, he had the expression that says yeah, that makes sense, as he turned to the class. Alright, this means that Pendragon will be the class president while Midoriya will be the vice president, he told us in his usual sleepy expression. Time skipped to lunch. I let it sit at the back of my mind as we started having our lunch. The group consists of me, Ochako, Ada, Kirishima-kun, and Ashida-san. I've been wondering this for a while now, I said as I was having my katsuden. Is the Ada in your name perhaps related to the hero ingenium? I asked Ada about this. You're quite perceptive, Midoriya-kun, he said as he pushed up his glasses. Yes, my family has been heroes for generations and I'm the second son, he continued. Do you know the turbo hero, Ingenium? He's my elder brother, he proudly told us as he's standing up while having both of hands on his hips. Man, that's cool, I told him. As for me, I'm not exactly sure who my father is, I told them. You don't, Kirishima asked, with a worried expression on his face. Yeah, apparently, I'm only this powerful due to him, but I'm still unsure of his identity, I told the rest of them. RIIINGGG. An alarm, I exclaimed. There has been a level 3 security breach. All students please evacuate outdoors promptly. I repeat, a loud announcement has been made in the cafeteria. What's a security level 3? Ada asked the student on his right. It means that someone is trespassing on school grounds. I've never seen anything like this in the 3 years I've been here, the guy answered. Sir Knight Ochako got my attention. It seems she's intent on catching on to whoever it is that's trespassing. No need to tell me, lead the way, I told her. Okay, Ada, go find Yaoyorozu-san and ask for a megaphone and tell the rest of the students not to panic because it was just the media outside, she told him. If you cannot find her, then find Kyoke-san. I apologize, but we really do need to go. Roger, he answered while saluting. Ochako and I headed toward the source of the disturbance, drawn by a sense of urgency. As we approached, our eyes fell upon a light blue-haired figure who had infiltrated the school grounds. He stood with an air of nonchalance, clutching a paper between his index finger and thumb. Intrigued and wary, we moved closer, ready to confront the trespasser, and uncover the reason for his presence within the school. I was about to preemptively let loose a one-pair against the man to knock him out and ask questions later before I was sent flying by something. Bam! I went through the wall and landed on the track and field area of the school. That hurt, but not enough to draw. I can see the press that Ochako mentioned before staring back at me. That hit like, I thought to myself, ignoring the press, as I started standing up and jumped back to the hole created as I was going through the wall, irritated by that attack. When I entered using UAS brand new entrance, I only saw Ochako where the blue-haired guy used to stand, with the latter not being anywhere in sight. What happened here? I asked her, confused about where that guy or whatever attacked me went. After you were attacked, I saw a dark figure send a punch my way. I was going to be on the offensive, but it was ate up by something. Perhaps someone with a quirk, she told me. Izuku, are you okay? I heard the voice of Izuka and Yui behind me running toward us. Her gaze fell on the hole in the wall and back to my dirtied garments. I'm fine. It will take more than that to take me down, I told her. More importantly, where were you? I asked them, since these two should be the first ones to notice the trespassing. I came straight here right after calming the students at the school cafeteria down. What happened here? She asked us as she gestured at the mess created. Achako and I recounted the events to both of them, providing a detailed description of the man we had encountered. Following our discussion, we mutually agreed to report our findings directly to Principal Nezu. Thank you for reporting this to us pronto, everyone. We promise that we'll do something about this, but for now, you should go ahead and continue with your classes, the principal said as he was drinking tea. Back at the class, we see Izuocha-sensei standing over the podium, apparently going to announce something. For today's basic heroics class, it's turned into a class with 3 instructors, All Might, me, and 1 more person. He said to the class with a deadpan delivery. Turn into it means it isn't the original plan. Is it because of the intruder? That would make sense. What will we be doing? Sarokun inquired, his left hand raised in the air to catch the teacher's attention. Izuocha-sensei held up a card bearing the word rescue and announced, disasters, shipwrecks, and everything in between rescue training. You can decide if you want to wear your costume or not this time, he informed us, raising the remote to display the briefcases containing our costumes, labeled based on our student number. Mine's number 18. Because there are probably costumes that limit your abilities, too. The training will take place off campus, so we're taking a bus. That's all. Start getting ready, he declared before striding towards the door. At the buses, we boarded the bus to head to the training area. Initially, Ada suggested organizing ourselves by student number, but we quickly realized that the layout of the seats in our buses made this impractical. So, we decided to simply sit wherever we pleased. I also mentioned to him that the method of grouping and assigning seats used in airports is actually one of the slowest possible, mainly designed to widen the convenience gap between first class and economy passengers. This revelation came as a shock to him, especially when I explained that boarding airlines would be much faster if people were allowed to sit wherever they wanted, rather than the current system in place. I say whatever comes to mind, Midoriya-chan, she told me, her smile disarming and genuine. Yes, Asuo-san, I prompted her to continue. Call me Tsuchin, she told me. All right, Tsuchin, I plead. Who am I to disagree? Your quirk's just like All Might, she observed. You're also huge, just like him. In fact, you're bigger, she continued, seeming unaware of how she said it. Oh, I guess. I got the tall trait from my father, I explained to her. Despite not being entirely sure of my father's identity, it's evident that the trait couldn't have come from my mother's side for obvious reasons. As for my quirk, it's called energy manipulation. I can utilize the energy I possess to convert it into various forms, such as kinetic energy, fire, or even lightning, I continued, opting not to mention the poison aspect of my abilities as it would complicate the explanation within the context of energy manipulation. Oh, yeah, Izuocha-sensei did mention the fire earlier. Why did you not use it against Bakugo and Todoroki? Kirishima-kun asked, his confusion evident as he wondered whether I was holding back or not. To be honest, it's pretty hard to control in low output. If I use the fire, it's very easy to imagine the building collapsing, so I avoid using it unless I'm willing to either take a life or certain the other person can survive it, I explained to him. Damn, that's so manly. Imagine being able to unironically say that you're too awesome to take them at full power, Kirishima-kun exclaimed, his excitement palpable as he yelled in enthusiasm. Yours is awesome too, Kirishima-kun. It's a quirk that will pass as a pros. Lots of people may underestimate you, but I'm sure you'll save lots of lives using your quirk, I assured him, my words prompting him to tear up slightly, and mutter so manly under his breath. Sorry, dude. I don't swing that way, I thought to myself after hearing those words, silently acknowledging the boundaries of our friendship. My naval laser is proval in both flashiness and strength, Aoyama boasted, resting his head on both his hands with an air of confidence. But it's not that great since it gives you a stomachache, Ashidasan chimed in, patting him on the shoulder. Well, if you're talking about flashy and strong, Todoroki and Bakugo also fall under that umbrella, Kirishima-kun remarked, glancing over at the two. Todoroki appeared to be asleep, while Kaken wore his ever-grumpy expression. Bakugo-chan is always mad, so he doesn't seem like he'll be popular, though, Tsuchin remarked, provoking Kaken to develop tick marks on his head in annoyance. What the hell you wanna fight? Kaken bellowed, his outburst drawing exasperated looks from his seatmate, Kyokasen. Tsuchin pointed at him with a smirk, vindicated by Kaken's reaction, which proved her point. We haven't known each other that long, so it's amazing that everyone already knows his personality. Is crap steeped in sewage, Kaminara-kun remarked with a smirk, pointing at the raging blonde. What's with that vocabulary, bastard? I'll kill you, Kaken shouted angrily at him, his temper flaring up in response to Kaminara-kun's comment. We're here, stop messing around, Izuocha-sensei announced, standing and holding onto the stanchions to maintain his balance as the bus came to a stop. Yes, sir, we all answered in unison, quickly preparing ourselves for the upcoming class. After getting off the bus, we were greeted by another pro hero. That woman is the Space Hero 13, a very accomplished rescue hero. Her costume consists of a white space suit design using what appears to be a puffy jacket instead of an actual suit, a black helmet with white eyes, and a pair of yellow boots. Everyone, I have been waiting for you, she greeted us warmly as we entered the building. Oh, Horn Lord Almighty 13 is my favorite hero, Achako exclaimed with excitement, her reaction amusing me because you wouldn't guess she was a princess based on how she reacted. I can't really blame her, as even I'm impressed by its scale. It is a training ground that I made with different types of accidents and disasters, she explained, gesturing widely with her arms to encompass the scenery around us. What she made it seriously, how I thought with bulging eyes at the thought. Her quirk's nowhere near related enough to be able to create this, even creatively, and I'm pretty sure she doesn't have a spark. What's going on? She must have meant she had it made, right? It's called the Unforeseen Simulation Joint USJ for short, she announced proudly, striking a pose to emphasize the name. 13, where is All Might? Izuocha inquired, striding towards her with purpose. He continued, he was supposed to meet us here. About that she began, leaning in closer to whisper. It looks like he did too much hero work on his way here and ran out of time. So he's resting in the lounge. How is something wrong with All Might? What ran out of time? That's the height of irrationality, Izuocha remarked before letting out a long sigh, clearly troubled by the absence of the number one hero before continuing. It can't be helped. Let's begin. Before we start, let me say one thing, or 2 3 4 5 6 7 13 muttered, her uncertainty evident as she tried to determine how many points she wanted to address. Everyone, I'm sure you are aware of my quirk, Black Hole, she began, holding up her hand to emphasize her point. I can up anything and turn it to dust. You have been able to use that quirk to save people from all kinds of disasters, right? I asked, stifling a laugh as I noticed Achako nodding her head enthusiastically in agreement. Yes, but it's a power that can kill easily, she answered solemnly, her tone serious as she emphasized the gravity of her quirk's capabilities. Some of you have that kind of quirk, right? She began, prompting me to consider my own abilities. In a superhuman society, personal quirks have been certified and heavily regulated, so that doesn't seem to be a problem at first glance, she explained to us. But please do not forget that there are many quirks that can easily kill with one wrong step, she cautioned us. With Izuocha's physical fitness test, you discovered the potential of your hidden powers. And with All Might's person-to-person training battle trial, I believe you experienced the danger of using those powers against others, she elaborated, helping us understand the underlying purpose of the classes. This class is a fresh start. You shall learn how to use your quirks to save people's lives. You do not have powers so you can harm others. I hope you leave here with the understanding that you have powers to help others, she imparted to us. The speech was honestly inspiring. Okay, let's. Izuocha began speaking before the lights of USJ abruptly went out with the spark, and the fountain started malfunctioning. It's the trespasser, Achako alerted the rest of us, and I immediately rushed to the front. Whatever it is, I knew I had to step up. I'm the toughest one here, so I'll be their shield. As an ominous dark cloud spread throughout the center of USJ, I couldn't shake the feeling that it was the individual with the warping quirk Achako had mentioned. Then, from within the swirling darkness, emerged a man with light blue hair. I hadn't noticed before, but this guy was downright creepy, with severed hands holding onto his limbs and face. Following him was a creature with an exposed brain, black skin, and a beak that resembled a bird's more than a human's mouth, complete with sharp teeth. Then, dozens of people of all shapes and sizes began to walk out of the cloud. If I had to guess, they were villain lackeys.